A black steel spider avoids his attack. It cuts a strong bloodline on his shoulder. Dale shouts loudly, "Hey, hey, hurry up! Once we have gathered the monsters, I will deal with them." The baby black steel spiders are dealt with. Gasps of breath are heard one after another. The other three are exhausted. Have we eliminated them all? His name is Zephyr. He is the last survivor, and also the one who has reached the pinnacle of human strength. In the final battle with the demon lord Tartaros, he has failed, and that is also the end of humanity's existence. However, Zephyr has accidentally received an opportunity to regress 10 years into the past. But in return, he must become a slave to the gods, those whom he utterly detests. Zephyr knows very well that they are truly the ones pulling all the strings behind the scenes. But his strength is too weak to confront this existence called God. Therefore, he has decided to grit his teeth and choose to accept the regression from them. In this return, Zephyr has planned to make himself much stronger than in his previous life, determined to save humanity and take revenge on all those who are called gods out there. Under the fiery sky, the roars of monsters echo everywhere. On the top of a towering rocky mountain, a pillar of light shoots straight up into the sky, tearing through the pitch-black night. Fresh blood drips from the sharp blade, mixing with the ashes of battle. Well done, human, finally. Sharp claws extend, reflecting the reddish light from the fires burning the ground. But it is fine. With this victory will surely belong to me. The demonic blade pierces straight through the young man's chest. Evil power surges, causing agonizing pain. The sword in his hand cracks and then shatters into pieces. Blood surges up his throat, overflowing from the corners of his lips. Cough, cough! The demonic sword is deeply embedded in his body, continuously burning every muscle fiber, every blood vessel. The pain spreads, accompanied by a feeling of despair. The end of the world has come. It has been 1 year since humanity was defeated by the evil race. Most humans have been wiped out. The few who remain alive are also captured, stripped of their consciousness, and become hosts to produce new monsters. And I, the last of humanity, have fought until this very moment. In front of me, the demon lord Tartaros, ruler of darkness, destroyer of mortals, speaks in a deep voice. You seem to be in a lot of pain, don't you? Let me give you a hand. Dark auras wrap around Zephyr's body. Everything suddenly slows down. Time stretches out strangely. I have slowed down time. Thanks to that, we can have a longer conversation. The demon lord steps closer, his eyes burning like 2 pits of hellfire. Humanity, no Zephyr. I remember your name. You are the only one who has bothered me for such a long time. While others see this war as hopeless, your persistence makes me admire you. You deserve a compliment. His voice is deep and authoritative. Those who abandon fighting just because they fear the opponent's strength are truly garbage. Those weaklings, I have never even considered them. But you are different. The demon lord pauses and then breaks into a cruel smile. You are the one who has stepped onto the peak of humanity. A true warrior. That is why I will give you a chance. He reaches out his hand, an invitation full of power. Obey me, Zephyr. Together let us conquer this world and other worlds. Even if it is the land of the gods, we will destroy them and take everything. A soft laugh escapes. Zephyr looks up at the one in front of him, the corner of his mouth curving in mockery. Ha, really? Do you really think I will accept that? The demon lord replies, of course. Zephyr smirks and suggests, not bad nonsense. Under the impact of the recent battle, my body has shattered beyond imagination. It can be said that even if this body recovers, it will never be as complete as it was originally. What is he trying to do? Give me a chance. This is not an offer, but another way for him to see me beg to live. My friends, those I love. How can I beg someone who has stolen everything from me? Zephyr's slightly trembling hand reaches out towards the demon lord. Tartaros, thinking he is being discreet, gives a wicked smile. I am a person with an extremely terrible personality. She always tells me this and tells me to stop cursing. But ever since I have not been able to hear her voice, she has placed an interesting spell on me. His hand tightly grasps the demon lord's hand. The demon lord realizes something is wrong. Power accumulates in Zephyr's arm. If I do this with my hand, my body will explode with a power, with an impact that can transcend this kingdom. This is my answer to your offer, demon lord Tartaros. Zephyr's eyes are full of provocation. Shut your mouth for me, you dog. Energy explodes like a detonated bomb. Dazzling light erupts. The sky-filled flames burst forth. The demon lord's silhouette blurs behind the immense heat. His eyes stare intently. The part of his arm that Zephyr is holding tightly is scorched. My hand. What is this? What is happening to my hand? The demon lord's eyes are filled with disbelief. His facial muscles tense. Veins under his skin are etched on his face along with clenched teeth. The demon lord roars. Cold sweat pours down the demon lord's face. He stares at the half-kneeling figure in front of him. The demon lord trembles with rage. Zephyr, you bastard. How dare you disrespect me like this damned human? He punches Zephyr hard. His burned body immediately shatters into many pieces. Thanks to that, the final battle has finally ended. I cannot avenge my loved ones, nor can I save humanity as desired. Everything ends in vain. Or at least it should have. His fingertips tremble slightly. Zephyr opens his eyes. He is confused. What is this? I am not dead yet. He sits up and examines his body. Something is wrong. All my wounds have healed, and my armor is fine. But where am I? He looks around. Shrine of the gods. A sanctuary? Is there a sanctuary like this here? He laughs self-mockingly. Of course there is. This is the afterlife after all. So this place must be hell. A voice suddenly speaks. This is not hell. This is the lowest level of the temple where the gods reside. From the main hall, a pillar of light appears. An angel steps out of the void. Zephyr cautiously puts his hand behind him. His eyes freeze. I cannot summon my sword. The angel speaks. There is nothing to be surprised about Zephyr. I am the representative spokesperson of the gods. High Angel Mercedes. She informs him that he has died. Normally, he would be sent straight to hell. However, at the request of the three great gods, we have decided to send you back to the past. Zephyr does not understand. What does that mean? The angel explains. We will send you back to the past with your memories so you have a chance to change the future. Of course, not only will you retain your memories when you return, but you will also preserve your physical abilities, magical power, and acquired skills. The angel adds, since you have reached the pinnacle of the human world, I am sure you can quickly return here. Zephyr is momentarily silent. Am I dreaming? Tartaros has no ability to create illusions. Could this be an illusion before death? He breathes heavily. Zephyr asks. Why give me a second chance? The angel notices Zephyr's suspicion. It seems you do not trust us. I understand if you want something to prove. Zephyr refuses. No, I believe, or perhaps I agree. It is just, what do I need to do in return? How can you give me this opportunity for free? You must want something from me in return. While everyone around me was dying in the battle against the demons, when I begged for help in desperation, the gods severed all communication with this world. They refused all pleas and did not accept sacrifices. Furthermore, they stripped the priests of their ability to borrow divine power, causing them to lose all healing abilities and leading to the rapid collapse of the human army. Once they saw that there was nothing more to exploit, they would abandon this world. So there is no reason why these calculating beings would give me such an opportunity for free. The angel replies, I understand. To answer that question, I will tell you what the gods are thinking right now. The angel opens her clear blue eyes. Show us something even more interesting. Zephyr's expression darkens. His teeth clench. What? The angel explains, the gods are still observing. After you experienced that tragic outcome, a human capable of fighting persistently alone, facing the world's end throughout your life, is rare, and 5 years of continuous fighting against the powerful army of demons. Honestly, observing and watching you was entirely worthwhile. Zephyr's eyes become fierce. The angel continues, many gods felt regret seeing your world end so quickly. Do you remember, according to the flow of time, luck will favor you. The reason the gods decided to give you another chance, even if it could have consequences, is because a lightning-like beam of light shoots forth. Zephyr channels power into his fist and throws a long-range punch towards the angel. He curses, you bastards. You think that is interesting? Everyone. The reason all of us fight with our lives. Is it just for your entertainment? Just because it's worth observing? The angel calmly raises her hand and shoots a beam of light. A gigantic foot appears from the void, stomping heavily on Zephyr. He is crushed and hunches over. The ground shakes violently. The gigantic foot leaves an imprint on the ground. The angel is unaffected. She walks to where Zephyr is being crushed on the ground. The gods are still observing. Please try to be a little more polite. She bends down slightly. It seems you have misunderstood. Let me explain everything clearly. The only thing the gods are interested in is you. From the beginning, they have had no interest in common creatures like humans. Zephyr's chin is squeezed. She extends her hand to prove her worth. That is the only way you can get what you want. Humans and other similar creatures are the same. Is there anything free in this world? Zephyr coldly snorts with no goodwill. The angel withdraws the gigantic foot and her eyes become hazy. There is an entity. No. It is a god who strongly desires your return for another reason. Zephyr frowns in doubt. Loud sounds of destruction echo. The demon lord raises a hand, lifting a pillar he just uprooted. How long do I have to wait? Get out there so I can talk to that manager. The guarding angels are terrified. Don't do that. We are currently processing your request. And the demon lord aggressively shouts, shut up. The demon lord, the one who conquered 10 worlds defeated by a lowly human. Ridiculous. That cannot happen. Quickly do something to prevent that. I have said, I will be responsible for anything that happens afterward. Everything is witnessed by Zephyr through a mirror. What is this madman doing? The angel says, Demon Lord Tartaros, the god of destruction. You have destroyed 10 worlds, including his world. His goal is to destroy all worlds, and he is the undefeated war god. One who can never be defeated by any creature. But because of you, that record has changed. Do you know how much you have shattered his pride? Zephyr frowns. What, just for that reason? This wretched bastard. The angel conveys he wants another battle with you to claim his own victory. So Zephyr, what do you think? Zephyr smirks. He clenches his fist. The answer is too clear. If he wants to die, then I will grant him that. The angel begins the time reversal process. Then I will begin the transformation now. Although the exact time is undetermined, you will still have enough time to restore your strength. In addition, the gods have bestowed their support upon you. You will receive it in the form of a returner's privilege. Check it out after you return. The magic circle around Zephyr glows brightly. Although this is an opportunity granted by those disgusting gods, an opportunity is an opportunity. I will use it to take revenge on the demon lord, Tartaros, and also on the gods who look down on humans. The angel announces coordinates have been set. Final confirmation from the star constellation in spatial tidal interference completed. Now I hope the best for you, Zephyr. I hope you will satisfy all of us. The light circle transforms into a whirlwind, soaring up and entering the void. Faint light and fluctuating sounds echo. Big brother, big brother. He stopped breathing. The big brother curses. Shut up, hey, wake up, wake up. Zephyr opens his eyes wide. Wake up, new ghost. Cold water pours down from above his head, soaking him. Zephyr is doubtful. Ah. The people around him shout. Ah, he is awake. See, I told you he wasn't dead. Zephyr looks at the person who just poured water on him. Humph. Then he looks around. Who are these people? I think I have met them before. He sees the imprint on their chests. This imprint. He clutches his head. Ah, I remember now. Humph. Humph. Ha. The henchman tattles. Big brother. This guy is laughing. Zephyr deduces that he must have returned 10 or 12 years ago. When I was a slave of the sanctuary, a person with a lamp approaches. What is happening here? The big brother quickly replies, Captain, it is nothing. The other person reminds, break time is over. Go back to work. The big brother obediently replies, yes, sir. Before leaving, he does not forget to warn Zephyr. If you make me mad, I will really kill you. Zephyr asks back, what the hell are you saying? The blonde-haired guy is angry. This dog, his henchmen pull him back. Big brother, let's go. Zephyr rubs his forehead, thinking, I really don't care much about these guys. A trembling person makes a faint sound. The young boy says, Master, thank you for protecting me. Zephyr is doubtful. Who is this child? It has been 10 years, so I do not remember the details clearly. It seems it will be difficult to get used to this again. His footsteps stop. That is right. The returner's privilege. The angel says, you can use it any time. Just say open privilege. Zephyr recalls. She said that. Let me see. He observes the young boy, who is now a long distance away. He says open privilege. A beam of light surrounds him. Zephyr is alarmed. Wait this. He smirks. This is truly insane. His face is filled with excitement. Did those people really give me this? The people around him exclaim, oh, this new guy is pretty good. He is really skilled. Did he used to be a miner before coming here? They observe. Look at his speed. The ore bags are filled to the brim. The other two leave. I wish he was in my group. Damn it. Because this guy works so hard, we cannot even rest. Zephyr is currently very excited. Is this real? A moment ago. He says open privilege. He clutches his head and groans. Information about the privilege is flooding his mind. He opens his eyes wide. What is this? High-level skills and items. Even abilities that can be used like real skills. He cannot believe it. Truly insane. Did those people really give me such things? How can these stingy people be so generous? The supervisor shouts, hey, over here. He runs furiously. Didn't I tell you to get back to work? How dare you slack off and rest on your first day here? Zephyr realizes it is the mining team leader. The team leader grumbles, a bunch of damn fools, you really won't listen to me. He swings his whip forcefully. Let me teach you a lesson. The whip cracks in the air, striking hard, but Zephyr catches it with his bare hands. The team leader is bewildered. This guy caught the whip with his bare hands. How can it be? Zephyr respectfully returns the whip. Sorry, I am going back to work now. The team leader receives the whip back, his mouth agape, staring in confusion at Zephyr's retreating back. Zephyr speculates that perhaps due to his combat experience, he perceived the team leader's whip moving very slowly. But I do not have a single scratch. This reminds him of the first privilege, the Iron Wall skill, which greatly increases defensive power, completely ignores damage lower than your defensive power, and can make you feel no fatigue. I do not even feel a bit tired. I can mine all day like this. I have received a total of 9 privileges. By combining them with my knowledge of the future, I will quickly regain my strength. The first thing I will do is... The record keeper is aghast at the amount of ore in front of him. He is surprised. Well done. The team leader gathers everyone and announces, I have completed the calculation of today's workload. Now I will announce the rankings. First place. Group F. The young boy coughs loudly upon hearing this. Wow. Zephyr thinks. So this kid is in my group. Second place. Group B. The blonde-haired guy asks. What is it? Why did they get first place? Third place. Group H. The rest are ignored. And last place. Group E. The last place group clutches their heads and groans. No. The team leader announces. According to the mining group's protocol, the supplies and compensation of the last group will be fairly distributed among the top 3 groups. Zephyr looks at the members of the last group who are in great distress. The team leader shouts, Next, we will perform the ritual to pray to Goddess Arya. The devotees raise their hands in unison. Goddess Arya, please grant us salvation by your immortal light. Almighty Goddess Arya, please grant us salvation by your immortal light. Almighty Goddess Arya. Zephyr follows along for formality's sake. Salvation, what a load of crap. Arya Temple, one of the 3 strongest and most influential gods on the continent, and also the largest money-lending guild. Most of the people here either lost their homes to monsters, or were adventurers whose lives were saved by the temple, and then became slaves to repay huge medical debts. Anyway, as long as I have this imprint on me, I cannot move freely as I wish. If I go outside the work area without permission, my heart will stop and I will die immediately. I must quickly pay off all the medical expenses and regain my freedom. Only then can I continue with the next step of my plan. Demon Lord Tartaros, this time I will not let you do as you please. I will take revenge. And clear images appear in his mind. Her lingering gaze and smile. Altair, this time I will protect you. The guiding lady says, those who wish to use the store or seek consultation, please come this way. People are bustling, asking for 1 beer and 2 servings of baked potatoes. Prices are listed 80 silver coins for 1 mug of beer. Zephyr thinks these things are terribly expensive. The young boy follows closely. Master, I will buy you a drink. Zephyr looks at him. Do you have money, kid? The young boy takes out a few small coins. I just received some money, although I cannot buy you anything expensive. But you protected me from being beaten by those guys, and we were able to win first place because of you. Because our group is full of weak people, and we are always in last place. So this is the first time I have received money. Zephyr understands, so that is why they beat you. If one person in the group is beaten and cannot continue working, that group will not mine much iron ore. If they do that, the other group's ranking will increase. He refuses. Are you kidding me? I do not exploit a child. Adults have their pride too. He thinks the kid probably thinks, I will use all his money, but it is too annoying. Do not come over here. The shop owner greets him. Hello, what do you want? Zephyr asks. Do you have recovery water? The owner is surprised. I have never seen you before. Are you new here? Do you have money? 1 gold coin for 1 cup, 4 gold coins for 1 bottle. If you can still endure it, I think you should just bear the pain. Zephyr puts money on the table. This is 15 gold coins. The rest is on credit for me. Do you have a credit slip? Give me one. The young boy is panicked, master. When Zephyr stamps the credit slip, he screams, You are crazy. Do you know how scary Arno is? We only get paid 1 gold coin, which is only half of what we have to pay. But if we do not get paid anymore, you will really add to it. The interest rate is extremely high. Zephyr reminds him to keep quiet. He drinks the recovery bottle. I just need to pay, right? The young boy is bewildered. Yes, recovery water. A common item that can restore a small portion of strength. If consumed in large quantities, it has a hidden effect of increasing magical power. Even drinking 10 bottles only increases a very small portion of magical power. It seems to have no effect at all. But with this privilege, I do not even need elixirs. Privilege 2. Hermes' sight skill greatly increases the effect of all potions. The effect increase rate is 500%. I will not need to touch the mining wages anymore because I will not have enough money to pay off the debt, even if I work hard. What do you say I should do? The mining team leader is surprised. You said you heard monster cries in the mine. Zephyr affirms. Yes, please. Call the hunter team here. I will take them to where I heard the monster's cries. Zephyr has already laid out his plan. I will earn money from dungeons. Monsters are creatures created by energy whirlpools. Most monsters are hostile to humans and have caused much upheaval over the years. But on the other hand, it is also an opportunity for humanity. The will of energy in monster bodies is energy stone. Bones and fur are item materials. Before we know it, monsters are considered a valuable resource. In other words, monster dungeons are both a dangerous place and a treasure trove. Rushing footsteps echo. A 3-person team appears. The hunting team. The hunter team is formed by people devastated by war. Their basic subsidy is high due to the danger of facing monsters. Bonuses are added depending on performance. Zephyr wonders, why was I assigned as a miner when I am an adventurer? There must be a reason. The shop owner loudly says, Are you listening to me? No more loans. Zephyr asks. Exceeded the daily limit. The owner replies, No, I cannot lend anymore. Zephyr asks himself, What should I do? Who can I borrow from? A nun appears next to him. If you sell organs, you can. Our temple buys organs as research materials. The atmosphere is quiet for a moment. Zephyr asks, Can I see the documents? The nun replies, Yes, of course. Here he suggests, Please set the time for next week. And if I pay the debt, can it be postponed? The nun immediately replies, Of course, our temple is not bad. The owner shouts, You fool, why are you selling that? Zephyr turns. Then lend me recovery water. The owner can only raise his hands in surrender. Do whatever you want. The nun praises, Oh, you are really crazy. The male owner groans. Another person will be dragged to the research room. All the potions have been used by Zephyr. He is satisfied. Good. The conditions have been met. The spear tip plunges into the ground. The hunter team members appear. You are Zephyr the guide. Zephyr looks over. Just in time, he replies, Yes, that is me. The leader introduces I am. Got the leader of the reconnaissance team. This is Dale and Marco. Zephyr also introduces himself. I do not have night vision skills, but I can use energy perception. Night vision allows seeing in the dark. Energy perception spreads out to hone and enter dungeons without needing monsters. This skill is necessary. Got calculates. It seems we have to pay extra for night vision potion. He says, If you are ready, let's go. Macro hands. Zephyr a bag of items. Take this. Dale goes first. Oh, a miner who knows how to use energy. That is interesting. Ha ha. It seems he will help clear the dungeon. Got shouts, Go Dale. Zephyr hears everything but says nothing. He quietly calculates. Let's see. I have never seen these two, and I know one of them. The time I transferred to the hunting team was 1 month after this dungeon was cleared. So, if things happen as they did, these two will die in the dungeon. I have an idea to use these guys. The group climbs up the rock slabs. Temple personnel are already waiting. Hey, we are the backup team. Everyone extend your hands. The temple personnel tie ropes to the hunter's hands. Zephyr also has a rope tied to him. He explains, This is a bracelet that only has magic power. If anything happens to you, the one I am wearing will break, and we will immediately request backup from headquarters. Anyway, since it is your job, if you focus, it will be fine. Good luck. The male protagonist leads the way, the hunter team follows behind. They go deep inside the cave. The monsters are patrolling their territory. A reconnaissance stone is thrown out. The monsters look suspiciously at the stone as it rolls a few times, and then lies still on the ground. 2 figures suddenly appear behind them. The job of the appraisal team is to confirm if there are monsters and gather information related to the dungeon. Useful attack information will be organized. The attack team possessing strength will clear the dungeon. That is the normal sequence. The hunter determines this is probably their dwelling place. 8. The lair near the entrance is theirs. Right, last week hunting teams A and B came here. Dale speculates that the survivor probably dug a burrow and hid. But the appraisal team consists of hunters with combat capabilities. Got draws a diagram on the ground. Dale Marco. Got asks, should we break this place? Considering that attacks may have occurred many times, they should be cleared immediately. The other two are stunned. Dale frowns. Captain, our job is just appraisal. Do not do other dangerous things. What do you plan to do if there is a pack of monsters over there? What if they are stronger? We only have 3 people. Got corrects. 4, which is enough to catch a kobold. Dale raises his voice, pointing at the male protagonist. Are you kidding me? 3 people and a burden. What can this person do? Macro stops him. Stop. Stop getting ahead of yourself. Does the captain have a plan? I want to hear it before making a choice. Got smirks. He looks at Zephyr. Hey, take it out. He replies, yes. He takes out a branch of cardamom with chestnut leaves and fruit. If mixed like this with kobold droppings, it will smell exactly like a female in heat. Dale covers his nose because of the foul smell. God explains. It has a strong smell that can be detected from a distance of 100 meters. The monsters have smelled the scent. They become wildly agitated. God holds his nose, so we will use these things. A monster rushes forward, but it immediately steps into a trap. Obviously, those potions were used to set traps. God looks at the spoils in the pit. See, I told you it could be done, Dale exclaims. Wow. Sometimes I really respect you, Captain. Got what sometimes do you want to die? He asks, how do you know that I did not expect such an attack? God says proudly, many experiences make a difference. Zephyr thinks to himself. Actually, I am the one who told him. Marco. In his first life before reincarnation, he transferred to the Hunter Guild and was in the same group as me. He wanted to be recognized by others but had no opportunity. Before the meeting, Got is surprised. What cleared? Zephyr met him privately. He says, actually yesterday I checked inside myself. This is just a kobold's hiding place. Got mocks him. Ha, alone. How many lives do you have? Zephyr replies. Before coming here I was a scout. My specialty team is finding ways to escape. Got strokes his chin. So you think the 4 of us are enough to attack with that strategy? Zephyr has no objection. Of course he is the one who makes the decision. But please consider. Zephyr is confident. Got will definitely agree because a good dungeon like this cannot be shared with anyone. Got looks at him, he is useful too. Cardamom is quite hard to find. He has prepared thoroughly and knows how to hunt monsters. I also like how he gives me things and does not interfere. With the authority of a team leader. If I introduce him to the team, he can transfer to the hunting team. He takes out something and gives it to Zephyr. Use this. He takes the knife. Ha, thanks. Got decides. All right, the rest is. Dale finds something. There is something here. He bends down to examine it. Are these bones left after someone was eaten? This mountain monster has no structure. This is kobold bones. As soon as he notices something large rushes towards him. Dale is caught before he can react. Got calls out loudly, Dale. The monster's arm throws Dale far away. He is flung backward and slams hard onto the ground. Marco immediately focuses power into his weapon. The magic circle activates. Everyone get behind me? He is startled. Oh my, I thought it was over. What is in there? Whatever. I will just defend and leave here. He tries to solidify his shield. It is a shield that can block a leader. Surely it cannot break this. A giant tail whips towards them. Marco is thrown away. My shield. Got roars, Marco. He is terrified that tail. No way, that is. The tail whips again. The main target is outside the dungeon. The support team is terrified. What is this? This is a bracelet that only has magic power. He told those guys that if anything happened to you, the one I am wearing would break. Now 3 of them are breaking at once. He worries, is something happening inside? Got cradles his injured arm. His eyes are full of surprise. Zephyr at some point has stood in front, blocking some of the attack from the tail iron wall privilege. The ability to block high damage. Damage lower than defense is ignored, and he will not feel tired. Zephyr looks at the wound on his arm. Perhaps iron wall does not block everything. It must be a creature less than a year old, but this creature is not to be mocked. The tail wraps around Dale. The monster lifts him up. Its large body appears. Predator animals deceived by someone using pheromones, and raised by them. And when they mature, they will eat their raisers. Zephyr says, I will borrow this spear. God is stunned. Wait, what are you doing? Zephyr skillfully spins the spear. He smiles. Now I can release some stress. Haha, all right. Let us ask the relevant party. How do you want to die? The 3rd privilege is activated. Privilege 3. Silver key. A key, leading to an abandoned castle. The owner can retrieve items from the silver room at any time recently equipped on the left hand. In short, it is a subspace. God is stunned to see items naturally fall down. Dragonheart and fabric. Dragonheart a soothing medicine. Zephyr removes the bandage wrapped around his arm. He wraps it tightly around the spear shaft. Then says it will be fierce. God is startled. What? He shouts. What are you doing? You are not even trained in combat. He curses to himself. Damn it, if he dies, but I cannot die meaninglessly. A surging shockwave sweeps through. It is because the monster opens its mouth and roars. Fear skill. Your enemies will be stunned in terror. God is scared, stiff sitting on the ground. I remember now the story the teacher told me when I was a rookie. A few years ago, when a predator came to a nearby village, it began to rampage and devour people. The villagers reported what happened in the blink of an eye. All of them were paralyzed. They could not even blink. They could do nothing but wait for their turn. As God is waiting for his death, something happens. What am I seeing? The spear blade leaves cuts on the monster's body. The provoked monster begins to swing its claws wildly. Zephyr ducks and dodges, then continues to charge. As expected, the fear-inducing ability works well. Among my 9 privileges, only one is a weapon. Anyway, I need a large amount of power, so I cannot use it now. But he creates a magic orb. This much is enough for those dogs. A potion is used. An old friend, Fades, 72. Toxic poisons, number 68. Varial. He once asked the other person, "Are you really okay?" Fade, "You have been telling me how to make poisons all this time." Fade laughs. Ha ha. The world is coming to an end. What is there to hide? Everything will be buried anyway, so it is better to use it together. Fade's voice is full of anticipation. No. I hope you use it if you can kill more garbage with my poison and save even one person. Zephyr thrusts the spear strongly, a deadly poison made from varial herbs. The spear tip pierces through the monster's skin. Zephyr takes the opportunity to carve a deep wound there. The monster screams in pain. It thrashes continuously because of the profusely bleeding wound. If it enters the body, it will destroy the upper intestines, and above all, create infinite pain. The Poison King has a cruel nature. 3 minutes until the poison completely spreads. Zephyr dodges the monster's frantic attacks. I must hold on until then. He attacks its leg. The monster's tail whips towards him. Zephyr is thrown back, hitting the rock wall. The monster's impact makes him wince in pain. Zephyr's eyes widen. The monster opens its mouth wide and pounces. A bottle of poison is thrown into its mouth. I ask for nothing more. He laughs and jumps to the side. The monster snaps violently at the pile of dirt and rocks. It roars in pain. Blood gushes from the monster's mouth. 2 minutes. No, 1 minute. Zephyr grips the spear tightly. He glides forward like a gust of wind. With my abilities, it will be difficult to completely take it down, so either I hold on for 1 more minute, or I deliver a critical blow. The monster's tail strikes hard. Zephyr uses both hands to catch its large tail. His whole body is lifted up with the tail. He tries to hold on tightly. 1 more minute. Just 1 more minute. He lets go now. Zephyr focuses his strength and stabs down. The target is the monster's eyes. The spear tip plunges powerfully into its eye. The monster roars wildly. The spear shaft embedded in its eye is snapped and flung out by its thrashing. Zephyr quickly grabs the half of the spear shaft that was flung away. He stabs it down hard. Take this too. The dagger tucked at his waist is drawn out. His eyes are cold again. The blade plunges deep inside the eye. The monster thrashes wildly in pain, trying to shake him off. Zephyr is thrown away. His fingers claw hard on its skin. His other hand tries to firmly grip the dagger to hold on. Not yet. There is still 1 more attack. He jumps up. My 10-year-old self with neither strength nor stamina could not overcome it. That is why I prepared recovery potion if drunk in large quantities. Will have a hidden effect of maximizing strength limits. One must drink over 10 bottles for a small change, so it is not that effective. If I have a special privilege, I need nothing else. Hermes' sight skill, 2 meters max. All elixir effects increased by 500%. Enough magic to smash a predator's head. Zephyr throws a punch. Basic magic power technique release. Powerful force descends. The force strikes through the monster's head. God, witnessing Zephyr's entire performance, laughs. Haha. He recalls his previous calculations. With the authority of a team leader, if I introduce him to personnel, he can transfer to the hunting team. He might just be using it to look good in front of me, but that is bad. I was too naive about his sincerity. I am not begging or anything. It is not to the point where I have to accept the offer of a common person. I have made a terrible mistake, even if it does not look good to me. If it were him, he could see it in a second. And stand up. It is just that right now he is just a miner in the mining team. Since they cannot enter and exit freely, he needs a way to enter the dungeon. Zephyr's eyes are sharp. God, let us talk for a bit. Panting sounds of fear are heard. The person sitting on the ground is horrified. No, there is a misunderstanding here. The large man swings his flail. We were together in the temple last time, right? We're not we. The other person pleads desperately, Sahak. Please believe me, I am not a devil worshipper. The one called Sahak orders crush him. The heavy flail smashes down, fresh blood splatters everywhere. None of the unfortunate ones survive. The body of the freshly killed person suddenly twitches. A centipede crawls out of his mouth. Immediately, its body is cut into 2 pieces. The sharp blade is still glowing with magic. It seems the bug is out. But I suspect he is a worshipper. He has wiped out 7 team members to catch 1 centipede. The person sitting behind the table indifferently asks, isn't 7 a bit too few? He points to the jar containing several monsters. It is truly stubborn when it burns so completely. Sahak protests. Do you understand the method, Investigator Matthias? The remaining members must be thinking if they will be executed. There is only 1 month left until the raid. If we do not eliminate them as quickly as possible, it will bring bad luck to you. The person sitting in the chair is deep in thought. Matthias replies, understood. I will handle the hunter team's complaint. In return, you must make sure you do it. Do not be afraid. Act like a heresy inquisitor. Ahak smirks. Okay. Human Resources Department. The staff member says, yes, Captain Gott of Reconnaissance Team D. Please fill out the form first. Is it the same person you nominated? Acknowledge and name. Please, Gott. Replies Miner. Zephyr arrived this week. The staff member replies, I understand. Please wait a moment. The staff member explains, if you bring a department member correctly appointed by HR, the nominee is yours. Additionally, if performance declines due to the nominee's error, it could negatively affect the captain's personal report. Do you agree? Gott replies, yes, I agree. He thinks, of course. On the other hand, if he does well, it will benefit me. Tusk tusk, this life is just hit or miss. I never thought I would have this opportunity. Just before that in the dungeon God is stunned. What did you say? You want me to ignore what just happened? Predator monster Zephyr confirms. Yes. Got guesses you want the monster's carcass. Zephyr does not hide it. A predator. I will not leave it here. We will report this as simply a kobold's hiding place. Monster carcasses, energy stones, and items from the dungeon. Arno slaves cannot have anything. Everything slaves obtain belongs to the temple. And all the hunting team gets is a small bounty and trophies. He taps on the monster's carcass. If I give this to a broker, I will get a lot of money. Got protests? No way. Don't you see, there is a group of people out there to prevent that. Besides, we are trying to complete the mission. The post-processing team will come and consecrate all items. Zephyr is confident. Oh yes, but what about this? He puts his hand on the monster's carcass. It is here now. Magical fluctuations rise. The large carcass simply disappears. Got is stunned, mouth agape, subspace. No way. Usually only. Only subspace magic can be contained with equipment, and he just made that giant monster disappear. Even its blood. Zephyr calls out, Got, don't you want a promotion? Let us handle 2 more dungeons after this one. We can share the rewards. In return, let me handle the monsters. Got contemplates, regularly clearing dungeons. Especially with this frequency of combat, it is definitely beneficial for promotion, even if it is a low-level dungeon like the kobold's hiding place. But because my team was created primarily for reconnaissance, the number of combat personnel is low, and since the beginning, we have been stagnant for 3 years. But if a super powerful person joins the game, board will flip. As the first group to enter the dungeon, no one else will get it this way, and thus will have exclusivity. If a few members handle the dungeon, my rating will increase. All I want is a promotion. All Zephyr wants is money. Good deal. Just be careful not to get caught. Zephyr calculates. As long as I can sell it for a good price, I will get out of debt. I need to get out of here as fast as possible. There is only one thing left in this place. The new night raid is scheduled for 1 month from now. That is why the items causing chaos throughout the continent are found there. This time, no matter what happens, I must participate in the raid to get those items and change the future. The staff confirms registered. From now on, Zephyr will be a member of the hunting team. I will give you an identification card, so please go to the supply station and get basic equipment. The 2 leave the HR room after completing the procedures. In my previous life, I joined the hunting team after the participation announcement, so I could not go on raids, because a hunting team can have up to 20 people. To enter one needs top-tier skills or something similar. I have a plan, but the problem is when to do it. Dot says. The supply station is on the first floor of that building where everyone is queuing. I will go to that area. I have to check on Dale and Marco. Oh yes, if you want to get something. Dot's expression suddenly changes. He pushes Zephyr's head down. Bow your head. Rushing footsteps. It is Sahak's group passing by. As he passes Zephyr, he seems to feel something uncertain. Dot breathes a sigh of relief when he sees the group pass by. That is the Heresy Appraisal Team, direct slaves of the Heresy Appraiser. You should treat them as superiors, rather than regular slaves. They have the authority to deal with us. There are people who have been expelled for bumping into them or not greeting them. Especially the one in the middle, Mad Dog Sahak. That guy wants to kill everyone. That is why he works under the Heresy Appraiser. He does not let his prey go, so be careful. Sahak suddenly stops. Hey, over there. Sahak's sharp gaze shifts. Making Got's spine chill, they heard. Sahak approaches. Excuse me for a moment. There is something I want to check. He points at Zephyr. You the one wearing miner's clothes. I am a Heresy Appraiser, Sahak. What is your name? Zephyr's eyes narrow. Got speaks up. Sir Inquisitor. This person is Zephyr. He just transferred to our team. If that is a problem, I as the Captain Sahak interrupts. Hey. He snaps impatiently. Shut up, I am not asking you. The oppressive aura from Sahak continuously radiates. God immediately feels out of breath. His threatening aura. He stumbles. Zephyr next to him is completely unaffected. Sahak's eyes stare intently like a hunting beast. Now I am sure. If I just stand still, there will be no beginning. Others do not realize it, but I am the second most sensitive person, and that guy is a top-tier master. A miner's clothes just transferred to the hunting team means he was originally in the mining team. A new slave will be assigned tasks after ability tests, endurance tests, magic power tests. Those who can fight are given the opportunity to show their strength, because the hunting team always needs strong people. But a master like him being chosen for the mining team and then transferred to the hunting team, this is truly unusual. The members of the Heresy Appraisal Team move in unison. Soon they have split into 5 directions surrounding Zephyr A, skilled master. However, it will not be too difficult to get him. Sahak sneers. I will ask you a few questions. Get ready and tell the truth. Zephyr tilts his head slightly and smirks. What is this? A rat does not need to crawl out on its own. Thank you, Sahak boasts. I will ask you a few questions. Be silent and answer truthfully. Have you ever heard of devil worshippers? No one knows more about them than I do. Devil worshippers, those who worship the demon lord Tartaros. They are creatures that will lead to destruction in humanity's upcoming battle. Traitors to humanity. The only thing that low-level members can know at the moment is that they are a newly formed opposing faith, contradicting existing orders. Sahak says, there are a few things that can help me distinguish them from most others, and I am capable of discerning even the slightest differences. From that I will judge who is serving their lord of heresy. And my instinct right now tells me you are very dangerous. He points his weapon at Zephyr. From now on, you had best answer my questions truthfully. Member of the heresy appraisal team. Anything you do and everything you say can be used against you. Make sure you always keep that in mind when answering me. Zephyr stares at him. Before that, can I ask you something? Sahak's subordinate scolds, "You dog, how dare you?" Sahak signals him to stop ask. Zephyr coldly says, "Can we change locations?" Sahak asks doubtfully. "What is wrong with here?" Zephyr replies, "There are too many irrelevant people witnessing. If they happen to see something bad about you, I hope you can continue to uphold your honor as a member of the heresy appraisal team." Sahak's eyes become terrifying. "You dog." He sneers. "Ha ha ha. You are overly confident, so you mean you alone can handle all 5 of us. All right. Good. The more people like you, the prouder I am of my mission." A magic circle is formed, taking him as the central target. Chain territory skill. Allies within this range will have their power increased, usage time. And the time increases with the number of users' equipment can be activated to compensate for the user's skill deficiency. Zephyr thinks, "Oh, this is getting more and more interesting. If so, I will begin." He puts his hands in a martial arts stance. With this, Sahak frowns tightly. That stance, it is clearly just a strange martial arts stance. Should I wait for him to make the first move? His body rushes forward as fast as lightning. Others will think so. But it is useless because I am the strongest among those standing within the range of chain territory. He swings his blade, speeding up. A chain attack is launched towards Zephyr, but he, with a flexible body and graceful stance, avoids all of it. Zephyr blocks Sahak's blade with one hand. His other hand, hard as iron, punches him in the face. He dodges backward and somersaults away. Immediately after, Sahak lunges and kicks Zephyr's leg hard, trying to trip him. He is excited. Good. But immediately after, his face is drenched in sweat. This guy's leg feels like I just hit steel. Zephyr's fist powerfully strikes Sahak. He screams in pain, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. The weapon in his hand also falls. Sahak falls to the ground after just one punch. Got shouts loudly, reminding Zephyr, "To your right." The chain flail violently strikes Zephyr. He is pushed back several meters. The large man swings the chain flail. He laughs ferociously. "Oh, come on, play with your daddy more." Zephyr scoffs. "You certainly know how to talk, but do not say that to others, or they will think you are a pet dog." The large man swings the chain flail. All places hit by the iron ball are shattered. People around shout loudly, "Ah, rocks!" Dodge quickly. Got swallows a terrifying guy. After he fought in the dungeon, I knew he was strong, but just now he easily defeated Sahak with a martial art I had never seen. Even though that big guy's chain flail is smashing the ground and throwing rock fragments at him, he can easily stop all of it? What if he can win? Thinking back, Sahak will be very angry and ashamed if he is defeated like this. He will not be able to just report to his superior officers and request an official arrest warrant. He raises his hand in a cheering gesture. "If he wins, we will not be questioned and will leave. Good luck, Zephyr. If you lose, I will be arrested with you for supporting you, so do not lose." The person standing next to God suddenly speaks up. It is over. That guy is really unlucky. God is confused. "What do you mean?" The other person explains. Although he is doing very well by dodging and blocking everything with reflexes, as if granted by a deity, the problem is that this has cost him too much time. God still does not understand what does time have to do with it. Zephyr's arm is wrapped in chains. The large man has successfully locked both of his arms, while chain territory is maintained. His large muscles bulge. He pulls the chain hard. Hey, his body is pulled closer to him. Those within the range of chain territory will grow stronger over time. Behind Zephyr, he is violently slashed by Sahak. Fresh blood drips from his blade. "Ha, playtime is over. You should be quiet now. You should have groveled and begged to be thrown into prison from the very beginning. But now it is too late. I will make you regret what you have done." Sahak's power is increasing. Speed up. Chain slash is used. Haha. How does it feel? You cannot see anything, can you? A cut appears on Zephyr's face. All my skills have been increased by 80%. With this lightning-fast speed, you cannot even touch me. Not even a single hair. Countless cuts appear on Zephyr's body. If you have already seen your fate, then die. Haha. Haha, the smile on Sahak's face vanishes, Zephyr coldly strikes him on the top of his head. Sahak, like a beaten dog, face plants into the ground. His eyes are white and saliva drools from his mouth. Zephyr grabs his head. "All of you. How the hell do you guys coordinate?" Then he gives him a knee to the face. Sahak's head snaps back. "Ah, no way! The speed increased by my chain territory's effect and my defense. Are they both useless?" Sahak falls face down on the ground. Zephyr mocks. "Because you keep buzzing around like a fly, that big guy cannot do anything to attack me. If you want to brag about speed, you had better strengthen your defense. The chain is pulled taut, you dog." The big guy concentrates his strength. "Come here now." Zephyr activates the power in his body. "Yes, and you too." The veins on his hands bulge. "You bastard, why do you keep screaming there? Why don't you rush up and take a blow for him? Or are you afraid of close combat? In my previous life, if my subordinates managed the team like this, I would teach them a lesson right then and there." He pulls the chain taut in the opposite direction. The fundamental principle of using magic is its supplementary ability. The chain is pulled back towards him. The spiked ball hits the big guy hard. Everyone witnessing gasps. The person in the appraisal team lies motionless on the ground. Sahak struggles to lift his head. "What is your true identity after all?" Zephyr sneers contemptuously. "I thought you would ask something else. Is that the only question in your head? But unfortunately, you have no right to hear my answer." The person standing on the high floor watches Zephyr thoughtfully. "This cannot be. This guy. Did he send this guy to us?" The people around now suddenly realize, am I hallucinating? What is happening? Sir Sahak lost. Sahak's eyes are full of hatred. "Ah! He roars, I will kill you. Zephyr leaves, not bothering with the disturbance. The first step in the plan is done. The problem is once this reaches him, it is only a matter of time. Next, his body suddenly feels heavy. Zephyr heavily props himself up with his hands on the ground. Cannot even move a finger. Sudden weakness spreads throughout his body. This is an energy phantom. Energy phantom. A phenomenon where sudden pain and weakness appear when the body's magic power is depleted. He grits his teeth. Magic power is depleted faster than I thought after using that move. Although I have increased my magic power level, is this my body? 10 years ago, I am screwed if this continues. An anomaly appears in the air beginning to gather. A person appears from nothingness. I am the spirit of Shylock. I belong to the family of the god of debt, USRA. The user's magic has been verified as none. Starting the collection process for the Wall of Iron skill. Wall of Iron is not just a skill that increases defense and durability. The truth is, fatigue and damage accumulate as debt while the skill is active. As soon as magic power reaches 0, everything accumulated will be returned to the body at once. Countless adventurers have mastered it and conquered high-level dungeons, but they all went bankrupt and died. USRA, god of debt. A double-edged sword granted by the gods, the nourisher of human despair. He must have been drooling while watching my battle the bastard. USRA leisurely strokes his turtle while watching Zephyr. A triumphant and greedy smile appears on his face. The spirit begins the repayment process, calculating the accumulated damage. The weight in his hand enlarges and descends. Judgment complete. Countdown begins. 10, 9, 8. Zephyr grips his hands tightly. My body is too heavy. I must move. 7. Damn it. I cannot even take one step. Bekor. His whole body collapses. Even. He tries to bite the bandage on his left hand with his mouth. 4. Emergency recovery potion. The pulley moves. 3. USRA laughs triumphantly. The weight crashes down. 1. Zephyr, in a critical situation, successfully pulls open the lid of the recovery potion bottle. The weight slams down. Just 1 millimeter away, confirming the existence of magic power, canceling the collection process. The spirit announces, I will postpone the debt repayment until next time. Then he disappears. Zephyr regains control of his senses, breathing heavily. He laughs triumphantly. Ha ha! USRA, you underestimated me. You thought I would not prepare for this situation. I am VIP survivor bro who has existed for over a year after humanity was extinct. Avoiding your traps is as easy as pie. And if I use my magic power well, Wall of Iron will be a more effective and safer skill than ever. He spreads his limbs lying on the ground. Let us see, in my previous life, this skill was sold for about 500 gold or more. Most skills are expensive. Damn it, it is a common skill for those who want to escape. Even in my dreams, I never thought I would encounter such a situation. He raises his hand to the air. Thank you, idiot. USRA is so angry he crushes his turtle. Zephyr vaguely opens his eyes. Huh? Did I just pass out? Who am I? Where is this? The nun smiles kindly. Welcome, dear guest. Did you sleep well? Did you dream of me? Zephyr is dumbfounded by the situation before his eyes. He looks up. What do you want to do? The nun explains. Ah, did I surprise you? You woke up to a strange scene. Do not worry. This is just my workshop. You must have been very tired. You have been unconscious for a very long time. And because of that, your loan is an hour overdue. Her expression changes. Dear guest, are you crazy? She takes out a sharp knife. I heard you jumped into some pretty dangerous things. Since you have been running around with your guarantor, the interest rate is already overdue. If this continues, we may conclude that you have no intention of repaying the debt. The knife suddenly plunges down and stops on Zephyr's pupil. The nun asks angrily, You bastard, are you going to repay the debt? Zephyr finally remembers. Oh right, I have another loan here. If I use magic in this situation, the collection process will start again, I have to say it. So he quickly speaks up. I will receive the reward from clearing the dungeon next week. Please wait until then. The nun fiercely says, Of course we will take that. But what about the debts you incur every day and the compound interest you have not paid until now? How do you plan to pay off the interest that piles up every day while waiting for that tiny reward? You said it was a kobold carcass. Do you think that is enough to cover the amount? What are you planning to do? Do you want to sell your organs now? She orders you guys, the others reply. Yes. The rope binding one of Zephyr's hands is cut. 2 strong men firmly grasp his hand and place it on the table. One holds a knife. The nun covers her mouth and laughs darkly. Now I will only take a finger, dear guest. Perhaps you have underestimated this temple, but you will change your mind if you lose a few fingers, won't you? Zephyr shouts. Wait a minute. What was that name? If I can just remember that name. The nun orders cut it. The knife wielder raises his hand. Zephyr mutters a name. The nun's eyes widen. When the blade is 1 millimeter from his finger, she shouts, Wait, this name She asks, Hey, what are you? The servant asks, Is something wrong, sister? The nun orders everyone out. The servant is stunned. Yes. The nun shouts, I told you all to get out. The servant is confused. Huh? Yes. Oh, sister is angry. Let us run quickly. The room becomes silent. The nun slams her hand on Zephyr's head. She leans close. Tell me truthfully, how do you know that name? Zephyr pulls the corner of his mouth. How could I not know that name? Sister. Or should I call you the monster broker White Rose? A nun in the Temple of Light. Anna Primrose, and her second personality's name is the broker White Rose. You maintain contact with the underworld and exchange monster carcasses equipment and even human information. Only a madman would dare to rush into a dungeon with just cheap equipment from hunters. That is why I had to negotiate with this woman to get some supplies. He says I was on my way to find you. Being brought here by you like this, I am overjoyed. Why do not you untie me first? Don't you think it is a bit awkward to negotiate while I am still lying in bed like this? Why do not we try to have a proper conversation? Objects are thrown and broken in anger. The medic advises, Sir, please calm down, please calm down. Sahak remembers Zephyr's contemptuous smirk. Is that all? You have no right to know that he shakes with anger, cursing, how dare that guy? I will kill him. I will definitely send him to meet the king of hell. Someone walks in. What is this mess? Who dares to cause trouble in the hospital like this? Sahak is startled. Ned, Sir Ned. He quickly gets off the bed. You are here. Ned signals. Ah, just lie down. Sahak orders his subordinates. Hellers, you can withdraw. Let me handle it. The two reply, yes. Ned says I heard about you. Sahak worriedly. I am sorry I made a mistake and you do not need to worry about what happened. The dagger blade cuts across Sahak's mouth. Ned's expression turns fierce. Not worry. Everyone I met today all evening kept blabbering about that incident, and you tell me not to worry about it. Sir Matthias always told me not to do anything that would shame us. Yet you dared to be beaten like a useless dog in front of those slaves. The sharp blade sweeps across. Fresh blood drips. I guess the reason you got away with doing such foolish things is because people already know your type. When you first caught those demon worshippers, I even thought you had some special talent, Sahak. However, including those devil worshippers, the total number you have found in the past half year is only 2. Your superiors feel you are losing value. They wonder how much longer they have to tolerate you. And now you have turned our sanctuary into a joke in front of everyone. Sahak trembles, begging, Sir, please, just one more chance. Anything I will do, anything, so please. Ned steps forward. Just follow what we always do. He bends down. Do not let those who shame me live. We will decide your fate after that. Sahak trembles. If I cannot even do this, it means they will strip me of my crimson uniform. Ned throws him a bag. Use this. Sahak opens it. This is from the devil worshippers. He is stunned. Sir, isn't this? Ned cuts him off. It is in the room of the devil worshippers you arrested last time. It is up to you whether you use them or not. However, you do not have time to choose the method of completing the mission. Choose so you do not regret it later. Only Sahak is left in the room. Mad Dog, Sahak, enemy of all in the hunter army. The total number of hunters killed in the temple over the years has reached 26. If he returns to being a slave after all this, it is no different than offering his life to the slaves. Sahak bursts out laughing. Ha 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 ha. He grips the magic orb tightly. Do not mess with me. My life has just gotten better. I just escaped that miserable life down there. I cannot let it end here. The one who must die is not me but him. Ned walks away, still hearing Sahak's echoing laughter. He orders, remember to keep an eye on him so he does not cause us trouble. His subordinate replies, yes, sir. Ned shoves the man's mouth. One needs to understand one's situation with objective eyes. Only then will you not be discarded like him. His humor. He does not understand the real reason why we took in someone like him. The other man exclaims, well, perhaps I should thank him. It is precisely because Sahak caused trouble that the knights did not suspect us. Ned smiles smugly. Haha. We will intercept the items of the temple knights by infiltrating their upcoming raids. At the same time, we can also eliminate the temple's leader in the dungeon. And in the name of the Demon Lord, we will conquer the Temple of Light in the 3rd District. Ned Stryker, disciple of the Demon Lord worshipping cult. That is an important mission that will change the rule of the Demon Lord's religion. I will not allow any disruption. He instructs, all right, investigate that name further. The other man asks doubtfully, what do you mean by that name? Ned suspects he used our school's martial arts, but the only ones who know those moves are the master and us 4 disciples. Was he sent here by the master? If so, why did he not contact us properly? He is very suspicious, because I cannot risk approaching him and revealing our information. I will confirm it through Sahak. And if I find out he does not belong to our side, I just need to eliminate him. The nun digs her nails in. Ah, I do not understand. I thought this guy was just crazy. But this is truly astonishing. Zephyr asks. Hey, do you like it? The nun is startled. Huh? Do I like it? She coughs. Anyway, let me list it again. Sale list. Predator subspecies. No magic brain and partially damaged bones. Purchase list: high-grade amulets, X5 enchanted rosaries, X1 flint, X1 sun herbs, moon herbs, deer antlers, and so on and so forth. She confidently says, there is nothing on this list that I cannot find. The problem is just money. A total of 5,000 gold. You have to catch 3 more predators. Zephyr accepts. That is as easy as pie. I will prepare them in 3 weeks. Remember to find enough items before then. He looks at the jar on the shelf, but before that, I have one more request. The 3 members of the hunting team sit together with Zephyr. Gut speaks up. Well then, he raises his beer mug. Although we have already met, let us introduce ourselves again. This is our team's vanguard defender, Marco. Marco greets, nice to meet you. And this is Dale. Although he has only joined for 3 months, his skills are impressive. Dale remains silent. Gut looks at Zephyr. And this is the new recruit. We are all eager to meet Zephyr. He shouts, all right, let us all toast. The awkward silence makes him frown. He signals to the other 2, hey, are you serious? What is wrong with you guys? You should know how to liven up the atmosphere together. He is someone who will help us a lot in the future. Marco is confused. What do we do now? It seems he does not like us very much. Is it because our welcome party was too meager? but this is already the best food I could find, because we still have to pay off debts. Zephyr breaks the silence. First, let me say this. He reaches back to take something personally. I do not drink horse piss. He places a bottle of wine on the table. The other three's eyes widen longingly. Gulp. Wait, where did you get that in such a rundown town? Zephyr had prepared beforehand. This is wine I bought from White Rose. It is a high-grade type that slaves like us would not even dare to dream of. He pours wine for everyone. Have a glass. I will need your help in the future. The others friendly. You are nicer than I thought. The four clink glasses together. I am sure I can achieve good results with these people, and they will help me deal with the monsters around here. Whether they like it or not, from now until the conquest, we are comrades. Since I was in the same squad as Got in my previous life, I know what to do with him. With a good teacher, he will improve very quickly. However, as for the other two, since they died by this point in my previous life, I do not know much about them. Should I try to cooperate with them? Or should I eliminate them as soon as possible? Well, I still have enough time to make a decision. People often favor those who can provide them with what they want and need. Give money to the greedy, bring results to those who seek success, and flatter the self-important. His eyes shift. However, there are exceptions to these rules. But even if there are exceptions, I am not the type of person who will be nice to those who always want to pick a fight with me. Dale secretly glares at Zephyr. I do not like this bastard. When visiting them in the infirmary, Got said he will be very helpful in the next mission. I am level 4 and you are level 5. Don't you understand that even a 1-level difference affects how others treat us? You guys remember to get along with him. When he arrives, greet him warmly. Marco says, hey, I still cannot believe that miner saved our lives, and now you are making a deal with him too. Dale speaks up. Got, since you are the captain, you have full authority on this matter, but do not. You think it would be better to discuss it with us? Honestly, I think that bastard just got lucky and pretended it was all his doing while we were unconscious. How can a miner kill a predator by himself? Got laughs, pointing at himself. Ha 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 ha. Who killed it? Then Dale shouts, the problem is that deal. If we get caught, we could be imprisoned. We could even be executed. Those monsters. Marco signals for silence, quiet, someone might hear. Anyway, we have decided to let him join the team, and besides, the reward will be divided among the three of us anyway. I think we should just see how it goes. Dale slams his wine glass down. Do not joke with me. Just see how it goes. You idiots. Even though the self-proclaimed captain made the decision and the other one was bribed by wine, he glances at Zephyr. I still do not trust you. How dare he try to squeeze into our ranks? In time, we will soon know the truth. Liars like him do not last long. That is how the hunter profession is. The dungeons will teach him a lesson. The four people arrive at the cave town of Adderlin. This is a town formed hundreds of years ago by people building houses in the mountains. Marco exclaims. Wow, I did not know there was a place like this 2 days away from the temple. Dale looks into the distance. Are those all houses for people to live in? That is interesting. Got introduces. It is even more spectacular inside. It has everything from living rooms, bedrooms, kitchens. That is why people coming from the temple in this direction or sent on diplomatic missions will be housed here. When I was a rookie, I also visited this place. Marco is envious. Really. You should have taken me with you back then, instead of deciding to bring me here after it has become a monster nest like now. Figures appear at the entrance. The inside is covered in spider webs. Mana application skill, mana wave. Zephyr moves between the threads. I can expand the range of my senses by radiating mana from my body or transmitting it through the ground. Within the radius of the mana wave, from the shapes of objects, unexpected movements, to magic items, I can perceive everything clearly. The people behind follow his footsteps. A few minutes ago, they were surprised, a steel spider. Is there that kind of monster where we are going? Zephyr replies. Yes, you can tell by the marks at the entrance. Currently, our plan will be like this. First, we will move through the dungeon without touching the spider webs to get close to the pit of baby spiders. Then, we will pour paralyzing magic potion into the pit and wait until we can easily kill them. It will not be easy, because I have to constantly maintain the mana wave skill while inside. However, since they sleep during the day, as long as we are careful. Dale shouts, wait a minute. The problem is not whether it is difficult or not. If you are sure there are steel spiders in there, then the four of us cannot conquer that dungeon. Steel spiders are a type of monster that has a hard steel-like shell. Its attack stat is high, but its defense stat is even higher. The most terrifying thing is their reproduction rate. That is why a steel spider nest is even harder than a mature predator. Dale says, that is not a place we can handle. Let us go back and report. At least bring a combat team. Zephyr replies, that is not a bad idea. If you are not confident, I will not force you to come with us. Anyway, I alone am more than capable of handling this place. Dale frowns. I did not expect him to say that. But because of that now I know for sure. That bastard is a fraud. I did not witness him hunting a predator alone and fighting Sahak of the Heresy Appraisal Team one-on-one. He is confident that he can conquer a steel spider by himself. There is no way someone of that level would cooperate with people like us. So that means this dungeon is actually not that dangerous. He secretly acts on his own. He probably did not expect us to still come along after hearing his warning. I will keep an eye on you and see how long you can keep up your act. His arm touches a spider web. Dale gasps, did I just make such a stupid mistake? Why is it so sticky? He curses, damn it. Countless spiders appear from the darkness. Dale turns pale. The black steel spiders swarm towards their prey. Dale shouts loudly, ow! Zephyr looks in the direction of the movement. They are here. He turns his hand and grabs Dale, pulling him back. He quickly turned and grabbed Dale, pulling him back. The black steel spiders bite his arm. Their teeth cannot pierce his skin. Zephyr smirks. What is wrong? Are you surprised? You cannot bite me. His other arm clenches into a fist. He punches the black steel spider on his arm away with one blow. A puddle of thin blood falls in front of Dale. Zephyr orders everyone gather quickly. The four gather at one point. The black steel spiders begin to shoot spider webs. After all, this is only a theoretical plan. I am not sure what is inside that dungeon. So if we have to fight, this is what we will do. Marco, wrap my scarf around your hammer. Dale. Could also use your cloaks to wrap your weapons. It is very difficult to cut through their spider webs with regular weapons. So everyone must use cloth-wrapped weapons to sweep away the spider webs. Marco realizes it really works. Although the spider webs stick to the hammer, I just have to keep swinging it because a single spider is weak. Got curses under his breath. Damn it, how many of these things are there? Dozens, hundreds. I cannot even stretch my arm. Dale roars, get away from me, you bastards. He exploited the relationship between them for personal gain and even took his life. Therefore, now I live only for revenge. I swear I will smash that damned Temple of Light into pieces. Thinking of the blood tear sword, Ned was filled with extreme resentment. Even if I have to travel the world, I must find the blood tear, the symbol of my family. But that was my thought until I heard about. Saying this, Ned was even more disbelieving and angry. Why? Why does Master have the blood tear? Hearing all this, Zephyr replied. Not long ago. Master spoke about the identity of the leader of the Demon King's cult, as well as the 12 disciples, those who operate the sect. Then he began to think resentfully about those in the cult. Aldean's image appeared in his mind. He was angry. The archpriest is half a member of the disciples. Dale clutches his wound. Ugh, damn it, it is a deep wound. I should not have been complacent and thought this was simple. I brought shame upon myself and had to rely on that bastard's help. Zephyr hands him a potion bottle. Drink it. This is a potion mixed with herbs similar in effect to a recovery magic potion. Dale is silent. Throughout the battle, this bastard knows everything that is happening. His comprehensiveness and keenness are truly on another level. He is so perceptive that he must have known from the beginning that I was entangled in the web. He asks, "Are you not going to say anything?" Zephyr casually says, "Everyone makes mistakes sometimes. Just be more careful next time." He secretly looks at Dale. I am used to this. In my previous life, I always had to train soldiers no matter how meticulously I guided them. There were still many clumsy people. This time it is not a problem because he has focused on dealing with the consequences after making a mistake. And besides, it is better for him to experience it himself than to just hear me say it. Although he seems to still doubt me after clearing the dungeon today, he will decide for himself whether he should stay away from dungeons from now on, or if he should listen to me. Dale and Marco, one in front and one behind, attack the large black steel spider. Marco hammers its body. Hey, Got stands on the side. Good. They are slowing down due to the anesthetic. Dale stabs his sword powerfully. The sword tip pierces the monster's body. Zephyr told them that the flesh near the belly is softer than the back, so aim for the belly. Dale realizes it is true. Everything he said is correct. The habits, weaknesses, and stats of the monsters, along with the most effective way to kill them. He powerfully slashes with his sword. Why does he know everything? What kind of person is he after all? His arm grips the sword so hard that veins pop out. Dale successfully cuts a line across the monster's body. The black steel spider collapses. The other two are overjoyed. We did it. Good job, Dale, he replies. It was not that hard. Zephyr speaks up. For a first time, that is not bad. Keep it up. He sits on the pile of countless black steel spider corpses that he himself dealt with. Dale is horrified. Insane. While we were killing one, he dealt with all the rest. The other two also sweat. How many of these things are there? Zephyr jumps down. Gather up. Got, let us eat. Got takes off his backpack. Okay. Marco is curious. What did you do before? Zephyr replies. Do I even need to ask? I am an adventurer. Marco quickly says, No, that is not it. Were you a former member of a large team or a disciple of a famous person? Dale looks over. I am quite curious too. Zephyr sighs. Master, he remembers a person from his memories. Zephyr slightly opens his eyes. First, only the boss room is left, the other three eagerly. So what do we need to do now? Zephyr takes a dagger from his backpack. Got cannot help but feel doubtful. He cuts off the black steel spider's leg. Its leg can be used as a weapon at the right time. Everyone can only go this far. Everyone get out. The other three are stunned. They seem not to understand what he means. 4 or 5 years ago was the time I worked as a hunter. Throughout those 4 years, many people died, but luckily I survived. The main reason for this is that I always avoided dangerous bridges. I only crossed when I was sure the bridge was safe. Don't you think clearing a dungeon with such a large team is too wasteful? Haha. I do not think it is that easy. I guess the quality of the magic stones is a bit poor, because they are from kobolds, and I only follow stronger people. Someone once growled, You bowed down. Thanks to that, my reputation grew very slowly. But what to do now? There is no one to protect me. Zephyr, with an expressionless face, tells his teammates, You guys only come this far. Everyone get out of here. Hearing this, the team members all agree. You planned to fight the boss alone from the beginning. Did you? I guess we should leave him to avoid trouble. Okay. In contrast to the captain, Marco says, Zephyr, about that, since we are already here, is it okay if we continue with you? Hearing this, the captain's face darkens. He bites his teeth silently, cursing Marco 8,000 times. Marco, what are you saying? Even Dale next to him agrees. I think so too. Don't you think more people would be better? The captain is very confused now. You too, Dale. The captain must think we are all crazy. Everyone snap out of it. We will die if we do something unnecessary. He secretly prays in his heart. Stop them, Zephyr. We are very useless, aren't we? And as he expected, he is a bit taken aback. It seems everyone misunderstood. My telling you to leave does not mean you do nothing. If you just leave, I will give you tasks. Hearing this, the captain must be overjoyed, unable to hold back his tears. A moment later, he also enters the queen spider's lair by himself. Under his feet are thick spider webs. In front of him, this place is their nest. He secretly thinks it is close now. Right ahead is the queen spider's room. This place is protected by spider knights. Spider knights protect the queen spider's room, and the one standing proudly in the middle of the cave is the queen spider. It is the master of the spider dungeon. He surveys the situation around him. He steps closer to them to observe. The spiders, seeing the intrusion of a stranger, stir cautiously. Perhaps this is the furthest I can go without being attacked. The night spiders protecting the egg-laying room always protect the queen so it can lay eggs. We do not leave our positions unless a creature invades the room. After observing everything, he begins his operation. Zephyr quickly extends his hand and summons a silver key. What he summons is a little flower. Without further ado, he quickly carries them on his shoulder, then throws everything at the night spiders guarding the nest. They are startled by the sudden attack and are a bit flustered. They frantically search for the attacker of their nest. After the flower gradually dissipates, he continues with his second plan. Zephyr pulls out a crossbow from his body, then pulls the bolt and shoots it straight towards the monster. The bolt, when it hits the spider's shell, creates a spark. The bolt burns in the air, propelling the flower. It will ignite, creating a series of explosions. When the explosion occurs, he quickly runs to the side. To avoid being affected by the explosion, he understands the spiders very well anyway. Of course, they cannot die from things like this. Just as planned, the spiders immediately cling to the person who destroyed their lair. But they have not run long before several arrows pin them. He sees that some of them have been hit by poison arrows and feels a sense of accomplishment. Great poison arrows. 72, absolute poison. King number 68, Belial. Characteristic, extremely painful. Most of the spiders in the cave are hit by poison needles, causing them to collapse immediately during the chase. But among them, one leading spider luckily slips through. It chases right behind Zephyr with the intention of not letting him escape. While chasing fiercely, it unexpectedly touches some mechanism on the wall. So unsurprisingly, it was hung upside down by its own thread. Going back a few minutes, he asked his teammates, "This is where the black steel spiders produce their silk. If you press it like a small bag, the silk will be released." A teammate asks, "Does this silk stick to spiders?" Of course, they will stick to the web if they do not secrete a special liquid from their eggs. He gives them the silk and instructs, "All you have to do is create a web where I tell you. Stay alert while waiting for me." Inside the incubation room, there is even more spider web than outside. We will be at a disadvantage if we fight in there. And the most thorough plan is, we must lure them out. Returning to the present, he grabs the rope tightly, then pulls it taut backward. The spider trapped in the cocoon struggles relentlessly. Not letting it wait long, he quickly swings his sword, then slashes across its body. Now he only has to fight the night spiders. He looks at it with triumphant eyes containing contempt. "You are too weak." The last night spider falls to the ground with a thud, then is immediately crushed. Done, he flies like the wind in one direction, thinking, it is here. He runs as fast as he can. Chasing right behind him is a queen spider. The queen spider finally makes its appearance. He is secretly excited. The queen is here. In a critical situation, his teammates constantly urge him to hurry up. As soon as it appears, it puffs up its cheeks, intending to give him a welcoming gift. Then a stream of purple liquid is sprayed from its mouth. He struggles to run, thinking, the queen's poison is a strong acid, but the terrifying thing is its special effect. He recalls a professor's words, "Its inherent curse destroys the opponent's shield and self-recovery ability. Those with low magic energy will melt before they even have time to be afraid." And importantly, he said, if you want to live, do not let it touch you, dodge it. Following the professor's advice, he tiptoes and leaps high, avoiding the poisonous liquid from hitting him. A moment later, he finally exits the queen spider's lair, taking it with him. The spider still refuses to stop, its mouth continuously spraying poison everywhere. A rock, hit by the poison, is immediately destroyed. The spider flies towards him. The battle officially begins. He shouts loudly, signaling to his teammates, "Everyone get to your positions." Hearing this, the group is a bit surprised. He rushes fiercely straight towards the queen spider. Zephyr takes a running start and jumps high. He holds 2 scythes of death in his hands and strikes 2 blows on the spider's body, then lands on the ground in a cool manner. The spider, in pain, angrily flails its legs everywhere. Against its attacks, he just stands there, stoically raising his scythe to block. His face is cold as he utters 2 words, "Come here." The queen spider, hearing this, seems to be invigorated. It rushes wildly to attack him. "According to the plan, I will fight on the front line, because I am the only one who can take down the boss." He recalls the time Zephyr assigned tasks to his teammates, while I distract it. "You guys wear down the boss's health." Hearing the plan, everyone could not help but break out in a cold sweat. Their hands are still shaking, unable to hold their weapons. "In the past, I always avoided dangerous bridges because life is paramount. Therefore, we will listen to you." They are a bit scared, wondering if next year will be their death anniversary. They ask themselves, "Can we kill it?" Dale also grits his teeth, sweating profusely. They remember the taunts of the other people. "Hey, you guys, prepare food for us again. While you are at it, clean our equipment too. What are you guys, hunters too? Are you kidding me? What can you guys fight if you want to be useful? Help us with chores." Then a mocking laugh. The more they think about it, the more resentful they become. "Damn it, how much longer do we have to endure being treated like this?" Dale secretly makes a decision in his heart. We have come this far. There is nothing to fear. He swings his sword, showing his determination. We can take it down. The captain sees Dale like this and is a bit startled. Dale. Marco also closes his eyes, thinking, that is right. Before, we never tried to confront monsters like this. At most, we only dealt with a few small fries. However, since that guy decided to join the team, something has changed. Marco also raises his blade. He secretly thinks, until now, Zephyr has predicted everything that happened to us perfectly. Let us trust him. One more time. After standing there analyzing, he shouts, we can do it. Move forward. Hearing this, the captain can only cover his face helplessly. Damn it, these bastards do not listen to me. If you guys keep doing this, then I have no choice but to contribute. After saying that, he also rushes forward to fight the monster with his teammates. They observe the monster and discover that its armor has cracked after the recent explosion. According to the planned strategy, we will deal damage if we hit it only. Its outer shell is hard. All three take their weapons and rush to attack. So let us try it. The spear pierces deep into its shell. Another person also picks up a hammer and gives it a few loving blows. Everyone aim for this spot, the nerve cluster located between its two legs. We will cut that spot with a poisoned blade. Dale is in charge of holding the sword and giving it a few slashes. Then he becomes more excited. All right, I have a hunch. While happily fighting, Dale carelessly falls into the queen spider's encirclement. His face gradually turns pale. Damn, I cannot dodge. Just when they thought they would have to say goodbye to him here, Zephyr attacks, attracting its attention. It angrily swings its pincers, striking at him, and carelessly releases Dale. He coldly asks it, what are you looking at, you insect? Hearing him say that, it seems to understand, opening its 4 eyes wide and staring at him even more intently. Then he swings his scythe, attacking it. His face hardens just like the face of death. Zephyr continuously throws punches at its front, giving it no time to react. Dale observes the battle and cannot help but exclaim, his skill is incredible. He blocks all of the queen spider's attacks. His speed is so fast that I cannot even keep up. He recalls the previous conversation. We are so weak that we cannot do anything right yet. You want us to be the main attackers. I would rather deal with it myself. Zephyr just calmly says, you guys are not strong enough because I am the one who burned all the eggs, so the queen spider will only focus on me. It will not pay attention to you guys. The important thing is that above all, the queen steel spider has a characteristic. The more Dale thinks about it, the more he feels it is true. I knew it. Just as he said, the battle has been going on for 5 minutes. The queen spider will definitely stay still in one position. It jumps down. Because spiders usually stay in their nests to lay eggs, they have a habit of limiting the movement of their hind legs. Therefore, the position between its legs is usually a safe place. Besides, except for stomping and spitting webs, most of its attacks will focus on the target in front of it. I realized this attack characteristic after fighting many large spiders in the dungeon. Thinking this, his hand holding the sword tightens. Not to mention Zephyr will attract the queen spider's attacks. If we can eliminate its ability to move with paralyzing potion, taking it down is only a matter of time. After calculating, he takes his sword and rushes to attack it. With that information, the three rush to attack the spider's weak points. With determination, we can do it. One attacks the soft flesh inside its body. Another attacks its hind legs. Surprised by the attack, it uses its front legs to swat the three away. The queen spider angrily roars, its mouth wide open, as if wanting to poison them to death. Zephyr also takes a running start and jumps onto its body. Having completed its task, it angrily flails its legs wildly, kicking up dust everywhere. The 3 people hit by it are sent flying far away. It is so angry that it can no longer feign silence. I will not forgive these humans who dared to harm my children. Do not even dream of a peaceful death. I will poison and melt your entire bodies. Before it could finish its threat, a hand swings towards it, lovingly touching its head. He firmly grasps its poison gland in his hand, thinking the poison gland is in its neck. After confirming that this is the poison gland, he firmly grasps it, a bit easier than expected. Then he quickly removes its poison sac, then takes out a piece of cloth, ties the poison sac tightly, making it temporarily unable to act freely for the next few minutes. Looking at his achievement, he feels a bit triumphant. This way, it will not be able to use poison for the next few minutes. After successfully blocking its mouth, he quickly left it. Then I leaped up. Zephyr grimaced, reassuring himself that there was nothing to worry about. The spider was furious by now. It charged at him, attacking him continuously. Zephyr dodged those attacks. Do not rush. Remember to act decisively, he told himself. He stared at the monster in this battle. A tense confrontation between the queen spider and tiny humans. The one who loses focus first loses. When the queen spider fell, the 3 men cheered joyfully. We did it. They high-fived. We did it. The blonde man watched them cheer, thinking that was not the main point. He thought of Zephyr. He let us do that guy. Thinking of that, he suddenly realized, I get it. When it comes to hunting, everything goes smoothly thanks to the commander. He looked at Zephyr, thinking perhaps if I continue to follow him, At this moment, Zephyr was looking at the queen spider. He thought since we cannot hide the existence of the queen spider here, we cannot take all the spoils as we did with the predator. Perhaps I need a pair of larger spiders and bring them to White Rose. You should only take what you need, a voice echoed behind Zephyr. Big brother. Zephyr turned around to see the blonde man spreading a mat. He said kindly, Big brother must be tired, right? Big brother, please rest. I will take care of the rest. Zephyr stood looking at all the blonde man's actions, speechless. The young man's voice kept echoing, giving him a headache. I may look like this, but I am great at dismembering monsters. Are you thirsty, big brother? Please drink, big brother. With that, he offered him water. Zephyr sat drinking water and sighed. Then the blonde man turned to his two brothers and said, "What are you two doing there? Are you going to make big brother Zephyr wait?" The two asked in surprise. "What big brother?" Zephyr closed his eyes, thinking. "Thanks to their help, I saved a bit of energy. If this continues, I will not have to worry about being killed while hunting." He looked at the three young men, thinking to himself, the three of them are not too bad. As for their combat strength, he did not rate them highly. They are just so. He thought they would not be of any help when fighting that guy. From experience to equipment and personnel, it is not enough to face what is coming. He was determined. I must quickly find a way. In a spacious and splendid fortress, a voice echoed, "Indeed, this is a predator. I did not expect you to return with something so valuable." The girl with blonde hair wearing a nun's habit was White Rose. The man was pleased with the girl's achievement. He gave her a bag of reward money. He said, "This is exactly as agreed. I guarantee this will not disappoint you, so make good use of it." The girl looked at the large bag of money and was extremely surprised. "Oh my, so much." The girl told the man, "Thank you. The goddess will surely reward your generosity. Do you have enough subspatial bags? If needed, we can give a few to Zephyr." Zephyr, standing behind, had clearly heard all their transactions. He looked at them performing the transaction, thinking to himself, "She is performing shady transactions right in the temple in broad daylight. What an interesting sight. And surely there is no one in the world naive enough to believe that all temples are sacred places immune to corruption." It was an obvious fact that the money believers donated to temples kept piling up, leading to entire cities being built around temples. All because the temple knights and battle slaves always ensured that monsters could not get near the city. He stood with his arms crossed, thinking, perhaps safety is indeed a luxury privilege. At least for now, people can still buy safety with money. Later, even selling oneself might not guarantee safety. Zephyr and White Rose walked through the city. She told him it is lucky that both the buyer of the predator and the buyer of the steel spider arrived just in time. We also sold them for a good price. She winked at him. "But I did not expect you to find a steel spider so quickly. You are more impressive than I thought." He did not care about her words. He only cared about the money earned. He asked her, "So how much have we made?" She thought he looks handsome, but is so cold. She checked the ledger and told him, "We have reached 48% of the goal. 20% of the sales money was used to pay the temple's debt. Oh, and also," as she spoke, she handed him a set of clothes. She said, "I have requested the research lab to be cleaned up. This is the work attire and access card you will need." She looked at the list for renting silver alchemist sets. She said, "Because true alchemist sets are usually quite large and have a lot of important equipment, I could not find a way to borrow them. Everyone in the research lab leaves by 7 p.m., so you can use the place freely. Just remember to clean up thoroughly when you are done." Zephyr thought, "Good, at least this is safer than stealing, since they always need people to clean the research lab. They might call me tonight." He told her, "There is no other way." She smiled and linked arms with him. "Do not worry, you will be paid." 2. Suddenly a voice echoed, "So the sister is here." Zephyr turned around. He was extremely surprised by the person who had just appeared. A red-haired young man in a cloak approached. He said to the girl, "I was looking for you, sister, because I have a few things to convey. If possible, could you spare some time to talk to me?" He spoke to the girl, but his gaze remained fixed on Zephyr. Zephyr was very surprised. He had not expected to meet him at this time. Yes, Zephyr knew him. He was Ned, a member of the Heresy investigation team, one of only 12 first-class investigators and a capable member recognized by the temple itself. He thought, as for me, At this moment, the girl smiled and replied to Ned, "Oh, what is wrong? You are not going to ask me out, are you? So you are here to borrow money. What to do now?" "Currently, I am dealing with something." She thought, although he is talking to me, his real target is the guy behind me. Ned is Sahak's superior, the one who was beaten black and blue by the guy behind me. I knew they would play tricks as soon as they had a chance, but this is really bold. I cannot believe they dare to cause trouble right in front of an apostle of the temple. Thinking that, she told Ned, "Let us talk later. Next time I will reduce the interest rate for your loan because Ned is very reputable here." Ned told her, "So what if I have an urgent matter to ask? I will treat you to tea too." He turned to Zephyr and said, "How about you come along too? What do you think, Zephyr?" Ned continued, "Speaking of which, you are quite close with our Sahak, are you?" Zephyr looked at him and said, "Who is that? My memory is not very good. I cannot remember useless people." Their eyes sparked fire at each other. Both radiated a dazzling bright power confronting each other. Ned was red. Zephyr was blue. The powerful magical energy radiated strongly, scattering birds. The girl broke out in a cold sweat, enduring. She thought, "What? No way. This powerful magical energy actually reacted so strongly. This guy is not just an ordinary battle slave. He must be on par with the temple. No, perhaps even stronger." Ned thought, "Being this close makes me understand why Sahak could not resist and rushed to fight him." Ned focused his magical energy into 2 fingers. He thought, "Although I did not come here to get physical today. But whatever, let us play a bit," after thinking that he channeled his magical energy to attack Zephyr, making him want to curse under his breath. "This bastard." Seeing the two continue to fight, the girl yelled, "Both of you kneel." Because it was a temple, even if unwilling, the two still had to kneel. The girl angrily raised her hand and slapped Zephyr. She grabbed his collar and shouted, "This audacious fool, are you out of your mind? Do you want to die? I must teach you a lesson. Follow me now." As she walked, she said to Ned, "And also Ned." She turned to warn him, "This kid is my toy. If you touch him, I will kill you. Watch out." Ned was angry but did nothing to her. He only endured in silence. Upon reaching the stairs, Zephyr leaned against the wall. White Rose sat on the steps and told him, "Can you not just rush into fighting everyone? Okay? That bastard is very dangerous." After a pause, she smiled and said, "I am still trembling here." She continued to explain to him that because he was a first-class investigator, he must be very strong. Moreover, no one knew his fighting style because everyone who had ever seen him in action had died. She stood up and yelled at Zephyr, "And I am so tired of you. Do you know that constantly rushing into dangerous situations makes things very difficult for me? If you cause trouble again, you will be dead to me." Outwardly, she was yelling at Zephyr, but inwardly she was thinking, "You are my golden goose, so take good care of yourself." After yelling, she exhaled sharply. She raised her hand to touch the wound on his face. She said, "Also remember to be careful. Outside the temple I cannot protect you." Zephyr pushed her hand away. "I just greeted him. If he truly intended to cause trouble, even you would not be able to subdue him. He thought his appearance shows that they are almost done. I must hurry too." He rushed away. The girl saw this and asked him, "Where are you going?" Zephyr replied, "Research lab." He paused. "Also, I want to ask you for a favor." The girl clenched her fist. She thought, "What now?" At this moment Ned walked thinking, so this is the power of the slave mark. Truly, he was angrily annoyed. He remembered when the high priest wanted him to carve the slave mark. He went to him and questioned High Priest, "What does that mean? You want me to be a slave to the Temple of Light? You want me to have that filthy slave mark carved on me?" Being angry, he did not notice the old man's expression. He continued, "You also know how much I hate them, so why?" Still, the high priest angrily interrupted him. "Ned." The high priest told Ned, "Two of our people who infiltrated the temple, disguised as priests, have just been exposed and executed." Hearing the high priest's words, Ned was very surprised. How can that be? The high priest continued to explain to him, "They have tightened security. The remaining brethren inside are doing their best not to get caught. We cannot use this method anymore." After drawing a stroke, the high priest continued, "However, there is still a way for us to embed someone. The apostles of light do not suspect those who have been marked. As long as you have the mark, they will not do anything. We must take advantage of that." The high priest held the pen behind his back and told him, "You will allow yourself to be marked, then infiltrate the Temple of Light and steal the spoils they collect from the dungeons." Ned told himself this was a mission only a novice could do. Ned. The apostles of light do not know that we have found a way to disable the slave mark. Ned thought, "However, now is not the time. We must wait for the right moment. Then we will surely make them pay those rubbish apostles of light." In a small village, the villagers repaired fences. They called out to each other, "Hey, let us eat first." A man turned around and asked, "Oh, is it mealtime already?" The laborers stopped to eat. They said to each other, "We have to do this every month. Why do the fences keep breaking? We have no other choice. Because a small village like ours cannot afford the temple's protection. We have to build fences like this." A man stood up and looked into the distance. "If we encounter monsters, I will chop them like this." Suddenly, he shouted loudly, "Hey everyone, it seems someone from the temple is coming." The villagers heard that and asked in surprise, "What?" At this moment, a blond man with a mark on his forehead arrived. A villager approached him and greeted him. "What brings you to our shabby village, sir?" He answered the question by asking back, "How many people are in this village now?" The man who had just approached him said, "What about 50 people?" Hearing that, he said, "Not bad." Then he blew a red object. As he blew, a dazzling purple light radiated around him. This power attacked the villagers. They had no power to resist. The village was filled with gruesome blood. The man remembered when Zephyr defeated him. He gritted his teeth and thought, "The humiliation he caused me, I will make him pay 100-fold. He laughed loudly, his face looking truly fierce. Zephyr was in the temple's laboratory, a place specializing in researching and manufacturing potions and equipment. He selected some types of potions: green herb paste, peony bark covered with mushrooms, rotting kobold corpse fluid, centipede corpse mushroom. Zephyr was in there. He thought, if I boil these ingredients with the queen spider's potion, thinking that he put everything into a jar and boiled it. After boiling, he held the jar up with tongs and looked at his result. He thought, it is complete. 72 ultimate potions of Fade, number 61, Dragon. In a room, White Rose held a piece of paper and sat on the bed watching Zephyr sharpen his knife. She recalled the conversation between her and Zephyr. He said, "I will die if Ned and the other Inquisitors bother me. Please help." She was surprised. Lending you the room is a bit. Before she could finish, Zephyr interrupted her. "You said you would protect me when I am in the temple. Would you not lose money if I die?" After recalling, she thought that he was not wrong if I helped him. She bent down to look at the paper. What kind of monstrosity is this? On the paper was a drawing of a human body with countless dots marking acupuncture points. At this moment, Zephyr looked at a piece of wood. He thought Arcan wood is as hard as metal. He struck down on the wood with one palm. Under such a powerful strike, the wood broke into many small pieces. White thought to herself, "So amazing." She leaned down and asked him, "How did you separate it so easily?" Zephyr was heating them over a flame. He replied to her, "They are Eastern acupuncture needles used to cure illnesses." After heating all the acupuncture needles over a flame, he soaked them in a diluted Bedial and Zogan solution at a 1:100 ratio for 10 minutes. He thought the potion is very easy to use. Its only effect is to kill someone effortlessly. That is what everyone thinks. Who knew when demons invaded this world and the gods withdrew the power they had given? After a while, he picked up an acupuncture needle. The part soaked in the solution had changed color. He looked at them and thought, we can only rely on potions. He pierced his shoulder with one needle. When the acupuncture needle pierced his skin, blue veins spread across his skin. He coughed up blood in pain. The girl saw this and ran over. Oh my God. Seeing the girl about to approach him, he waved his hand, signaling her not to come closer. She remembered his words. Do not be surprised by what comes next. When I give the signal, do it. At that time, she was confused and did not understand what he meant, but now she understood. She asked him, what are you doing? He crossed his arms and told her, upgrading. He recalled Fade's 72 ultimate potions change entirely, based on the dilution level. And when you create a reaction contrary to the diluted potions, the potion transforms into a solution that enhances your ability limit. After inserting the needle into his shoulder, he was in immense pain. He gritted his teeth, enduring, thinking that the problem was that he had combined them, causing extreme pain and unstable skin. Zephyr gritted his teeth and thought, I will experience extreme pain, and my control will decrease. But I have no ingredients or formula to create something more stable. He sat cross-legged, circulating his internal energy. Internal energy circulation is an energy channeling technique, developed in the East, used to temper magical power. It is a technique to stabilize magical power through mana circuits. It can control the flow of magical power to heal internal injuries, and repeated use will increase the magical power limit. He thought internal energy circulation controls toxicity by circulating magic. I can raise my stats to a higher level if successful, but if I fail, my physical body will shatter. Zephyr closed his eyes and thought, so what? This is nothing, I can bear it. He remembered the time fighting monsters. It was truly terrifying. At this moment, White Rose focused on observing him. She saw that the blue blood vessels on his body had returned to normal. Before the first needle attempt, he had instructed her, once I am done, I will not be able to move, so keep an eye on the situation. When I signal, insert the remaining needle here. After speaking, he pointed to the top of his head. He asked her, are you clear? White Rose. She held the needle, thinking a poisonous needle in the middle of the top of the head. I do not need to be told what will happen. If it fails, death. She broke out in a sweat, holding the needle over his head, asking herself what she should do. Can I do this? Several hours later, in the northern forest near the Temple of Light, a red ray of light flew upwards. That ray of light formed a circle with a plus sign in the middle. A flock of birds was chasing and attacking the villagers. People holding swords and axes ran in scattered directions. As they ran, everyone shouted, they have caught up to us, run, run fast. They ran and cursed the scout dogs. They said it was the only nest with dozens of birds gathered here. Has anyone called for reinforcements? A man in a red hat said, I have fired the flare. The rescue team will arrive soon. He shouted, just run to the temple. Before he could finish, he was snatched by a bird. Blood splattered. At this moment, giant birds were eating people. A man in black tried his best to run towards the temple. He thought only 5 kilometers left to the temple, just 20 more minutes. At this moment, only the footsteps of the remaining people running away blended with the sounds of the giant birds. After running for a while, the man in black seemed exhausted. He panted, sweat pouring down. He looked up. A flock of birds surrounded him. He thought, I will turn into bones in 20 minutes. A bird opened its beak towards him. He retreated in horror. Having no other choice, he raised his wooden shield to block the bird's attack. He fell to the ground, sitting watching the bird attacking him. He let out a scream that echoed through the night. Suddenly, a white stream of power struck towards him. It turned out that the stream of power came from Zephyr. He punched the ground. The ground cracked into pieces. Zephyr looked up at the birds approaching him. He stood up, concentrating his power, preparing to deal with them. One came forward, intending to peck him. He quickly dodged to the side, avoiding that attack. Then he jumped up and grabbed the bird's head. It let out a cry. He used his strength to pull its head up. He pulled so hard that he broke its neck bone. A piece of white bone along with blood appeared. Its flock saw this and dared not advance to attack him, only letting out noisy cries. He fought 12 monsters outside the dungeon. Total bird neck bones are 12. He looked at the remaining birds. Then he used his power to shoot rays at them, destroying every single one. The man in black, witnessing Zephyr fighting the birds, was very surprised by Zephyr's power. He alone had destroyed 12 birds. Seeing the mark on Zephyr's arm, he thought reinforcements from the temple have arrived. He thought in fear, but he is alone. At this moment, a voice interrupted his thoughts. Where is the nest? Only then did he react. He replied, yes, sir. He pointed to him. If you continue on this path. Before he could finish, Zephyr rushed forward, leaving a trail of white light in front of the man in black. He thought, damn awesome. Currently, he alone stood amidst a pile of corpses. He thought, I feel an irresistible killing intent from him, similar to receiving a mission from someone of superior status. So I immediately mentioned the dungeon entrance. After regaining my sanity, I regretted not asking an important question. But that was after he had been gone for a long time. 4/7 of my team members died in that dungeon, and 3 parts escaped. Only, I survived. He leaned his hand on the ground and thought, that place is too dangerous. I should stop him. He held his head, thinking I must wait for reinforcements. I should have stopped him from going there alone. What should I do now? He remained in the state of holding his head, then he opened his eyes wide at the scene before him. He stood up and looked forward. A red light emanated from that place. He was surprised and thought, how could this be? From the red light, Zephyr was pulling out the head of the final boss. Upon arrival, Zephyr clapped his hands to dust them off. He looked at his arm and thought that his body felt very light. It seemed his stats had increased by 2 or 25 times. It was a success. It would be even better with suitable equipment. He shot a green flare into the sky and thought about what equipment he should get. A green flare is a sign that the danger has been resolved. In the darkness, a man in a black cloak sat in a gloomy black space, he thought. Soon. A few days ago in a magnificent castle, a cockatrice nest was out of control. They were frantically rushing towards the people. Moreover, the medium-sized nest led by a 30-meter-long boss had been destroyed by a slave. That person was Zephyr. He had destroyed them with his bare hands. Elsewhere in the basement of the castle, Lucius, accompanied by Grimmer, was talking about the slave who could take down a frenzied bird nest. Both the crime scene evidence and witness testimonies indicated it. He gained attention to participate in the raid. 20 days later, Grimmer continued. It is too obvious he wants to join the raid team. Grimmer looked at Lucius, his lips slightly curled. Should we interrogate him to ensure he is not a devil worshipper? He is a senior heresy inquisitor of the 3rd Division of the Temple of Light. Lucius replied in a very somber tone. No. The corner of his mouth curved into a smile. Let him be Temple of Light. Grimmer heard that and immediately turned sharply to Lucius. He was curious, with a hint of panic. But what if we do not filter out the devil worshippers before the raid? Before he could finish, Lucius interrupted him. Grimmer, he shouted, no matter how thoroughly we investigate, we will not filter them out. Then his face began to darken. A very cunning smile appeared on his face. As long as they are useful, it does not matter if they worship heresy or not. Hearing these words, Grimmer was extremely surprised by Lucius's cunning and gaped. What did you say? Lucius walked forward, his hands clasped behind his back, calmly. They are not strong enough to reach the boss room. That is why they become low-lives who only know how to steal. Grimmer heard these words. He looked at Lucius with great contempt. Lucius continued. Therefore, we will use them to reach the boss room and eliminate them along with the boss. Grimmer closed his eyes and turned his face away, trying to suppress his discomfort. Sir Lucius is the commander of the Vanguard team. You are not the person I have known for 20 years. Do you remember? I objected to that plan from the beginning. Lucius heard that and burst out laughing. His mouth opened wide in a hearty laugh. Lucius's voice was calm. Therefore, I am showing you my friend because you are too worried. The two of them went down to the end of the basement. There was a room emanating an extremely cold aura. Lucius boldly stepped forward and flung the room open. Looking inside, Grimmer's jaw dropped. His jaw seemed about to fall off. His face was drenched in sweat. He was extremely surprised and panicked. Inside the room were meticulously sculpted statues of angels sealed by chains. In the hands of the statues were a spear and a shield, radiating a great aura. Lucius turned to Grimmer, who was standing motionless, looking at those things. Lucius looked at Grimmer and smiled triumphantly. The great spear of light and Michael's shield. I spent 1/3 of my fortune to buy them. Grimmer was utterly surprised and panicked upon hearing that, thinking to himself, those are all legendary items I have read about in books. His expression was very varied, panicked, surprised, and astonished. Lucius patted Grimmer lightly on the shoulder and whispered, The dungeon we spent 10 years conquering is now finished. No need to worry anymore. Lucius's face looked very confident. His voice was triumphant. I am invincible. Elsewhere, in a secluded village, the sunlight was very bright and colorful, illuminating everywhere. Inside a house, 3 young men walked proudly in the hallway. They were Goth Dale and Marco. Dale, drenched in sweat from strenuous training, cursed a few words in annoyance. I have not even warmed up yet. Why are there so many people in the training yard? Some are drinking milk by the bottle, others are styling their hair. Marco was drinking a bottle of milk. His voice was somber, and he smiled gently, saying, Perhaps it is because of the raid. I heard there are 2 or 3 remaining places for slaves. They are showing off to join. Dale was a bit annoyed. He raised his hand to scratch his head. Suddenly someone was in front of them. It was Sister White Rose, she said in surprise. Oh my. Seeing the sister pass by, the 3 of them respectfully bowed 90 degrees and shouted in unison, Hello, sister. She walked proudly past the 3 of them. Her voice was playful and she smiled, but within that smile was a hint of teasing as she said to them, Hello, pay your interest on time, you trash. Dale saw the sister pass by and looked after her in surprise. What is going on? Why did that devil woman come out of our room? In the room, Zephyr was gently rubbing the ring on his hand. He was sitting on the bed. Seeing the 3 of them enter, he quietly said, You are here. The 3 of them saw Zephyr with the ring on his hand, along with White Rose having just left the room. They all exclaimed in unison, Huh, a ring. They immediately thought he has been with her this whole time. The ring on his hand. Could it be? Goth trembled slightly. He pointed to the ring on Zephyr's hand, his voice slightly trembling. What is that ring? Zephyr calmly held out his hand in front of them, revealing the sparkling, gloomy ring. Zephyr's face was slightly lowered and he wore a very suspicious smile. I received it from someone. The ring on his hand was the purification ring which supports the wearer's mana circulation and enhances magic shields. It can use the curse removal skill once a day. He smiled triumphantly, looking down at the ring, thinking to himself, Rose has given me something good. Zephyr glanced to the side, remembering what Rose had said earlier. She sincerely placed her hand on her chest and said firmly, After reinforcing the equipment, this gift is quite good. I can enhance similar equipment. Tell me what you want. I should get for you. Zephyr finished his thought and smiled with great satisfaction. He thought to himself, She prepared for me before I even asked. How thoughtful. Then his mouth curled into a half smile. She really knows how to spend money. He thought to himself. At this moment, White Rose was walking down the hallway of the house. I heard from the informant at the black market. Her face was very serious. She thought to herself. Regarding the Persephone Assassination Guild, its members are all very mysterious. They all wear long black robes that cover their bodies, making it impossible to clearly see their faces. They exude the aura of a graceful and cruel snake. They use poison to increase their stats. They are legendary assassins who never forget their targets with impressive martial arts skills and deadly poisons. Peak hunting skills. Similar to Zephyr, hunting monsters and enhancing their bodies with potions. Similar to Zephyr taking dozens of poison-laced needles and piercing his body to strengthen his skin. Everything started from falling into this, she thought. She thought of the image of the cool Zephyr holding twin blades and fighting. She panicked and thought to herself, my esteemed client is an assassin of Persephone. She walked down the hallway thinking, because of the raid Persephone fell a few years ago, I heard that the high-ranking nobles who were once their clients are looking for survivors and the poison they used. White Rose smiled, but cold sweat streamed down her forehead. She thought to herself, the nobles want to get money, the best talent, and the best poison. Then she hastily waved her hands and moved her feet, thinking to herself, there is no time to find such a good monster corpse deal. I must make him my exclusive client. Equipment is paramount. I will buy you good equipment. Wait for me. Zephyr in the room realized something. He thought, looking puzzled. She seems to have misunderstood something. Oh well. Never mind. Then his eyes became extremely sharp. This is also good, he thought to himself. If Rose spreads rumors about me, he will find me Zephyr. Then thought of the figure of a person that was Fade. His back was large, holding a blade in his hand. Suddenly Goth patted Zephyr on the shoulder. His face was very swollen and his voice trembled. How long have you been involved with that woman? You are really interesting. Zephyr was also very surprised to hear that. The two of them stood dazed for a while. Suddenly Dale spoke. That is why he did not come back last night. Marco added fuel to the fire. You should have some male pride. Zephyr heard that and thought, what the hell are these guys yelling about? I have something to say about the dungeon. Zephyr suddenly heard a thud from outside. The four of them looked at the door, stunned for a while. Dale walked over and opened the door. Who is it? But there was no one outside. Dale was surprised and exclaimed, huh. Suddenly he turned around and saw a piece of paper stabbed into the door with a dagger. The paper stated it was an urgent request. Goth's team set out immediately and returned after analyzing the situation. They looked at the words on the paper. They exclaimed in surprise, who would secretly send such an urgent request? But it looks like an official document, and there is a seal on it. It is the seal of the Hunter Guild Master. The three of them were all extremely astonished. Zephyr saw this and immediately snatched the paper from Dale's hand. Let me see. When he finished reading the words on the paper, he was extremely surprised. Then he smiled triumphantly. This seal belongs to him. The request was written by Ned. He thought to himself, he has prepared this invitation. Then Zephyr crumpled the paper. He said, I will go by myself, with a triumphant smile. The next day in a forest, Zephyr was running at an incredible speed. With 20 days left until the Temple of Light's expedition, he ran without a ripple in his breath, still calm, his face icy. The dungeon they were conquering was the original dungeon, the tomb of the hideous princess, one of the world's 8 riddles, the fall of the ancient Media Empire. It was an extremely gloomy dungeon. The monsters were all skeletons steadily emerging from the dungeon's entrance. Because of its difficulty, it had been conquered for 10 years, but no one had reached the boss room. Therefore, the standards for the expedition were very high. Zephyr still continued to run desperately. To join, one must be in a level 5 hunter team for 1 year, or be a slave to a priest, or be sent a recommendation letter by that slave. Zephyr arrived at a valley. He did not stop, but continued to run straight. Only by satisfying one of the above requirements could one join the team. I am not capable of reaching level 5 if I start training now, he thought to himself. Then he leapt very powerfully, therefore, this time I will use Ned. Then he flew across to the opposite mountain. Ned is the private slave of the heresy inquisitor Matthias. If I trick him and get his recommendation letter, I will be able to join the expedition team, Zephyr thought to himself. Ned, the person who cannot fail a mission, attacked me. Someone with martial arts, similar to his Zephyr's face, immediately became serious. He intends to test me, he thought. Does he think I am an ally sent by his master? Suddenly on the road he saw a shack or a criminal stealing a secret martial art of a cult. If he wants to take me, Zephyr stomped hard on the ground, cracking a piece of land beneath his feet. Zephyr stood up. The surrounding dust obscured his body, but his energy radiated very clearly. How strong am I? He thought to himself. Zephyr immediately straightened his face and looked straight ahead. Opposite him was a figure also obscured by dust. That person spoke. You have arrived. He spoke triumphantly. Hearing that, Zephyr's eyes widened. This voice, he thought to himself. You came alone. Sahak spoke. Zephyr was surprised to think Sahak. Why is he here? He thought to himself, his eyes narrowed, looking at him coldly. Hey, go home and drink your mother's milk. I do not want to play with you. Hearing that, Sahak laughed gleefully and said, You have been running around in my head for the past 10 days. Then Sahak looked at Zephyr. It was only because of the sharp pain from the wound you inflicted on me. He then said angrily, continuing, I cannot sleep peacefully. Hearing Sahak say that, Zephyr remained silent with a pensive expression, just watching what he was going to do. Then Sahak, holding a sword in one hand and spinning a circle in the other, laughed. Watch my new move. Get ready to die. Suddenly, Zephyr's eyes appeared abruptly in front of Sahak, startling him so much he gasped and could not utter a word. At this moment, Zephyr darted past him like lightning striking with a thud, and he coughed out a sound. Now Sahak had been struck by Zephyr. He fell with a loud thud, face down on the ground. Zephyr then shouted loudly, "Idiot!" Now Zephyr was thinking that Ned is a perfectionist. He continued to think that idiot Sahak cannot probe me. Zephyr's hand clenched tightly. In his heart, Zephyr thought that he must be planning something else. While Sahak lay face down on the ground, Zephyr raised his voice and said loudly, "Stop watching. Come out now. Are you scared?" At this moment, amidst the hazy smoke and dust between the mountains, it appeared. Blending in with this hazy smoke and dust, a very loud gleeful laugh echoed. Suddenly, someone sat behind Zephyr and laughed loudly, making him ponder. A purple mass like a multi-tentacled octopus laughed gleefully. A hand holding something uttered a curse. "You idiot!" It turned out that Sahak had recovered and said angrily, "You are annoying me." The purple tentacles began to squirm, instantly transforming into something. It immediately transformed into something very long and tall, with many eyes and many mouths with serrated teeth. Zephyr's eyes showed great surprise, and he thought to himself, "This..." Sahak was now angry and shouted loudly, "I will kill you! Slowly and painfully, I will tear you apart." At this moment, Sahak rode that monster. He shouted a command, "Swallow him." This surprised Zephyr quite a bit, making him stand still and dazed. Zephyr extended his hand with a rather bewildered expression. At this moment, Zephyr's eyes suddenly widened. He thought to himself, "What is this? Why is this thing here?" Immediately, the Shoggoth tentacles began to move. It crawled all over the ground. Now Sahak, with a face full of excitement, laughed loudly. "Die." Suddenly something made Sahak's eyes widen. A powerful light appeared, piercing straight into the Shoggoth tentacles, making Sahak stand stunned. At this moment, Sahak gritted his teeth and thought to himself, why? The Shoggoth tentacles were coiling into a circle. Immediately, Zephyr blasted power into it. At this point, Zephyr thought to himself, the bioweapon of the Demon King's disciples, Shoggoth. He continued to think, I did not expect to see it here. The story goes that Shoggoths, they sleep peacefully as eggs, and awaken when they hear the sound of an instrument containing Hypnose's power. There is a letter about Hypnose's ocarina flute. It is an instrument used to control Shoggoths. The user can give different commands based on sound combinations. It states that it protects the user from Shoggoth's mental corrosion. It also states that Shoggoths are voracious creatures with no intelligence. Physical attacks do nothing to them. At this moment, a footstep approached. The surrounding tentacles seemed to want to swallow that foot. It was also recounted that it gets stronger by absorbing mana contained in the people it eats. At this point, its mouth full of fangs and tentacles with multiple layers of teeth and eyes formed a truly horrifying maw. It stared intently at Zephyr's face. Then it wrapped around Zephyr's body, as if to play with him. Zephyr's eyes were now staring at something. It continued to recount. They alone are a great danger, but they are not what makes Shoggoths terrifying. At this point, it talks about mental corrosion. Just by coming into contact with a Shoggoth, that person will experience a series of horrors corresponding to their fears and start hallucinating as if high on drugs. When the mind is completely corroded, that person will become insane, like an addict suffering from withdrawal. Then they will be like, they have gone berserk. Humans after going berserk will lose their minds and kill everyone around them. A mass slaughter will occur. Monsters created by the Demon King worship killing. Sahak stood outside watching Zephyr slowly being engulfed. He laughed gleefully and said loudly, "You drugged fool, you are definitely dead, my child." Then he continued, "You do not know what will happen next." At this moment, engulfed by the Shoggoth tentacles, Zephyr's eyes had turned bright red. Sahak said, "Those red eyes are a sign of mental berserk. Your mind will be corroded. You will die soon." At this moment, Zephyr's eyes were bloodshot with anger, along with Sahak's gleeful laughter outside, but Zephyr could not say a word. Then removing the curse, Zephyr wore a ring on his hand. He stood proudly, like a war god. At this moment, it talks about the purification ring which supports the wearer's mana circulation and enhances magic shields. It can use curse removal once a day. Now, Zephyr stood proudly amidst the Shoggoth tentacles, which continued to spin in circles as if to swallow him whole, while Sahak stood outside speechless. Right at this moment, a large hand squeezed Sahak's neck, making him unable to speak, only groaning and snarling his eyes wide. While tightly gripping Sahak's neck, Zephyr with angry eyes thought, "Before I only thought about ensuring my own life and those around me." Zephyr, holding a blade, bowed his head. "I thought this was the obvious thing to do in this cruel world. But one day, a different thought suddenly flashed through my mind. Looking up at the sky filled with soaring birds, Zephyr asked himself, what would happen if I had more comrades fighting with me?" He continued to ask, what would happen if the rest of humanity began to unite? Suddenly a hesitant voice, if only. Then the image of a certain man appeared. Next, the image of a girl. Zephyr said, "The one I love." Standing before a tomb with a crown placed in front, Zephyr asked himself, would they live longer? Hearing Zephyr say that, Sahak became afraid, sweating and his eyes wide. He thought to himself, what is this guy babbling about? Then Zephyr with a determined expression said, "Therefore this time," Zephyr continued, "I have saved those I could save and given those who desire power a chance. But it seems something displeased Zephyr. However, you do not belong to any of them." Then Zephyr's hand continued to squeeze Sahak's neck tightly, and he raised his voice. "How many people have you fed to that monster?" "Probably around 100. At this moment, Zephyr's eyes widened, looking truly terrifying. How many people have died for your mental masturbation, with self-respect and arrogance? Then Zephyr raised his voice in anger and roared, "Damn you, you piece of trash!" Then Zephyr angrily brought his large hand towards Sahak and said, "You do not deserve to live." Immediately, Zephyr threw a tight punch. Right after that, Zephyr struck Sahak with a powerful blow, making him spit out copious amounts of pink blood. At this moment, Sahak vomited a pile of blood because Zephyr's punch had made him that way. Immediately, Zephyr continued to punch Sahak's face with a painful blow as if his face was about to be crushed, teeth and lips mashed together. Then Zephyr, with a resolute expression, extended his hand and struck a few more times. Now, thunder echoed throughout the sky. Zephyr thought to himself that this skill starts an attack, and with the final strike, it attacks both the bone and blood that the opponent coughs out. It stops the flow of blood and summons lightning. This move is called Dragon's Roar, the fear of the Eastern people. At this moment, a hand appeared forming a circle of power. Now it was the secret martial art of the Dragon King. Zephyr, with the appearance of the lightning finger, began to combine, creating a sound that echoed throughout heaven and earth. He was burned black all over, his mouth wide open. Zephyr frowned, looking at him thinking, died without a dying breath. His entire body was electrocuted. It must have been very painful. He was not at all swayed, seeing him die in front of him in the most painful way he had to endure. He thought to himself mockingly, "Suitable for bastards like you." Then he vaguely picked up something with a strange shape. Zephyr looked around, which was still electrified, silently contemplating his recent battle with him. Physical attacks were ineffective against it. He slowly brought the flute to his mouth. Zephyr thought to himself, "So I can only use magic attacks with electric or fire attributes or use holy power. This is too easy for me. Just one more move, and it is gone." But why waste mana? Zephyr stood amidst the electrocution. He played the flute. He played its destructive harmony, breaking the magical connection with the Shoggoth's cells. Suddenly a voice from behind Zephyr. "You know that song? How surprising." A robe flapped in the wind. That voice continued. "That is the secret of the Demon King's disciples. The temple has never laid hands on it." Ned jumped down from above just as Zephyr turned his head. He directed his gaze towards Zephyr, smiled faintly, and then spoke. "You know too many things." Zephyr recognized him immediately. Ned. Zephyr's face clearly showed tension. He thought to himself, finally. He began to recall the image of him meeting Ned in the past. "Ned, the person who cannot fail a mission, attacked me. You have martial arts similar to his." The image of Zephyr being attacked by Ned appeared in his mind. "If I trick Ned and steal his recommendation letter, I can join the expedition team. He wants to test me." The flashback ended with Zephyr's resolute thoughts towards his immediate goal. "It is time I must pass his test and make him believe I am a disciple of the Demon King. This is the only way to change the future." And he frowned, seemingly harboring a deeper hidden purpose. Zephyr began to recall images of himself practicing martial arts in the past. The debt I could not repay before. He was determined with his goal. "I want you to have a different outcome in this life." He clenched his fists, showing his resolve. He looked at Ned with hateful eyes and a plan already formed in his head. "Therefore, I must trick him to get close to Ned no matter what." Ned spoke in the silent atmosphere. He smirked. "I have been watching you this whole time, and I have decided that—" Ned did not hesitate. He reached behind him and drew his sword. He drew his sword with fierce killing intent, and his words indicated that he was a target to be eliminated. With incredibly fast speed, he shot towards Zephyr. Ned aimed the sword in his hand at Zephyr. Zephyr also extended his hand, preparing to defend. He used his power to create lightning sparks around both of Zephyr's hands. Ned held the sword directly towards Zephyr with an incredibly powerful surge of energy. Ned's sword strokes continuously surrounded Zephyr to attack him. But it seemed not to affect Zephyr. Ned was slightly surprised, thinking to himself, "This feeling I missed every single one." Immediately, 3 stones, surrounded by Zephyr's lightning power, appeared from behind Ned. He quickly reacted in time, slashing all the stones heading towards him. Ned was no longer jesting like before. He spoke. "How interesting. I did not expect you to not only dodge but also counterattack." Ned thought, "On this continent, except for my master, there are not many who can keep up with my speed and attacks. He has another purpose." Zephyr, having missed his attack, was quite annoyed. He held a stone in his hand and said to Ned mockingly, "Hey, are you really using a sword against a Westerner without a weapon?" As if struck in a sensitive spot, Ned frowned in annoyance. He immediately put his sword down, then quickly assumed a very serious martial arts stance. Not to be outdone, Zephyr also assumed the exact same stance as Ned, with a very serious look in his eyes. Both of them were preparing to attack each other. Ned's lightning appeared. Ned and Zephyr exchanged blows, neither yielding to the other. An explanation of the rules of combat with the dragon finger. The secret martial art of the Dragon King envelops the body in electricity, generated from an explosion, thereby increasing the user's speed and strength. Zephyr circled his hand and lightning bolts began to appear, but those who use this martial art know how to block it. He looked straight into his eyes without any hesitation or fear. The Dragon King's secret martial art, yin-yang. Electric shatter has 2 poles, yin and yang attract each other. The 2 lightning bolts from the 2 people collided, creating a large explosion. But this defensive style has the same mechanism as 2 like-charged electrodes repelling each other. He was having great difficulty and hardship fighting to defeat Zephyr. He linked his attacks with the positive electrode and maintained the connection point with the positive electrode to dodge attacks. After a while of fighting, he thought angrily, "It should have been over, but in that moment after, I continuously attacked him with strikes faster than light." Case 1. If the body is not sufficiently enveloped in energy, the attack will not be deflected and will hit its target. When the Aldean shield is stronger than or equal to the opposite current, the attack misses case 2. When the Aldean shield is weaker than the opposite current, the shield is neutralized. The attack location, time, and quantity all need to be practiced intensely to adjust reflexively to the above criteria in a flash to apply it effectively in battle. It cannot be done with cheap hacks like copying to imitate. Ned was extremely angry. He did not know how it was real. His entire body glowed brightly, emitting a blue light from the lightning current. He gritted his teeth and thought, but that is even more annoying. Only my senior brother and I were taught the Dragon King's secret martial art. Ned could not bear it and asked, who the hell are you? In ancient times, the 9th-ranked Demon King's disciple, the Eastern Lord, Jin Ryang, the solitary dragon, a man from the east who had traveled through the demon land of the Saraha Desert from the eastern continent to this continent. That person had an entire army subserviently following him. He was the one who revived the Demon King's sect management mechanism with mysterious techniques and martial arts, Dragon King's art. There were 2 other successors, hundreds of other disciples who only knew the superficial part of the martial arts. They inherited the core of the Dragon King's art from the Eastern Lord. Among those 2 heirs, one was Jin Ryang's biological son, Jin Gang the Crazy Dragon, or in other words, his flesh and blood, and the other was the child he adopted on the Aslan continent, Ned Stryer. The 2 of them trained and sparred day and night. Both were required to master the martial art through practical combat, so only 2 of them were enough, because the core of the martial art had to be kept secret. The barren desert hazy with dust. First of all, you are definitely not those 2 core disciples. Ned frowned continuously, his voice low. Not only that you annihilated the sect's precious treasure, the Shoggoth. That thing was nurtured with the flesh and blood of 100 people specifically for this expedition. I do not believe you are a Demon King's disciple. Zephyr still stood proudly motionless, listening to his interrogation. Who the hell are you? What do you want? He raised his 2 fingers and smiled calmly, saying, it is simple enough that you did not think of it. Only 2 disciples are taught the secret art. But he thought for a moment, and then continued. What if one of them dies? He heard that and could not have anticipated it. If one person dies, the other cannot practice by themselves. The Lord is too busy to spend time training the remaining one, and training a new disciple takes a lot of time. The more he thought, the more he could not believe it, his eyes wide like a frog's. If that is the case, it is impossible. Zephyr smirked and said, I am the mysterious disciple trained to be ready in case one of the 2 RIPs. Shadow Disciple. A long-standing tradition of Eastern martial artists. A shadow disciple is secretly trained in case the official successor encounters trouble. They are someone whom even the sect's inner circle is not allowed to know about. They are a hidden card that helps maintain the sect's survival in an emergency, but they will be killed if the official successor develops safely and takes the position of sect leader. This is to eliminate future troubles, because shadow disciples are trained exactly like the official successors, and keeping them alive could cause problems. Zephyr frowned, thinking to himself, exactly. These are not things I just made up. However, a true shadow disciple cannot reach the tower to participate in the raid, because that person will be immediately tied up by Altair and her comrades. Altair, I bet you are doing things that are not quite suitable for a princess right now, are you? Zephyr smirked. He had devised a plan that he would take advantage of this situation. After listening for a while, Ned could not help but frown and ask, if what you say is true, then your existence should be kept absolutely secret. So why did Master send you here? Immediately after Ned continued, I contacted Master to confirm with him, but he said he never sent a disciple like you here. Ned intently observed Zephyr. This is a lie, but if he is an imposter, he will certainly make up some ridiculous excuse. Ned's eyes were full of suspicion. The Demon King's disciples in the temple are very difficult to contact the outside world. It is normal for an individual to make their own judgment based on the situation. I will eliminate him if he shows any hint of suspicion. Ned's hand was already prepared with power. Lightning bolts enveloped his hand. The orders I received are to conceal my identity from the Demon King's disciples and participate in the raid by my own power. I will take over your mission if anything happens to you, Zephyr said gravely. Hearing this, Ned could not hide his anger, gritting his teeth and asking, you know what my mission is? Zephyr calmly smiled and replied, why not? You will run away with the dragon heart in your hand. A magical stone formed inside the heart of dragons is called a dragon heart. It is the greatest item said to grant you power comparable to a dragon. Legend has it that 1,000 years ago Princess Eurydice was the first in history to find this item and took it with her to her grave. The Temple Knights would never be able to keep up with the Demon King's lightning speed. The moment you touch the dragon heart, no one can stop your escape. Zephyr pointed at Ned and continued, however, whatever you can do, I can do just as well. Ned was suddenly startled. Zephyr smirked mockingly. Master was uneasy leaving you to do the mission alone. Ned's eyes widened in anger, speechless. The reason I disobeyed orders and lured you here with these flashy things is because the conditions for joining the raid are more complicated than I thought. Why choose the hard way when the easy way is right in front of me? So that is it. But Zephyr rubbed the back of his neck as if helpless and said, but immediately after Zephyr put on a serious expression. Actually, I have something private to tell you. Ned seemed very annoyed. Something private to tell me. His footsteps retreated backward. Zephyr moved quickly, closing in on Ned, and whispered in his ear, "It is about the blood tear." Ned's eyes widened in surprise. How does he know about that? The blood tear, my family's stolen treasure I am following. Master to find a way to reclaim it and get revenge on the temple. The only people who know about this are Master and I. Ned did not know. So he just asked, "Tell me what you know about the blood tear." Zephyr crossed his arms smugly. "I will tell you once I evaluate you as trustworthy. First, why do you not make my life easier? You can add me to the raid team, right? I am sick of the smelly accommodations assigned to the last group of the hunter team." Ned remained silent, not responding. He closed his eyes tightly. I can never trust him. "Follow me. There is a place you must go with me." With that, Ned turned his back and left. The scene shifted to an abandoned mansion near the temple. Ned walked in and called out to everyone, "Brothers, I have brought back the last person." Ned introduced Zephyr. "His name is Zephyr. He was sent by Master to assist me in the mission. I have carried out the procedures to verify his background." A shadowy figure sitting in a corner spoke. "I thought you were quite attractive. I guess that is the situation." It was Grimmer, a third-rank Demon King disciple. He smiled friendly and said, "Feel honored to stand side by side with the Eastern Lord's successor, little brother." Zephyr immediately frowned in anger. Grimmer slammed his hand on the table. "With this, the slave-level candidates participating in the raid will follow the heresy investigators, and the hunter team has been decided as 40 of us, the Demon King's disciples. Since there is a new person, I will explain the strategy again. You must remember this. No mistakes are allowed," Grimmer said loudly, "for the glory of the Demon King's sect." Zephyr still appeared quite annoyed. He thought to himself that he had thought it would be good to find the Demon King's disciples hidden in the army by using Ned. But the fact that all 40 people are Demon King's disciples is so crazy that he does not know whether to laugh or cry. They are different from Sahak, who only trampled on items and monsters, or himself in the past, who had nothing but ambition at that time. Zephyr thought of the bearded old man and the masked monster. They were all very strong. They were an elite force formed with a single purpose, which was to carry out this mission. In addition, there was a bandaged man whose face was completely covered. "If you have so much power," Zephyr was silent. "So why follow that Demon King?" Ned glanced at Zephyr. The fact that he revealed his identity proves that Master does not fully trust him. Ned wondered if he even knew about the blood tear. How close were they to share such secret information? The one Master trusts might not be me, but him. "No, I must not waver," Ned comforted himself. "Master promised me." Ned recalled the past Master's words to him. "If you become important to me, I will help you get revenge." Ned clenched his fist, determined. "I need Master for the purpose of revenge, and for that reason, I will steal that dragon heart, no matter what happens. Not the shadow guy, but myself." Furthermore, Ned still looked at Zephyr. If he is the shadow disciple, the one who has been honed to replace me, then he might wish for something to happen to me, because if I die, he will naturally become the official successor. Perhaps he will hold a knife to my throat. Grimmer's voice rang out. "After explaining the strategy, I will divide you into groups. The escort group will follow our brother Ned and protect his retreat, and the assault group will confront the Knight Commander Lucius," Grimmer ordered. Ned extended his hand, wanting to shake Zephyr's hand, saying, "Since we have been assigned the same mission, is it not natural that we are in the same group?" Ned smiled, thinking to himself, "If he intends to steal my achievements and my life, it would be better to keep him close instead of keeping my distance. I look forward to your care." Zephyr looked at Ned's outstretched hand with suspicion. "Ned, in my previous life, fell after trusting the wrong person while blinded by hatred. You are the loyal and patient type. Being an enemy with him would be useless. On the contrary, I want him as an ally. If I can make him trust me, he will be a great help to me in facing what will happen in the future." Thinking that Zephyr extended his hand and shook Ned's hand, "I also look forward to your care. I have lost countless relationships. Unfortunately, among them, the first person I need to reconcile with is him." The scene shifted to a cave emitting gash-gash sounds. A stick pressed against Zephyr's neck. "Choose someone's" voice rang out. It was Ned setting conditions for Zephyr. "You will help me escape this place by learning the ultimate martial art technique. Or do you want to die now and become roasted pork? The first eccentric link made me the strongest human master, passed down the Dragon King's art to me." Ned. The next day, the sky was sunny and blue, harmonizing with a rainbow. The names of the members of the Princess Eurydice's Tomb Dungeon Conquest team were announced. At this moment, everyone stood silently to hear the announcement. The individuals named below. Please gather at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Everyone will live in the same lodging, while being trained to prepare for the start of the conquest. Furthermore, due to security reasons, communication and contact with people outside the conquest team will be strictly prohibited. Please pack necessary belongings and report to us if you see anyone arranging rewards. Finally, that is all. Now Zephyr also stood among the crowd listening to the announcement. With a pensive expression, he thought that everything was going according to plan. I should also start settling things down. Right now, many scenes of conquest appeared, such as the Dark Steel Iron Furnace Dungeon, the Cockatrice Nest, the village in the canyon where Ned faked the goblin action notification. I have achieved the feat of conquering 3 dungeons as promised to Goth. Immediately those 3 people bowed solemnly and shouted in unison, "Thank you, Zephyr. Thank you, big brother, for everything. Please take care." Then Zephyr stood with his arms crossed, silently looking at the 3 of them, and he said, "Now everyone has achievements. Plus, there are many vacant positions, because 40 slaves have been designated to participate in the special conquest. Everyone will be promoted quickly. Immediately after, Zephyr added, after being promoted, the path will become more challenging, so keep trying. A small blonde man with a hesitant face agreed with an, big brother. Hearing that, Zephyr showed a very surprised expression and asked, what? At this moment, the small blonde man lowered his head regretfully and stammered, nothing. But in his heart, he thought, please let me follow you. I want to learn from you, big brother. He further thought, I cannot tell big brother that. In the mind of the small blonde man, there was genuine affection for Zephyr. Although the time they spent together was quite short, he could still see that this person had an ideal, and that ideal was much grander than what ordinary people like them could imagine. In the small blonde man's head, his conscience seemed to be gnawing at him. He gritted his teeth and thought that weaklings like him were not worthy of following big brother. At this moment, Zephyr gently instructed the small blonde man. He advised him that if he just trains diligently, there will come a day when he can stand side by side with him. At that time, come find me. This made him surprised, moved and speechless, only able to stand and look at him. Immediately, Zephyr turned his back. I have high expectations for all of you. Hearing that, all three of them bowed and shouted with admiring voices. Thank you very much. Zephyr looked at the three of them, and in his heart, he thought that two people who should have died were still alive. Their bright eyes were proof that he had done the right thing. In Zephyr's intuition, he thought that these people would also die soon. 3 years later, if the Demon Emperor's cultists succeed in summoning many people, including them, they will all die. To prevent that, he must obtain the dragon elixir. Walking to another room illuminated by the warm glow of an oil lamp, Zephyr thought that the next step was... At this moment, Rose approached Zephyr and asked him, how is it? Are you satisfied? In this room, everything was meticulously arranged. Rose said to Zephyr, who was standing there contemplatively admiring the items, these are the equipment I found. Zephyr's eyes showed excitement. In Zephyr's mind, these things were very good. Looking at the weapons placed against the wall, Zephyr thought to himself, exactly as I requested. Then he looked at the other side, also filled with very good items. Zephyr thought that she had chosen dull weapons with good mana conductivity. The story goes that Princess Eurydice's tomb dungeon was teeming with moving skeletal demons. Because they were dead, they felt no pain. Their bodies were entirely composed of tough bones, rendering attacks like flesh, slicing great sorrow, blood dispersal, and extreme pain. Useless. A large hammer smashed the tough skeleton. In Zephyr's mind, he thought that was why to defeat the skeletal demons, he had to smash them with blunt weapons. At this moment, Zephyr put his hand on his chin, looking thoughtful. These weapons are of good quality, I will buy them all. Hearing that, Rose, with a surprised and grateful expression, asked, really? Immediately Zephyr reached out and grabbed a sword sheathed in a wooden crate. He said, among these. Then a long sword was drawn by Zephyr. He made a few experimental slashes, and then calmly said, I especially like this one. The treasure is the Sunset Longsword, an ancient artifact of a knight from 100 years ago, found in the Sunset Castle. Within this holy sword, a mysterious energy flow circulates. Immediately in Rose's mind, she thought that she had gotten this for her esteemed client's request, but using a longsword against skeletal demons was not very effective. She did not understand what he was thinking. Then Zephyr looked at his face in the shining surface of the sword. He thought that what he had to worry about in this dungeon was not just the skeletal demons, but in his heart, Zephyr thought that the Ming Kuang Temple was trying to end 10 years of effort in conquering this dungeon, and the Demon Emperor cultists were ready to fight to the death for the survival of the Demon Emperor cult. I have to fight against all of them to get the dragon elixir. In other words, Zephyr pondered further, the entire conquest team is my enemy. In Zephyr's heart, he had not yet thought about that. Moreover, looking at Ned's suspicious eyes, Zephyr thought that Ned still did not trust him. At this moment, Zephyr held the sword and closed his eyes as if troubled. He thought that even if he told him the truth, it would not be easy to convince him. If he failed to convince him and fought him again, this battle would not stop halfway like last time. Now Zephyr's eyes showed speculation that it would be a battle to the death. Suddenly a knocking sound was heard outside the door, surprising Zephyr. It turned out to be an enchanter entering with a gentle expression, speaking to the two of them. Excuse me, am I too late? She continued, I am Angelia, an enchanter, collaborating with the Research Institute. You are the esteemed client Rose mentioned, right? Looking at the hand enchanting the sword in a glittering circle of light, Zephyr thought that enchanting equipment with holy power and magical attributes is called enchanting. The better the enchanter, the stronger and more durable the enchanted power. Right now Zephyr thoughtfully added, if I remember correctly, Angelia is one of the greatest enchanters of the temple. Then Zephyr stammered, so I will rely on you. Hearing that, Angelia chuckled. Do not worry, handsome man. Then Angelia pondered, O Holy Mother, please grant us your light. Suddenly a golden light flashed brightly. Now everything was enchanted with golden magic, like clothes, household items, enchanted sunset longsword, household shoes enchanted, calamity mace enchanted. In Zephyr's mind, he thought that even though he had to prepare to confront the members of the reconnaissance team, he must not be careless in the dungeon. If he could not withstand the yin energy of the princess's tomb from the beginning, all preparations would be useless. Zephyr's eyes widened, full of suspicion. He thought that the basic preparations were now complete. Then Angelia asked, how will I be paid? Hearing that, Rose handed her a bag of gold. 5 pieces of equipment, total 3,000 gold. I will pay it all here, sister. Then Angelia happily took the bag of gold coins and waved goodbye to the two of them. Rose also happily bowed and said goodbye. Zephyr thought to himself, but Angelia, doing underground, enchanting, and only asking for 3,000 gold is too cheap. White Rose must have used her connections. Looking at the items around the room, Zephyr said, now let us calculate the cost too. Are you sure? Hearing that, Rose asked in surprise. Huh? About what? Then Zephyr, with a pensive expression, asked, is it not thanks to you that I barely had to pay any commission? This place is not just one or two pieces of equipment. Hearing that, Rose put her hand on her chin, thinking to herself that she had taken a small loss to score points. She pretended, it is nothing. We are all acquaintances. Immediately Zephyr looked over at her. You must have had to prepare in a hurry. Thank you. Seeing that Rose looked at Zephyr with a rather doubtful expression. Then Rose hesitantly replied, ahem, it is enough that you understand my feelings. Zephyr then asked, but what should I do? Immediately Zephyr said anxiously, I do not have a single penny left. Hearing that, Rose gasped in surprise. What, my esteemed client, what are you saying? Now Zephyr thought to himself that cockatrice byproducts were not worth much, and the village in the canyon was not exactly a dungeon. Then Zephyr calmly added, I did not find anything valuable. I have nothing to give you. Hearing these words, Rose anxiously stammered. How can that be? Not even a penny. What on earth did you? Immediately Zephyr held out a small key. Then Zephyr produced 2 vials, one blue and one purple. He asked Rose, can I pay with these? The first vial, Bellio, king of poisons, 68th deadliest. The second vial, Dragon, 61st deadliest. Rose heard that, and immediately thought anxiously for a long time. They are lethal poisons of the Persephone Guild. Seeing that Rose seemed to want these 2 vials of lethal poison, Zephyr held them up for her to reach. She was overjoyed. Of course, give them to me. Then Zephyr moved the 2 vials of lethal poison further away. Rose reached out and shouted, give them to me! Stop joking! Seeing Zephyr still joking, Rose angrily screamed. She was annoyed. You like to tease people, do you? Continue to demand the 2 vials of lethal poison from Zephyr's hand. Give them to me quickly. Then Zephyr gave the 2 vials of lethal poison to Rose and turned his head, saying, be careful when selling those, that merchant mole is dangerous. Do not sell to him. Rose happily held the 2 vials of lethal poison and caressed them. She replied to Zephyr, okay. When she saw Zephyr leaving, Rose waved goodbye. Take care, esteemed client. Come to me after the conquest. I will pay you the remainder. Remember to come. The next morning at a temple full of knights, everyone was gathered for something. Now a masked figure stood among the crowd, thinking, quite a crowd. If you count the knights and healers of the temple, how many people would that be? An old man glanced over and replied, around 100 perhaps. Elsewhere, Zephyr stood with Ned, thinking to himself that only a few of them survived in his previous life, and it would be the same this time. Someone's voice rang out in front of everyone. It seems everyone is present. It turned out to be a long-haired blonde man named Lucius, looking at everyone below. Zephyr thought that the leader of the conquest team was the head knight of the temple, Lucius. The members of the princess's tomb assault squad include 18 priests from the Temple of Light, 10 medics, 20 slaves from the hunter team, 12 heresy inquisitors, 6 medics, 20 slaves from the heresy inquisition department. He thought to himself. In total, 86 people are divided into 2 groups depending on their mission. The vanguard team fights in close quarters, protects along the way, hunts tracks, pioneers, and so on. The logistics team attacks from range, heals, provides magical support, and so on. The leadership consists of 4 people. Chief Medic Arno, Chief of Logistics, Leona, Chief of the Vanguard Matthias. And everyone around chanted Lucius, Lucius, oh holy divine, and none other than Archpriest Lucius himself. The cross is a symbol bestowed by the divine upon those they favor. Those who possess that cross will be called Holy Father or Holy Mother. While alive, they will inherit supreme power from the gods. After death, they will transform into angels to serve the divine. Lucius is a living saint who received the cross at the age of 7. He continued to think, everyone reveres the Holy Father and Holy Mother as if they are angels. They believe that witnessing the holy figures in person is a great honor. I did not expect him to show his face to ordinary members. Suddenly, a grunt interrupted Zephyr's thoughts. Zephyr turned to look and saw Ned gritting his teeth, glaring at Lucius. Zephyr could not help but think to himself when he saw Ned like that. Lucius spoke, I hereby declare, this special unit will put an end to 10 years of efforts to explore the dungeon and find the solution to one of humanity's 8 mysteries. The name of every member participating in this special unit today will be recorded by the church. Carno, the slave, will be freed. Lucius clenched his fist, showing his determination. Let us overcome the arduous training session starting today and walk with me on the path of glory. The people standing around continuously cheered, O mighty goddess Arya, save us with your eternal light. O mighty goddess Arya, save us with your eternal light. The special training area, Howling Wind Peak. Zephyr was slowly climbing to the summit. He thought to himself, glory, who is that glory for? Of course, if this large-scale raid operation succeeds, the participating parties will receive immense honor. However, its true nature is not to praise heroic deeds. But for material gain, Matthias ordered the people around him. This is a small piece of tombstone from the dungeon. Everyone must get used to this dark energy. Keep it 24/7, he thought to himself. Participating in politics to gain the right to join the raid team, gathering sect members to raise capital for endless expenses, such as labor costs, item costs, and magic potions. The final preparations have been completed, and then, a few years later, the dungeon was explored. After successfully exploring the dungeon, towns and roads will be built on sturdy lands. Investors will inherit huge profits from the land. This is a large-scale business venture. The third Temple of Light is nothing more than a tool for St. Lucius to explore the tomb. Those with potential to join the special unit will be nurtured. The chosen ones will also be trained to become elite warriors. The magic staff that Leona held in her hand suddenly glowed. Leona pointed and commanded, "Imagine this light is the enemy's magic attack. Anyone hit by 3 strikes will die. Draw your sword and fight." "This is the golem training," Leona said loudly. The simulated battle begins. The golems immediately swung their fists at everyone around after Leona's command. Almost no knights avoided the golems' punches. They ran away one by one, wondering aloud, "Why is it so intense? It is no different from a real fight. Oh no, I am dead." A wooden stick appeared from somewhere intending to attack Zephyr, but Zephyr immediately noticed and punched the wooden stick hard. Ned saw that and turned to ask Zephyr, "You probably know that you cannot use the Dragon King-style martial arts here, right?" Zephyr replied, "Do you think I am stupid?" Then Ned and Zephyr both charged forward. Both of them were fast. Dodging the golem's attacks, Zephyr and Ned gathered all their strength preparing to swing their swords. They cooperated very well, so the golem was quickly defeated by them. 500 golems eliminated. 15-minute break. Arno thought to himself, "Wow, they are better than I thought. The quality of slaves this time is much better than last time. Especially those two. They have skills and work very well together. Who knows, maybe this raid will succeed." Arno thought, looking towards Zephyr and Ned. Arno spoke, "Oh, almighty Arya." This statement quickly attracted everyone. Arno walked over to them, smiling lightly. "I have completely healed the wounded. As long as we medics are here, everyone can complete 4 weeks of training in just 2 weeks. Now continue training." The final evening training. The commander ordered. The training has concluded. It was a pleasure that everyone passed safely. The fierce tomb raid awaits everyone tomorrow. Eat and rest. Well. Understood. Only Ned was sitting alone on top of the tower at this moment. Suddenly a voice rang out, "Are you not eating anything? You barely ate anything during training." "Today is the last day, so the food is very delicious," Zephyr said. However, Ned still refused. "I have eaten enough," Ned continued. "I need to maintain a moderate weight to ensure speed." Zephyr was pensive. "Then so will I. If you fail, I will have to bear the mission," Zephyr said, putting down his plate of food. Ned saw that and was annoyed. "Humph, you like to get on my nerves, do you?" Zephyr sat down and said, "Do not make that face. I have something very good for you here. It will make you move faster," Zephyr said, holding up a bottle of wine. Ned silently watched Zephyr pouring him wine. After a while, Ned asked, "How much do you know about me?" "At first I thought you wanted to eliminate me to steal my position. However, throughout the training, you did not lay a hand on me," which made me very curious. Saying that, Ned recalled the past between him and Zephyr. At that time, Zephyr whispered to Ned, "It is about the blood tier." Ned was startled. "Blood tier? My family's stolen treasure. The reason I followed Master was to retrieve it and get revenge on the temple. Only Master knows about that." Ned then asked Zephyr, "Tell me, why do you know about the blood tier?" Zephyr replied, "I will only tell you if I deem you trustworthy." Ned, after recalling, said, "You know my secret. Your next action could be to threaten me or use what you know to profit from me. On the contrary, you said you would only tell me if I was trustworthy." "How strange," Ned asked. "What do you mean? What do you really want?" "He has changed. When at first he just rushed to kill me. Perhaps the past 2 weeks of cooperation have yielded some results." Zephyr replied, "You are asking the wrong question. What you should be asking is where the blood tear is, who is holding it. That is the question. Now I will tell you where that sword is," Zephyr whispered into Ned's ear. Ned was stunned, thinking, "What?" The red-haired man led Ned to a large sword chained and hung on a rack, and then he began to speak to Ned. "Ned, this is the heirloom of our Stryer Baron family, the demon sword, Blood Tear. This is a gift our ancestors received after destroying the demons in the wilderness." At this moment, standing before the Blood Tear sword, Ned was extremely surprised, his mouth agape, staring intently at it. At this moment, the red-haired man on one side continued, "Then our ancestors offered this precious sword to the king. The king bestowed upon our family the title of Baron and entrusted us with the noble responsibility of preserving the sword through many generations." He finished speaking and looked at the boy with great expectation. "And one day you will be the Baron of the Stryer family. By then this noble responsibility will belong to you." He stroked the boy's head full of hope. "You must become a knight to be worthy of the sword. Do you understand?" Ned at this moment was also very happy to hear his father's words full of trust in him and replied, "Yes, father." The two also left, and his father Hien laughed gleefully. "Ha ha! What I should have left you was a portion of my investments." Suddenly, from outside, the palace shouts echoed, "Aldine, give the sword back." Inside, it turned out that Ned's father was shouting and causing a commotion. He was furious, yelling, "I have mortgaged all my land and the title of Baron, but it has nothing to do with the blood tier. Father Aldine, please return it to me, give it back." The scene inside was in utter chaos. All the soldiers were desperately trying to restrain Ned's father's anger, but Aldine, facing that anger, showed no reaction whatsoever, calmly standing and watching him. On one side, seeing Ned's father causing a commotion and shouting Aldine began to sneer, looking at Ned's father's commotion and asking back, "How dare you cause a commotion in the temple? Do not be mistaken, Leonard." Then before Leonard's hateful gaze, he calmly said, "The blood tear was never yours. but of Baron Stryer. You have mortgaged that noble position, so you no longer have the right to keep it. Hearing this, Leonard could no longer restrain himself, his eyes blazing with murderous intent and anger. You. Then he drew the sword from his waist. He, carrying extreme resentment, broke through all the knight's restraints and swung his sword to strike Aldine's head without hesitation, yelling, "You bastard!" Because everything happened too fast. He just stood there, frozen, unable to react in time. But at this moment, before the sword could strike Aldine's head, Leonard's arm was severed by a knight standing nearby, falling off, and another knight stabbed him directly in the stomach. Aldine, at this moment, still maintained his calm and smug attitude, smiling as he watched Leonard being stabbed. Leonard at this moment spat blood from the stab wound. Ned, his son, witnessed everything and shouted in horror, "Father!" He collapsed at Aldine's feet. Aldine said smugly, "Be grateful that your blade has not touched me, a commoner like you in this temple of light." Saying this, he began to bend down, pressing Leonard's head, who had fallen at his feet, and laughed smugly. "Dare to harm me, the son of a high-ranking noble. With that crime, we will execute your son as well." At this moment, Aldine's men also began to leave, leaving Leonard collapsed on the ground, along with Ned's panic. He shouted, "Father!" Recounting the entire story up to this point, Ned began to say resentfully, 12 years ago, bankruptcy was normal. At that time, investment in dungeons had surged dramatically in just a few years. Investing in raid teams and dungeon exploration rights had become a trend. Item prices soared. The economic benefits related to dungeons were countless. There were times when a series of investors earned huge profits. Those special units continuously failed. Thugs had formed fake special units to defraud investment money. After unexpected incidents, dungeon investment dissolved and caused an economic crisis, bursting the dungeon bubble. At this point, he began to recount about the Temple of Light. The Temple of Light recovered a huge amount of money by trading debased items. They deceived investors, making them believe their money was still safe. Although the dungeon bubble was on the verge of bursting, they sold as many defective products as possible to minimize losses and maximize profits. At this point, he resentfully recounted his father's situation. "My father was also an investor who borrowed money from the temple to buy those investment items. In the end, he went bankrupt and was driven out onto the street, all because of the ambition of the high-ranking priests and those who orchestrated the dungeon bubble burst. In the end, they were acquitted, despite being involved in the most serious economic fraud in history." The image of Aldine and his father that day reappeared in his mind, full of resentment. Those people, especially that Aldine Lasker who lured my father. Behind him, strange purple light trails appeared, reflecting light. That was precisely a giant pitch-black dragon. It was excitedly rushing forward, attacking Lucius furiously from behind, making him struggle to defend himself. At this critical moment, Lucius spoke his deduction to his comrades. "The Holy Nail is in the boss room. How is the gatekeeper still alive? The door can only be opened after killing the gatekeeper." His long string of words astonished Leona and Arno, making them quickly turn around to observe everything happening behind them. The ferocious dragon continued to bare its sharp teeth, threatening Lucius. It immediately spewed a purplish light, attacking him, making Lucius instinctively retreat backward. Arno paced anxiously, witnessing the scene before him, shouting in fright, "Captain!" The attacks of the pitch-black dragon pushed Lucius into a corner, making him suffer. Lucius, at this moment, was on the verge of death, crushed by the cruel dragon. He struggled to raise his sword to defend, but his endurance would not last much longer. He thought in alarm, "I can only use glory light once a week. I used it to defeat Matthias 3 days ago. There are still 4 more days." At this moment, Lucius seemed helpless, and his strength gradually ran out. He cursed furiously, "Damn it, will it end here?" Lucius had no more strength to do anything. He left his last words, "I might not see them again." In his mind, images of his gentle wife and infant child, nestled in their mother's arms, appeared. "They are high-ranking priests in the Temple of Light." Hearing this, Ned exclaimed in utter shock, "What?" Facing Zephyr's words, Ned began to ponder and speculate. "If you become my right-hand man, I will help you get revenge." Master must have told him that, but it was just a lie. Ned now recalled everything, recalling images in his mind. At this moment, he and Zephyr were with the night squad, then thought angrily, "Master, what a damned dog." If the Dragon Saint cult's plan for the archpriest succeeds, thinking about this, Ned could not hide his worried expression. He thought, "Then we will never be able to touch a single hair on him. His revenge plan will be in vain." Ned thought angrily. "From the beginning we were deceived." He was frustrated. "Damn it. Master, the one I considered family has been deceiving me all these years. This cannot be true." Ned did not believe what he was thinking, but he struggled mentally. "But if it is not true, why does he know what Master once told me?" Ned stopped pondering, confused. What should I do? At this moment, the night squad, along with Ned and Zephyr, had arrived before the tomb. Ned stood before the tomb, snapping out of his thoughts, and surprised. This is the princess's tomb. Another person standing beside him also looked at the tomb and began to think. Compared to this level, the dungeons I had previously explored were nothing. Then he began to feel anxious, a feeling of unease, as if his heart was tearing apart. A sturdy old man on one side also showed interest. Indeed, a place worth trying. Then they burst through the door inside. This is one of humanity's 3 mysteries. The knights outside, seeing this, became a little worried and turned to look at each other. At this moment, Arno, leading the night squad into the dungeon, looked at them and smiled. "I probably already said it, But this is the dungeon that the Temple of Light has been exploring for 10 long years. Hearing this, everyone began to pay more attention to the dungeon. Then, Arno continued. Do you see cleansing tools everywhere? This means that that floor was explored and cleansed a long time ago? He continued to talk about the dungeon. This dungeon has a total of 9 floors. 2F, 3F, 4F. They continued to descend into the dungeon 5F, 6F, 7F, and he began to add, on the previous raid, we successfully explored up to the 7th floor, although we defeated the gatekeeper monster on the 8th floor. When he mentioned the 8th floor, images of knights fighting a series of terrifying monsters appeared. Then Arno continued, but because the dark air leaked from the ground floor. Then images of ferocious skeleton-shaped monsters appeared. Arno said, that is how the monsters became like this. These monsters are ferocious with human skeleton bodies, but their eyes glow green and their mouths gape with green smoke. At this point, everyone enthusiastically entered the wind. Everyone excitedly shouted, everyone ready to fight, vanguard formation. 3. The man on the other side also held up his sword and enthusiastically shouted, let us fight. At the same time, at the Temple of Light. At this moment, 2 people were standing and talking to each other. Thank you for coming, Lord. Lucius smiled humbly and bowed. The warriors have all gone to raid the dungeon, so we have encountered many difficulties. We do not know how to repay you for lending us protective forces. Then Aldine replied, it is nothing. Helping each other is what we should do. When Lucius left the temple to explore the dungeon, the knights present at the temple were those sent from the capital's diocese. Aldine replied, you are welcome to command them. Treat them as your own limbs. He is Cardinal Aldine Lasker, a disciple of the Demon King's prosperity cult. At this moment, a ferocious skull monster with green glowing eyes charged forward, its ferocious mouth agape, attacking. The chaotic battle scene was now in utter disarray. The battle was evenly split between 2 sides. On one side were the skull monsters, on the other were the knights. The battle was evenly matched with no one retreating. One of them, while fighting, lost patience. Why are there so many of them? The muscular old man on the other side, on the contrary, was still enthusiastically charging forward, laughing gleefully, ha ha ha. These are just for warming up my bones after a meal. On another side, the young man began to speculate. It is rumored that the master of this tomb is a princess, a great archmage, one of a kind in 1,000 years. I think she lured thousands of her followers with magic, and then imprisoned them alive in this place. They fought severing the monsters and talked. Tisk, there must have been hundreds of thousands of tomb raiders over the past few thousand years, so obviously, there is no shortage of corpses. She is truly insane. Then someone laughed loudly. Ha, ha, when I was young. And then at this moment they had also advanced deep inside. The dungeon had now been cleared of those monsters, but suddenly from deep within a tremor emanated, emitting a green light that attracted everyone's attention. From deep within, a monster 100 times larger than them emerged with smaller monsters at its feet. This is a skeletal golem, a golem composed of hundreds of skeletal demons. Everyone seeing the golem monster was surprised and looked up. Then it began to grab a pipe in its hand. Violently, it threw it at the knights with a ferocious force, a throw so powerful that it sent the knights flying, creating an extremely large shockwave. Taking advantage of the knights being thrown back, the skeletal demons began to rush towards them ferociously. Below, the knights who were still standing raised their shields and shouted, "Aftershocks." Suddenly a voice shouted from somewhere, in the name of the almighty goddess, Arya. At this moment, Leona appeared to assist everyone. She began to bring her staff forward and unleashed an attack. I summoned the light chains. Quickly restrain the enemy. Her skill created golden chains that shot out, binding the golem and immobilizing it. Everyone saw this and exclaimed in surprise, "It is immobilized, now it is our turn." Then the knights began to charge quickly towards the bound golem, attacking with all their might and shouting, "Smash it!" But do not forget, there are still skeletal demons. At this moment, the bound golem suddenly began to resist, and the golden chains began to vibrate. Its body began to move. Then its bound hand began to tense up and squeeze, making the iron chains rattle. Suddenly the golden chains broke, and the monster, now free, was incredibly ferocious. Everyone below began to shout in a panic, "The light chains are broken, watch out!" On this side, another knight suddenly began to hold his sword and activate a skill, making the sword emit a dazzling light. He began to cast Goddess Guide the Lost Humanity, shine your light into the deep darkness. He began to swing the sword, striking the monster's body, creating a cross-shaped slash that penetrated through the monster. His slash emitted a brilliant light, severing the golem and other skeletal demons. The knights, seeing this, began to exclaim in surprise and praise. Indeed, Captain Matthias is different. Hearing the praise, he was not pleased at all and sternly shouted, "Concentrate." At this moment, Matthias looked at the dungeon, which was filled with the bones of defeated skeletal demons, and thought, if the skeletal golem is already here, then the one controlling that giant cannot have gone far. At this moment, on another side, another skeletal demon appeared, emitting a surge of power. This is the skeletal sorcerer, a mid-level skeletal monster that can cast magic and command lower-ranked skeletal demons. At this moment, it was standing in a corner, using its power to revive another golem from the defeated skeletal demons. On this side, as No was casting magic, he impatiently looked at Matthias. The sorceress will continue to summon golem bone soldiers if I do not eliminate her. Hearing that, Matthias was also annoyed. What idiot does not know that do not rush me? Then he contemplatively looked at the mages behind him, who were casting recovery formations. After that, he thought, whatever happens first, I must approach the sorceress to attack directly and break their formation. Looking at the golem being gradually summoned and the knights desperately attacking them, he thought, in other words, we have to engage in close combat and destroy those things. At this moment, Matthias's eyes darted around, searching anxiously in his heart. Where is that important thing? This battle will turn into a complete mess if I cannot find it. Suddenly a voice said, "Found it." From behind a blonde man standing behind Matthias, who had been intently searching, suddenly said, "Everyone get out of the way." It was Lucius. He began to assume a stance, using all his power to unleash an attack, creating an enormous light that made all three, Zephyr, Ned, and Matthias, had to wince. Lucius's skill was unleashed, creating a column of light with immense power that swept across the entire tomb, causing a super shockwave that shattered the ground. After the wind skill, the skeletal demons also began to disappear. The attack skill shattered a stone pillar. This is the ancient tombstone that provides magical energy to the skeletal sorceress. After that skill, he began to smile with satisfaction. If the ancient tombstone is not destroyed, first confronting the sorceress will be very difficult. However, if both the magic stone and the sorceress are destroyed at the same time, then it is fine. Everyone at this moment cheered enthusiastically. All right, the sorceress and the golem skeletal demon are dead. Deal with the remaining minions. At this moment, on one side, Leona looked at Lucius and thought contemplatively. In the previous battle, it took 30 minutes to destroy one ancient tombstone. The power of the brilliant spear was truly immense. On this side, Ned also observed and thought. So that is the power of the brilliant spear. He was also surprised, thinking, so that is the power of a weapon worth 2 million gold. On one side, after being the one to end the battle, Lucius stood proudly holding the brilliant spear with immense power. Everyone at this moment cheered loudly. The 8th floor has been conquered. No more skeletal demons are appearing. All right, heal the wounded lawyers first. Today we set up camp. You guys place the cleansing magic tools around this area if you do not want to lose your life at midnight. On one side, Zephyr suddenly secretly left somewhere. Then he went to a wall, feeling around for something, thinking it must be around here. Suddenly he found a secret passage. At this moment he was overjoyed. Found it. And on one side in the mock conference room everyone was discussing. Pay attention. Everyone. This is the map of the 9th floor. At this moment, inside, Lucius, Leona, and Matthias were sitting together, discussing the battle plan. Lucius said, I hope that the time to advance from the 9th floor entrance to the 9th floor boss room is 6 days. From now on, we will continue to advance while destroying the ancient tombstones in each area. Hearing that, Leona asked in surprise, all of them? There must be hundreds, no thousands of them. If we only destroy the ones on the way to the boss room, it will only take 2 days. Hearing her objection, Lucius began to sternly hold his sword resolute. Did you forget, Leona? We once tried to save effort and time. Hearing that she was extremely dissatisfied, but Lucius continued in a serious tone. But this time the mistake from a year ago cannot happen again. Hearing that, the remaining 3 were extremely surprised and looked at him. At this moment he began to place a chess piece on the map and pondered. A year ago we also set foot in the boss room. At this moment, the chess piece he placed was surrounded by other skeletal demon chess pieces. Then Lucius said, however, while fleeing from the attacks of the boss room guardian, we were surrounded by countless skeletal demons with countless casualties. Looking at the chess piece on the table, Leona began to ponder. Then Lucius continued. This time, we absolutely cannot let history repeat itself. We must destroy everything no matter how long it takes. Hearing this, he began to think to himself, even if it is not the entrance to the boss room, the number of team members will plummet if surrounded by thousands of monsters. The more the number dwindles, the greater the burden on those who survive. At this moment, looking at Lucius, he thought, one of the most important missions of this conquest is to maintain Captain Lucius's stamina and mana as much as possible and escort him to the boss room in the best condition. Thinking about this, he became even more pensive. It would be feasible if it were him in his current state. He can eliminate that monster. A year ago, the image of the dungeon's boss appeared full of dread. Both Lucius and Arno were terrified at this sight. Arno recalled, just looking at that thing made all my strength vanish. The boss room guardian monster is completely different from other skeletal demons. It wears iron armor emitting an extremely terrifying aura with horrifying purple eyes. Suddenly everyone felt something, and all turned their eyes towards the door. At this moment, Matthias boldly walked out and pulled back the curtain angrily. What is going on? Suddenly his eyes widened in fear. Matthias stood inside and looked outside, seeing a large monster attacking everyone. He shouted in fear, "It is Shoggoth!" Outside, everyone cried out in panic, "Help me! Where is the healer? Where is the healer?" At this moment, Matthias began to think to himself in confusion, what the hell is this? I had prepared 5 of them to execute the strategy. Outside, all the knights were in a panic, yelling, "Run away!" Hearing everyone's shouts, he became even more confused, his eyes wide. But not now. Now is not the time to use them. What idiot. That moment, the moment when all 4 people looked at the same point. The reason all 4 captains looked at one location was due to the invisible thing called instinct or intuition. All powerful forces possess the ability to sense danger more strongly than anyone else. Outside, Zephyr had tried pressing the secret passage. At this moment, he was astonished and surprised to see a steering wheel appear. What are you looking at? At this moment, he used his hand to push the steering wheel down. Suddenly outside, where the mages and knights were standing, the ground began to crack. The tomb began to shift, causing Matthias to suddenly fall through. At this moment the tomb shifted, forming tall and short square pillars dividing everyone. The Shoggoth was also dragged down. The meeting of the Demon King's disciples before the announcement of the expedition team members. Inside the meeting, voices echoed. Because there is an extremely strong shield covering the boss room door, it can only be opened by destroying the gatekeeper monster. Inside, the summoned knights stood in neat rows, listening intently to the announcement. Furthermore, the door will close after we enter. The only way to escape is to kill the boss. At this moment, Matthias was gravely announcing the plan to everyone, that is all the reconnaissance team has gathered from the other matrix letters on the gate so far. At this moment, someone suddenly raised their hand to speak. Can we not break the wall? Hearing that, Matthias looked at the speaker with great annoyance and said, if so, why would it take me 10 years to conquer? The deeper we go, the stronger the shield becomes, so we cannot break the wall. Then he began to gloat because the expedition leader Lucius was very rich. He had found a temporary solution. At this moment he began to speak of a gleaming golden sword being kept in the royal family. He had borrowed a legendary item from the Pope, the legendary stake. The legendary stake, the unbreakable holy pillar, the current Pope's treasure rented by Lucius for 100,000 gold a year installment plan with a 1,000 gold deposit. At this moment Matthias continued to talk about Lucius's plan. He intends to insert it into the middle of the door. Even if it is a door created by a great sage, they cannot destroy a holy artifact. Below, everyone stood solemnly listening intently to the plan. Those in the vanguard must keep an eye on Sir Lucius as if he were a boss attacking you and push him away from the gate. At this moment, it was Ned's turn. Ned will quickly seize the dragon heart and slip through the door. At this moment, Matthias's expression suddenly became sinister as he ordered to awaken Shoggoth. The Shoggoth biological weapon is a monster whose armor is strengthened by absorbing the magic of those it devours and corroding the minds of those who touch it. At this moment, thinking of the other three captains, he began to think that because Lucius and the other captains have strong magic resistance, the Shoggoth's mental corrosion does not affect them, but ordinary priests cannot resist the corrosion of the 5 Shoggoths. Outside, Lucius was now confused as the knights' minds were corroded and they began to kill each other. Matthias thought, we will have 30 seconds while the captains are confused because the priests are frantically killing their comrades, and more than 3 minutes because the members have to purify or eliminate the Shoggoth's obstruction. Then, at this moment, standing in the middle of the battle, Matthias said with extreme satisfaction, laughing, we just need to start a fire. The leader will fight Lucius. We will slowly but quickly leave the dungeon. We just need to report to the temple that we failed to conquer the dungeon. At this moment, he handed everyone the pre-prepared purple potions. This is a special potion. High-ranking leaders just need to drink it, and the slave mark will temporarily disappear. The priest's coercive commands will be neutralized. Drink it right before entering the boss room. At this moment, Matthias approached and handed Zephyr a red horn. This is the Horn of Hypnose, an instrument that controls Shoggoths, and the user will not be attacked by Shoggoths as long as they possess it, preventing Shoggoths from corroding the user's mind. Matthias handed it to him. Everyone is also given a Horn of Hypnose for self-defense. Do not mess around before the mission. Looking at the horn, Zephyr was extremely surprised. At this moment, holding the horn in his hand, he was very pleased and smiled, recalling everything from earlier. Inside this wall, Zephyr stood inside smiling smugly, looking out at the chaotic battle and thinking to himself, how touching everyone outside was fighting miserably, groaning. I'm about to die, man. At this moment, Zephyr began to use the horn, thinking to himself, with the healers here, the massacre will not be too serious. Outside, someone suddenly recognized the sound of Hypnosis' horn and was surprised, thinking, this sound? At this moment, the Shoggoths emerged from the knights' bags. The Shoggoth forces grew stronger and stronger, overwhelming everyone, making them scream in panic. It is Shoggoth. From behind that wall, Zephyr began to shout to the outside, concentrate at one point, and surround them so the healers can purify. He began to run to the other side while everyone shouted, concentrate, concentrate at one point. He ran smiling smugly, thinking, all right, keep going like this. Zephyr rushed to the wall, reaching out to touch the secret passage. Suddenly, he stopped for a beat. Zephyr turned around and looked. It turned out he had attracted everyone's attention. All attention was focused on Zephyr. He stood at the secret passage looking back at everyone. At this moment, Matthias began to recall that Ned was the one who introduced Zephyr to Matthias. His name is Zephyr. He was sent to assist my mission. Recalling this, Matthias suddenly stopped angrily, thinking, he is Ned's helper. What is he doing there? Then Zephyr began to press the secret passage. After pressing the secret passage, the wheel from earlier reappeared. Seeing them looking at him, he irritably said, what are you looking at? At this moment, Zephyr used his hand to push down the wheel, thinking to himself, this function was found 3 years after the expedition. The ground where the priests and knights were standing began to crack. He looked and thought, it reactivates when this dungeon is used as a shield against the demon race. At this moment, Lucius and Matthias fell into the trap. He said, all the knights and priests along with the captains were in a panic. Seeing them like that, Zephyr thought, the mechanism randomly changes the internal structure of the dungeon by shifting each room in this tomb. Zephyr stood from above looking down at them, being swallowed by the secret passage, and thought with satisfaction, because I have conquered this place with my teammates, I know its layout well. At this moment, standing below and looking up at Zephyr, Lucius froze. He began to recall Matthias's words. He alone wiped out a cockatrice nest. He is just trying to get attention to participate in the upcoming 20-day expedition. Should we interrogate him? Check if he is a disciple of the Demon King. At this moment, Lucius looked up, gnashing his teeth in anger, thinking, he is tall, with silver hair. He is the slave Matthias mentioned the other day. Is he really a disciple of the Demon King? But at this moment he was still confident enough to leave everything because he thought it did not matter as long as he still had the slave mark. He could not disobey his command. Then Lucius drew his sword and began to activate the mark. Stop. But Zephyr was unaffected and ran far away, not feeling any impact at all. At this point Lucius began to panic, frowning. He is not stopping. Seeing that Matthias began to rage, gnashing his teeth, remembering the potion. This is a special potion the leader provided. Just drink it and the slave mark will temporarily disappear. The priest's coercive commands will be nullified. Remembering this, he began to go mad, thinking it is the effect of the medicine I gave him. Matthias at this moment was so angry that he gritted his teeth but could do nothing. He began to go mad, assuming a stance with his sword, and began to use a skill that made the sword turn golden, emitting a dazzling light. He angrily thought, that damn fool. Then he cried out, Goddess, forgive me. But at this moment Ned suddenly rushed forward and unexpectedly severed Matthias's arm that was holding the sword. The weapon Ned used to cut Matthias was the Eastern Urumi willow sword. It was flexible enough to be hidden in a belt, and was an excellent weapon that could wrap around a person like a whip and cut them into pieces. Because everything happened so unexpectedly, Matthias did not have time to react and glanced at Ned. Why did you? Blood began to splatter everywhere from his arm. But Ned at this moment was coldly silent, holding the blood-stained sword, his eyes sharp as a knife directed at Matthias. Then he darted away from behind Matthias, shouting after him, that dog! As he darted away, he calculated, I have blocked Matthias, but there is still one more obstacle, deal with Zephyr myself. Meanwhile, Lucius began to unleash a skill towards Zephyr. The skill was almost at his back. At this moment he was about to be hit. Suddenly a wall appeared blocking all the attacks, and then Zephyr ran far away. Lucius was utterly stunned and surprised, unable to believe his eyes. Zephyr ran smiling smugly. Too bad for you. At this moment I am invincible. At this moment, his body emitted a brilliant aura surrounding him. This is temporary super luck, covered by a powerful aura of luck. Used once out of 3 times, Zephyr thought smugly. The high-level blessing of the goddess of luck, super luck. At this moment he began to recall that the gods also granted him the privilege of resurrection to support him. He could check the newly received privilege after regression. The thought came to him on the day he reincarnated. The moment he looked at the list of privileges, a lightning-like thought flashed through his mind. The mechanism protects the dungeon by moving each detail. In other words, in an instant a path that was not there formed, and the doors became completely useless. If one is lucky enough to find that path, they will reach the boss room. Zephyr was extremely smug and ran far away, secretly delighted. Right now luck is on my side. As Zephyr ran, Ned had also caught up. Zephyr began to laugh. Oh, are you following me? Ned laughed and replied, of course. Then Ned smiled smugly. What you can do, I can do too. Zephyr was very satisfied, thinking, it seems he has made up his mind. Then Zephyr recalled the previous conversation with Ned. You will steal the dragon heart after everyone enters the boss room as per the Demon King's disciples' plan, but you will run away with it instead of delivering it to the secret meeting room. You intend to do that, do not you? At this moment he continued, if you do that, you are definitely dead. The only choice to survive is for the 2 of us to go and kill the boss together. Hearing that, Ned began to get tense. What? Ned began to lose patience and composure, standing up angrily. I do not want to hear you bark anymore. Killing the boss relying only on us, is that what you mean? Seeing Ned so angry, Zephyr patiently sat down. Let me tell you this great plan. At this moment they discussed Zephyr's plan, until that afternoon. That is the whole plan. Any thoughts? After hearing the plan, Ned began to hesitate. He was swayed by Zephyr's plan, thinking, the plan is very standard. Its chances of success are very high. The problem is, he suddenly realized a problem, and that was trust. Then Ned turned to look at Zephyr. What do you mean you will die if you run away with the dragon heart? Ned began to firmly refute. You know the speed of Dragon King Art. Who can catch me when I run at that speed? Moreover, what if I become the master of the dragon heart? At this moment, seeing Ned still firm, Zephyr raised his hand. 2 things. First, the dragon heart has a special way of accepting a master. If you are careless, you could die because you cannot control the dragon's magic power. Saying this, Zephyr's expression also gradually became serious. I cannot either, but I know someone who understands how to make the dragon heart accept a master. Second hearing. This Ned was extremely angry and startled, as if he had been hit where it hurt. At this moment, Zephyr continued. The one who transports the items to the 3 temples of Paris is Cardinal Aldean Lasker. Hearing that name, he could not help but reveal an angry expression, recalling his father's murder 12 years ago. If you do not appear at the meeting, Aldean's night squad will hunt you down. That night squad is one of the strongest in this continent. Not only them, but the Demon King's church will also hunt you down when they hear you escaped. Saying this, the image of their master appeared in Zephyr's mind, his face full of seriousness. The entire church, including Master the head of the Dragon King art sect, Zephyr, as if he had already influenced Ned's psychology, asked him, Are you sure? Are you sure you can escape? At this moment, before Zephyr's tight arguments, Ned was startled and showed his anger. Returning to the present, the secret passage was gradually closing. At this moment, both Ned and Zephyr were running away at a very high speed. As he ran, Ned recalled the scene the other day when he met Matthias. You want to bring the dragon heart to the sect leader? Hearing Ned's request to transport the Dragonheart, Matthias immediately refused firmly. Why do you suddenly want to? After entering the dungeon as the one in charge, I cannot let things deviate from the plan. But then listening to Ned's persuasion, he also began to lower his guard. He thought the Temple of Light would be suspicious because the transporter was too prominent. Oh my. But Matthias still smiled and refused. It seems you know that Aldine is the transporter, but you have not heard about how it will be transported. We have prepared a special safe method. You do not need to worry. Just focus on your own task. After being rejected like that, Ned stood still silently. Matthias patted his shoulder, smiled and left, but Matthias still left some words. In any case, the helper who told you so many things, our organization is secret. So the identities of the members, especially the deputy sect masters, are kept confidential. You are trusted by the master. Recalling those words, Ned began to think silently. What Zephyr said was all true. At this moment, he thought of Aldine and his master his enemies. Aldine Lasker is a disciple of the Demon King sect, and he is close enough to master to be entrusted with such an important task. The images of his father being murdered by Aldine once again appeared all shattered inside Ned's head, and the image of his master also began to shatter. Ned thought angrily, have you not ruined my life enough? I cannot believe I have been deceived all this time. After running for a long time, Ned and Zephyr finally came face to face with a golem. It was waiting for them, its green eyes glowing menacingly. At this moment, Ned, with a decisive and cold demeanor, swung his hand and began to activate a skill. With just one move, Ned shattered the golem, leaving not a single bone fragment. He angrily shouted, unforgivable. At this moment, Zephyr was still running headlong forward. Ned now poured all his anger into his attack, unleashing all his power. As he thought angrily, you Demon King's disciples, Temple of Light, I will destroy all of you. At this moment, seeing Ned distracted, Zephyr began to shout from behind. What are you doing? Concentrate on running. Listen to me. Even a single second of delay is enough to fail the plan. The anger in Ned's heart had not yet subsided, but he still gritted his teeth and endured, I know. Zephyr ran thinking to himself, I understand how you feel, but you cannot let your emotions control you. 5 seconds before the superluck ended, they rushed forward like lightning. As he rushed, he counted 13-12. At this moment, they were getting closer and closer to the boss room. The green light in front of them was flashing. Zephyr counted 11. The light became even closer. The two of them, quick as lightning, instantly shot behind the boss. Zephyr counted 9. At this moment, their appearance was detected by the boss, who turned its head to look with eyes full of murderous intent. The two of them moved closer and closer. Zephyr nervously counted 8. He and Ned were rushing forward at full speed. At this moment, the boss began to get furious. It started to draw its sword full of killing intent, saying my heart. After that, without hesitation, it swung its sword up, taking an attacking stance against them. Seizing the opportunity, Zephyr yelled, jump. Just as the huge monster swung its sword down, the two of them managed to lunge to either side, dodging the boss's attack. At this moment, a blue light shone on their faces, and they tensely thought this is it. That light was the opening leading to the boss room. The two of them desperately lunged forward. Behind them, the monster's arm guarding the door was building up rage to strike them. The door was about to close. Zephyr nervously counted 3-2. Although the gate was now closing, leaving only a very small gap, the two of them bravely jumped in without hesitation. Zephyr counted 1. After counting 0, luckily they seized the opportunity and managed to jump into the boss room just as the door closed. Both of them collapsed, panting heavily. After that, they stood up smiling contentedly. Ned was still breathing and said, I should be surprised or annoyed. Looking at the glowing stone pillar in front of them, they could not believe their eyes and said to each other, we actually made it into the boss room. Looking at the empty room, Ned started to get confused, saying, but there is nothing here. Where did the boss go? Suddenly, a chilling voice echoed, startling both of them, causing their eyes to widen, saying, who just arrived? At this moment, from within the glowing stone pillar, a light beam appeared in the middle. From there, a voice echoed, I still feel the knight's energy outside the door. How did you get in? At this moment, the boss appeared with an extremely enchanting appearance, in a black dress with platinum white hair. It asked, who dares to disturb the sleep of royalty? At this moment outside, everyone had managed to withstand the Shoggoth. The walls are converging. We have eliminated all Shoggoth. Leona began to shout to everyone, gather here immediately. Quickly count the survivors. Everyone replied, understood. At this moment, everyone was confused. Arno asked Lucius, Captain, what should we do now? He also began to think silently. He recalled what had just happened. Void mark, right in front of me. Slave mark, mark of the slave. Sealed by the light priests by using their authority, the light priests can forcibly command those with this mark. If I use it, the forced command has a range of 1 kilometer. Lucius began to ponder. He did not have a slave mark from the beginning. Perhaps he has a tool to nullify the mark's influence. He thoughtfully recalled everything, moreover. As soon as the Shoggoth appeared, he activated some traps. The crypt moved. All it showed me was at least 2. Thinking this, his face began to darken. There are some Demon King disciples hiding in the expedition team. Lucius began to grind his teeth in anger, even though he had selected the most trustworthy individuals and their slaves. At this moment, he turned to Arno, full of anger, asking Arno. Arno replied, yes. Then he asked for the names of the 2 who had fled. Then Arno began to explain, the silver-haired one is Zephyr and the red-haired one is Ned. They joined the expedition team through Ned's recommendation. Hearing this, Lucius's face furrowed and darkened in anger. Then Arno continued, and Ned is Lord Matthias's slave, he thought angrily. Matthias. He looked towards Matthias's back. At this moment Matthias was angrily thinking, did those fools run away because they were afraid to face the boss after creating all this chaos? He held the sword in his hand full of resentment, thinking this was my chance for promotion in the Demon King sect and success in the Shrine of Light. My perfect plan was completely ruined by those fools. Completely ruined. At this moment Matthias quietly announced to everyone, brothers, stop the plan. Everyone get ready. They asked, for what? He gave them a cold, sharp look from behind, to kill or be killed. Hearing this, they all began to show serious expressions. From behind them, footsteps approached. At this moment, Leona and Lucius and the knights began to direct their killing intent towards Matthias. He also understood everything and looked behind him. Lucius's face darkened. Matthias, do you have any last words? At this moment Matthias also changed his demeanor, drawing his sword and replied, who knows? Do you need me to tell you? Right then, Ned and Zephyr stood dumbfounded, looking astonished and dazed at a female master with long white hair flowing down to the ground. Immediately Ned recognized who it was. With a quite astonished expression, he gaped, thinking to himself, the master of the crypt, Princess Eurydica. After that, Ned's eyes showed great confusion and worry. He thought with unbelievable apprehension the princess who massacred countless subjects 1,000 years ago. Continuing to look at Princess Eurydica, who exuded an air of arrogance, Ned was dazed and continued to think such a noble and beautiful person again. Ned pondered. Still dazed, could history be wrong? How could such a person commit such brutal acts? He continued to think, I cannot believe I disturbed the crypt of a pitiful princess just for a dragonstone that might not even be effective here. After that, looking at Princess Eurydica's bright ruby-pink eyes filled with sadness, Ned also thoughtfully considered those sorrowful eyes. Immediately Ned, with a calm gaze, looked over and thoughtfully considered, if only I could alleviate that sorrow. He continued to think to himself, I am willing to do anything. Suddenly footsteps approached from behind. Immediately Zephyr grabbed the back of Ned's collar, preventing Ned from advancing towards the magic circle that was already laid out, causing him to halt for a few seconds, not understanding why, so he could not speak. At this moment, Zephyr, with eyes full of anger, frowned and yelled, idiot! Now in Zephyr's mind he thought, I cannot believe he fell for such a basic hypnosis spell. It is not like him at all. He thought further, perhaps his spirit is unstable because he has been deceived by that master for so many years. After being pulled upright by Zephyr, Ned realized this. He was surprised, sweating profusely, and blurted out in panic the magic circle. Looking at the magic circle full of traps circulating before him, Ned composed himself a bit and said, a trap. If I step on it, surely. Immediately someone let out a loud, gleeful laugh. Ned was quite worried. He looked and saw that it was Princess Eurydica, whose back was turned. She laughed loudly. Too bad, isn't it? Suddenly, Princess Eurydica turned around, revealing a face full of malevolence, her eyes like blood-red devils. She laughed and said with a savage gaze almost, I had devoured you. After that, it seemed the opportune moment had arrived. Zephyr looked with a contemplative expression, thinking, it is time. Immediately, Princess Eurydica, with fierce eyes and large teeth, bared her fangs and lunged towards Zephyr and Ned. Instantly, Princess Eurydica opened her mouth wide, revealing 2 rows of sharp teeth, as if wanting to swallow the 2 of them. She furiously shrieked, die! In this situation, Princess Eurydica lunged, extending hundreds of long red and green arms that surrounded Ned and Zephyr, looking like a huge illusion. At this moment, Zephyr even teased Ned. There is your girlfriend. This made Ned angrily shout, shut up. I am under an illusion, you know. After that, Princess Eurydica lunged at the 2 of them. A loud crash was heard. This sent Ned and Zephyr flying before they could react. At this moment, Zephyr stared at Princess Eurydica's hundreds of arms and thought hacks. Legend has it that the red arms absorb strength, and the green arms absorb magic. Grand Sorceress Eurydica can create hundreds of such arms at once. I knew that from reading past dungeon conquest reports. Many members of the squad fell prey to this skill and became nutrients for Eurydica. He continued to recount Lucius at that time had his strength and magic drained by Eurydica, but he was still determined to destroy her in that near-death state. Now, Zephyr's eyes full of doubt looked at Princess Eurydica's hundreds of arms. In his heart, he also felt that he sensed that gaze, a gaze wishing for his defeat. Someone's voice uttered, he always waits for that moment. Right now, under the radiating aura, the god of debt was sitting majestically on his throne. Looking down, he had granted a special favor. Steel wall sponsored by the god of debt, USRA, with the following content. All fatigue and damage incurred by the user during the skill's application will be accumulated as debt. That debt will return to the user when their magic points drop to 0. Immediately, the god of debt showed a savage smile, appearing amused. Now at the quiet city gate. Suddenly, a group of guards, including medics and warriors carrying various weapons, entered the city gate. At this moment, Lucius, with a very angry expression, frowned and said, Matthias, how dare you ruin the efforts that we have been brewing for the past 10 years? He then asked, since when did you side with them? Hearing the question, Grimmer, with a contemplative expression, said nothing. Grimmer clenched his teeth. In his head, he thought Lucius is not a fool. Shoggoth and those slaves can nullify marks. He pondered further. He cannot possibly not realize it when the truth is laid out like this. Is he interrogating now? In uncertainty, Grimmer thought further, only slaves could not escape. I also do not know how the dungeon's structure has changed. He pondered silently. Even if I successfully escape, if this important operation fails, and I return empty-handed, I will also be killed by the Demon King cult leaders. Immediately, with a more resolute mindset, Grimmer bravely walked, holding his sharp sword. In his heart, he consistently thought, I must kill him. To live, I must kill Lucius right here. At this moment, Grimmer walked confidently holding his long sword. He calmly stared at Lucius, who stood before him, and laughed loudly with glee, saying, Since when? After that, Grimmer Fearless thoughtfully asked Lucius, Do you want to know really? Now in Grimmer's heart, he thought, what bad luck. Looking at Lucius's group, and the soldiers with grim faces, Grimmer thought they are priests, equipped with legendary items along with medics and warrior priests. He worriedly thought further, now I cannot use the boss or Shoggoth to kill them. After that, Grimmer looked at them with a provocative expression. In his head, he thought, I only have one way with them. This side is the enemy. Seeing his people hidden on the other side, Grimmer also appeared quite nonchalant and thought, but they did not know there were also their people hidden on the other side. Grimmer's eyes contained calculations in his head. He thought that as long as he could open an escape route, he would have a chance. Suddenly, Grimmer held out 4 fingers behind his back to signal. A masked man saw this and looked surprised, but said nothing. After that, Grimmer slowly retracted his fingers to signal his accomplices. The masked man at this moment thought, Take the medicine when I count to 1. Understood Plan C. Immediately, he produced a bottle of medicine. It seemed to be a strange medicine. It was a special type of medicine provided by the Demon King's cult, capable of nullifying the effect of the slave mark. At this moment, Grimmer, with eyes full of excitement, said, Let us fight like nobles. He added, If you defeat me, I will tell you everything. In his head, Grimmer was counting down 3. Hearing this, Lucius's eyes showed doubt. He stood watching as if he also sensed something. After that, Grimmer held out 2 fingers to signal. In his head, he thought 2. Immediately, Grimmer mockingly provoked. If you win, Grimmer continued to hold out 1 finger to signal. Immediately, Lucius loudly gave the command all. At this moment, Lucius loudly called out to the soldiers, Attack Matthias. Along with the slave mark, it was stated again that it is a mark etched by the priests of the temple onto slaves to control them. With this mark, a priest has the right to coerce any slave. Immediately, Grimmer, with an angry expression, gritted his teeth. In his heart, he suddenly felt, darn, I was 1 step too slow. At this moment, the strange medicine bottle fell with a crash at their feet. The worried and panicked soldiers loudly called out, Lord Matthias, we. The terrified soldiers were worried. We do not want this. Hearing this, Grimmer's eyes seemed to want to devour the soldiers alive. He angrily growled and yelled, You useless bunch. At this moment, Lucius, with a defiant expression, calmly stated, The coercive commands of the Holy Ones are on par with the will of the Pope. When slaves obey my commands, they will not execute the commands of any other priest. He continued, in other words, to stop them, you can only eliminate them. Immediately, Lucius closed his eyes and said, What a shame, Matthias. Now, in Lucius's mind when he was a child, he recalled that you have always been my friend since I entered the academy at 12 years old. Lucius recalled and choked up, adding, We have fought side by side through countless battles. Now I am 32 years old. We are so close that we can understand each other without speaking. Lucius's eyes full of doubt continued, I cannot believe you betrayed me. Amidst the numerous eyes staring as if wanting to kill each other, no one cared. After that, Lucius continued, First dismantle all the traps you have set. Just a moment later, the bodies of the slaves lay scattered on the ground. Some were dismembered, others bathed in crimson blood. But specifically, no matter which one, from their mouths, or from any opening on their bodies, a grotesque creature emerged. The insect that the demon emperor cultists nurtured in their stomachs was the brand beetle. Lucius thought indifferently those bug slaves' strong combat abilities, as demon emperor cultists, are all due to the brand beetle's amplification effect. Moreover, the demon emperor's mark is not etched onto the demon emperor cultists themselves, but onto the beetle's shell. Therefore, although there is a rule that only one lord's mark is allowed on the body, whether slave or priest, they can simultaneously hold 2 identities, both a priest or slave of the temple, and a demon emperor cultist. Lucius forcefully kicked, immediately crushing the brand beetle that had crawled close to his foot. He exhaled sharply, grinding his teeth and narrowing his eyes in dissatisfaction. Truly disappointing, Matthias. Because I trusted you, I entrusted the entire slave selection to you. He looked at Matthias, who was tightly bound by dazzling golden chains and pinned to the wall with swords, and said. Arno, standing beside him, looked around at the corpses lying nearby and thought to himself, I cannot believe all of them are demon emperor cultists. Lord Matthias is indeed a formidable force. But he stopped, looking at Lucius, who stood opposite Matthias. The commander is still much stronger, he thought to himself. Matthias at this moment was struggling to swallow air. The battle just now was enough to make him stumble. He looked at Lucius, cursing to himself. Damn it. I knew this would not be easy, but it is far harder than I imagined. My sword could not even touch him once Grimmer thought about the previous skirmish. Is the power gap between us that hopeless? He gritted his teeth and asked himself, So this is the difference between a saint and an ordinary person. Is this fate ordained by God? He recalled the image of the goddess of light and asked himself once more. Suddenly, Matthias slumped his head down and coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. How ridiculous, he said to himself. After that, as if choking tears welled up. Immediately after, a revelation stone appeared, but he managed to calmly hold it in his mouth. If that is my fate, then He looked at Lucius cautiously and thought. At this moment, Lucius opposite him became serious and quietly asked, At least I will listen to your reason, Matthias. Why did you betray me? Hearing this, he laughed sarcastically and calmly replied, Are you really asking if you are that curious? Then go ask your goddess in the afterlife. Matthias showed a fierce expression and yelled, even sticking out his tongue to reveal the tiny red gem in his mouth. Immediately, Lucius's normally calm eyes changed. Even Arno was surprised and yelled that thing. But before they could react, he immediately bit and shattered the gem. Then he himself screamed in pain, a piercing sound. The blurry image of Aldine appeared at this moment. He had given him this red gem. His face had a hint of sinister cunning as he sneered, "This is the Demon Emperor cultist's secret trump card. This thing will help you resonate with the brand beetle inside your body and transform from human to demon. This is the Revelation Stone." After that, he calmly advised him, "This thing should only be used when pushed to the brink, because once used, you will never be able to return to being human again." Although he said that the current Matthias gradually transformed, becoming more grotesque, more terrifying, more disgusting, he looked towards the commander standing before him, his eyes red with resentment, thinking, "All that you have should have belonged to me, Lucius." While gradually transforming into his complete form, resolute thoughts also arose in his mind. If my fate is to be manipulated by God's hand and human limitations prevent me from resisting that, then I will no longer regret human life. Opposite him, Lucius shouted in panic attack now. He just transformed into a demon, so his power is not stable yet. Arno also reacted very quickly. He raised his brightly glowing cross and loudly proclaimed, "O Almighty, Arya, grant us your strength." He had used the battlefield of radiant light to greatly increase his allies' abilities. For example, light, attribute, attack power. Magic defense recovery ability increased by 120%, applied to the Iron Legion over there. Next they formed waves of light and rushed towards Matthias, but he merely extended his hand dismissively saying, "It is useless." Then he easily parried that attack. Suddenly his gaze became surprised, because after that attack, Lucius also lunged forward to confront him. After that, thick smoke and dust billowed along with the remnants of Lucius's judgment technique. The soldiers continuously praised the commander is indeed, but before they could rejoice, they themselves froze and stammered what? Because Matthias at this moment had effortlessly taken the opponent's spear, and stood there perfectly unharmed after that thick smoke. This action indeed stunned the surroundings and the people standing there. They all asked themselves the commander's attack had no effect. Leona, standing to one side, immediately became worried as she observed the situation. She thought to herself, we must support him, but how even legendary equipment had no effect, so lower grade items would definitely be useless. Suddenly she thought, that is right, we have that thing, our legendary item, the Cross of Faith. Thinking this, she remembered when Lucius handed her a Cross of Faith currently stored in a miniature spatial pouch, and quietly said, "I entrust this to you, Leona, not only to wedge between the boss room door, but also for you to use when necessary." Leona reached behind her, wanting to step forward, thinking to herself, that is right. If I use this to link with the commander, we will have a chance to win. But then she gasped in her heart, and then she herself started sweating profusely out of fear. Because behind her it was empty, Leona fearfully asked herself, where is the Cross of Faith? On another side, it was resting safely in Ned's hand. He looked at the item in his hand. He cautiously thought he even considered using this. Although it sounds a bit crude, this is indeed a great plan. At this moment, a blow suddenly descended towards him and Zephyr. Ned parried the blow, secretly miscounting in his head, 3, 2, 1. Finally, both of them stood before the boss. Ned looked at Zephyr, secretly thinking, perfect. Everything happened exactly as Zephyr said. As long as we can dodge for 15 seconds, this skill will disappear, and she cannot use consecutive area attacks. Because those skills require the user to mentally calculate complex magic formations. If many large skills are used consecutively, the brain will melt due to overload. The user is forced to alternate smaller skills between large ones to cool the brain. Good equipment can only help reduce the burden on the brain, but it cannot change this basic rule. Now is the time to attack, Ned thought decisively. Suddenly the corner of the boss's mouth subtly turned up. After that, waves of thorny vines plunged towards them. In his heart, Ned predicted step back, 1 step, 3 steps to the side, then climb. Thinking this, it was also the moment when both he and Zephyr successfully climbed onto the pile of thorny vines. The two of them were like two powerful lightning bolts climbing up. Zephyr said to himself, a battle is an endless series of unpredictable situations. Even if I knew the future, I could not foresee everything, he thought to himself as the tangled mess moved towards him from above. Zephyr drew the Twilight Greatsword from his hand. A magic sword that can have powerful attack force with light or dark attributes depending on the enchantment. This is the most effective light or dark attribute weapon that a non-priest can use. Zephyr landed on the ground. At the same time, he unleashed a brilliant golden light, telling himself that this is why the most important thing is how much he has accumulated. He looked at the boss again. Do I have enough equipment? Do I have teammates I can trust? Questions continuously appeared in his mind. Do I have a firm will even when facing adversity? To overcome all sudden unfavorable situations, Zephyr thought. Then he and Ned simultaneously raised their swords and shouted loudly, "Hey!" Then he asked himself if he had trained enough to become someone who could overcome this moment, this battle. Zephyr deployed the Dragon King's secret art sword technique, Cloud Dragon soaring to the heavens. At the same time, Ned also successfully delivered a decisive blow, severing the boss's head. After that, he also successfully landed, but of course the severed part trembled. Then from that very spot a new head grew out. It is not over yet. In their minds, the thought immediately appeared. It is changing shape. They looked at the grotesque thing transforming in front of them and thought again. But then the corner of Zephyr's mouth subtly lifted. Zephyr knelt down, taking a stance opposite it. I have been waiting for this moment. He thought that then loudly called out to the person next to him. Ned. He also quickly replied loudly, I know, then immediately rushed forward. Ned jumped, and in the blink of an eye he was facing Eurydica, who was recovering in front of him. He remembered Zephyr's previous words, which mentioned that even using the Dragon King's secret art would be impossible if they wanted to destroy that monster. Once its head was destroyed, it would transform into its second form and become even stronger. However, for a moment during the transformation, it would be immobile and unable to use any skills, Zephyr emphasized. That moment is what we are aiming for. Thinking, this Ned reached out and twisted the spatial pouch in his hand. And so the pouch was smoothly twisted open. Immediately the Cross of Faith appeared. It pierced directly into the boss, making it shriek terribly. The legendary item reacted to unholy energy by releasing powerful holy energy within itself in the Holy Pillar of Faith. Eurydica continued to shriek as she struggled against the dazzling light. But it also reached out, trying to push this thing off itself to prevent it from achieving its goal. Zephyr jumped, deftly severing its restless hand. He gave an arrogant smile, thinking to himself, the Holy Pillar of Faith will neutralize most of the damage. At that time, we just need to kill the boss while it is trying to remove the Holy Pillar. Even a legendary item has limits to the amount of holy energy within it. Once depleted, it will be nothing more than an oversized piece of iron. Therefore, the person who spent their entire fortune to hire it, Lucius originally had no intention of using it for attack. He thought to himself. Then he clicked his tongue and continued. It is not my money anyway, as he swung his sword, cutting off Eurydica's next limb with her grotesque, monstrous face. The Holy Pillar of Faith, which was glowing, gradually diminished its aura, immediately drawing Zephyr's attention. He thought, the aura on the Holy Pillar of Faith is gradually fading. This means it has lost its ability to identify enemies. He and Ned simultaneously looked at the weakest boss beneath the Holy Pillar, panting as they thought. Damn it, it is really stubborn. It does not even let us rest for a second. Zephyr dropped his low-quality sword and thought, all the weapons I prepared before have completely run out of holy power. Damn it. What else do I expect from this market trash? I wonder how Lucius's group is doing now. If Matthias has turned into a demon, he thought, as he tilted his head back, drinking a magic potion that would help him recover his spent magic. Well, with the goddess of light backing him, he would not die easily. He gently told himself, his hand dropping 3 empty magic potion bottles. He thought otherwise nothing could be salvaged. At this moment, the monster's eyes still twitched, making Ned, who was observing, also appear cautious. At this moment, Zephyr turned to him and said, forget it. In its current state, it cannot recover. But if it dies completely, the door will open and the guardian will rush in. First to find the dragon heart, he said calmly, then swung his hand, throwing something towards Ned. On the opposite side, Ned gently caught the item and assessed what was in his hand, a healing magic potion. Then Zephyr said, use it. No one knows if there will be any unexpected events while looking for the dragon heart. Then Zephyr turned and left, first leaving Ned with jumbled thoughts in his head. The final boss of the dungeon, known as one of the 8 great mysterious places in the world, was defeated by just 2 people. It is truly too miraculous, he exclaimed. I thought I was quite strong, but not strong enough to make such a miracle happen. Honestly, it is all thanks to his plan. He thought, still following Zephyr, overcoming all surprises and doubts. He thought cautiously. It was as if he was high above, casting disdainful glances at everything. While Ned was thinking this, a loud noise echoed from behind, attracting the attention of both of them. From behind the large door, several knocks suddenly echoed. The silhouette of armor and a large wooden sword appeared. Something strange was dripping from it. It moaned repeatedly, ooh, ooh. A knight. Georgius appeared in his most dilapidated and disgusting form. He leaned on his wooden sword, a faint magical aura radiating around him, continuously appearing with his moans. The magical aura continuously surged, then passed through the crack in the door to this side. After a while, it was dense enough to envelop the entire hall. That magical aura found the weak, slimy creature lying on the ground, making it let out a long scream. This magic, she trembled and said, Georgius, my knight. She stammered, even emotionally, with tears streaming down her face. Immediately after receiving the magical power, her body instantly transformed. Ned stood there, struggling to put his hand up to block, asking in confusion, what the hell is going on? Zephyr had no clue either, replying, I do not know. This was not in Lucius's dungeon conquest report that I read in my previous life. He thought to himself, understood. Unlike Lucius, who entered the boss room after defeating the guardian monster, the future has been changed because that thing has not been eliminated. Eurydica had now recovered her form, though it was no longer clearly her original appearance. She looked at the Holy Pillar of Faith, then she simply pointed at it. Immediately the floor opened up and swallowed the cross. When that was done, she raised her eyes and looked. Very quickly, Zephyr and Ned rushed forward. Both of them raised their hands, intending to deliver a direct strike to her body. Hey, both of them! Shouted simultaneously. But then suddenly, when the 2 swords landed on Eurydica's body, Ned thought in panic. There was no sensation of cutting. Zephyr also noticed this skill and thought, Eurydica's ancient art, spatial distortion. Suddenly, a magic formation appeared beneath their feet. In the blink of an eye, a tangled mess of thorny vines shot up, forcing them to dodge with great difficulty. Ned's eyes widened in surprise again. He stared straight at Eurydica, who was lunging towards him. When she reached out her hand, in his heart he blurted out too fast. But then Zephyr quickly came to his aid, loudly saying, do not mess up. immediately after he successfully captured Eurydica with the queen's black iron spider web. "Get over here," Zephyr replied, holding the rope tightly. She just angrily moaned softly goo. A light suddenly radiated around his arm. He thought to himself, basic magic reinforcement technique. Then he powerfully pulled Eurydica back. He secretly calculated in his heart, for a defensive technique, spatial distortion is invincible. However, because it bends the space around the user, even the user's attack cannot reach the opponent. He pulled her back while thinking, therefore the moment Eurydica approaches to attack is also our opportunity. She at this moment was not idle and immediately reached out. Then she created thorny vines that clung tightly to the floor. In front of her, the image of Ned swinging his sword appeared again. After that, he also very smoothly swung his sword down. But while he was secretly rejoicing, "Good, I hit it," his words suddenly halted. Instead, a startled thought came as he saw the slash heading towards him. What? Immediately, that slash successfully landed on him from his right shoulder, diagonally down to his left hip. While he collapsed, Eurydica still stood proudly, because she had used Black Mirror, an ancient art of hers. This art would reflect all damage received, and simultaneously increase reflected damage by 300%, based on the user's proficiency. Eurydica gently pointed her hand at him, and so a powerful stream of magic advanced, forming a dark hand that descended upon him. Ned immediately yelled out "Arg," a loud cry as he took the blow. At this moment, a fist reached out. Zephyr repeatedly delivered powerful punches to Eurydica's back. Thunder Fist. He punched down each blow like thunder as he executed the move. But she also immediately chanted a spell. Then he quickly created a luminous line to execute the next attack. That line extended to each glowing point on her right arm. Pressure point, he thought to himself. An Eastern technique used to crush an opponent by tightly squeezing their magic circulation meridians, he thought as he himself pressed tightly, making her waver, although it did not cause as much damage as a normal weapon attack. Squeezing the pressure points temporarily cuts off the opponent's meridians, preventing them from using any skills. The speed of magic recovery is incredibly superior. She truly lives up to her reputation as a great sorceress. If I had not mastered this technique, I probably would not have been able to cut off her magic flow. He tiredly exclaimed cautiously, "Who would have thought that the things I trained with Altair before would be used like this?" Seizing the opportunity, Eurydica also jumped back, growling furiously. But he did not let her escape so quickly and again used the web to cling to her. "While squeezing its meridians, I will coordinate with these spider threads," he thought to himself as he forcefully pulled Eurydica close. When the distance became perfect, he pressed his hands onto its body, making it shriek in pain, a loud scream. At that moment, he pulled out the item bought from White Rose, the Blessed Rosary for healing. It is a rosary with Buddhist precepts carved into each wooden bead. Even non-monks can use this rosary. The enchantment skill will disappear after one use. Immediately after, he flicked 3 wooden beads. More than 9 seconds left until the dark hand disappears. Zephyr calculated as he watched the 3 wooden beads fly. When it landed on Ned, making him grunt, he relaxed and smiled, thinking, "Good, I have temporarily saved his life." But due to his carelessness, he quickly took a strong blow from below his chin. He was sent flying far from Eurydica by the leather rope. He himself slammed hard into the large pillar. He gritted his teeth in annoyance, thinking this damned monster pressure points cannot hold it for long. Very quickly, the thorny vines reached out and bound him tightly. Then Eurydica also very enthusiastically created magic orbs and directed them towards him. "Ha," he scoffed and laughed, truly unexpected, but immediately after they landed on him, even emitting a brilliant light under Eurydica's direction. On another side, a cup fell onto the wooden floor and shattered into pieces. "Oh my, are you all right?" A nun with thin glasses heard the sound and entered, asking her. The nun with short, bright hair just gave a forced smile and softly said as she bent down to pick up the pieces, "I am fine, just a little careless." "Ah," she cried out when she touched a broken piece. But then she pondered for a moment as she looked at the broken pottery in front of her. She worriedly thought, "My dear guest, I hope you are safe and sound. I wonder if he has fully utilized all the items I found for him. I have a bad feeling about this." When that was done, she stood up and walked to the window. The thought appeared again. The enchantment for him should have been a bit more advanced. Zephyr was now surrounded by blood next to broken wooden rosary beads scattered around. He lay there naked, collapsed, facing Eurydica. In the distance, Ned also lay there silently, his fate unknown. "Damn it, just missing one beat, but it completely forced us to get caught up and become so passive," he thought resentfully. "How ridiculous, one of the 8 great mysterious places. Clearly, in my previous life, I could easily conquer them." He looked at Eurydica, standing proudly in the distance, and thought, "It is truly too harsh. At this time in my previous life, how worthless I was. I knew that, and used all the items I prepared beforehand along with all my weapons and defensive equipment, but they were all destroyed. What did I overlook?" Zephyr asked himself. The handsome special privileges of the regressors bestowed by the gods, he thought. He remembered the Steel Fortress skill sponsored by the god of debt USRA, which states that all fatigue and damage received while using this skill will be accumulated as debt and repaid all at once when the user's magic power drops to 0. He thought, "This scoundrel has always aimed for my life from beginning to end." After that, he remembered the holy beast egg cluster of a holy beast living in heaven, whose species cannot be identified. He thought, half of the holy beasts reject humanity. It would be digging my own grave if I hatched it now. Next, Zephyr looked at great fortune, which would temporarily envelop him in a powerful aura of luck, with 2 uses remaining. He thought that even though great fortune has no reciprocal penalty, I have other plans for the 2 remaining uses. If I used it anywhere else, failure would be certain. The gods would surely revel in my regret and despair if I used it at the wrong time. Immediately after he looked at rebirth, this revives the user 3 days after death. However, after activation, the user's soul will be subject to the ownership of the god who granted this privilege. He thought that the Sword of Light and Rebirth were traps to strip him of his freedom. In exchange for great power, he would be forced to become a puppet that they controlled at will and would be forced to act against his own wishes. Other privileges either had activation conditions that were too strict or would be useless in combat. I have nothing left to reverse the situation. Now Zephyr thought somewhat hopelessly. This was not even their goodwill or a gift. He recalled the moment when he stood before the divine representative, the high-ranking angel Mercedes. She had said, "Show us." Something even more interesting with a terrifying expression. He had thought it is all just to serve the pleasure of those gods. And their only purpose is to hold me down, to force me to cling to the hope they offer at the last moment. These privileges are simply shackles, Zephyr thought. Meanwhile, Eurydica stood before him, slowly pointing her finger like a judge with a red glow. If I die here, all my plans and efforts will have been in vain. Suddenly Zephyr looked with determined eyes. I must do something. He thought, then used his blood-stained hand to draw a symbol on the ground. Something that will surprise all of you. He thought, then immediately completed the drawing with 3 Neds drawn in fresh blood. Suddenly a white flash of light appeared. Golden hair emerged. At the same time, a section of white porcelain angel wings shimmered, appearing and disappearing. The silhouette of the divine representative, the high-ranking angel Mercedes, appeared before him. She looked displeased and sternly asked, "What is this, Zephyr? Explain it clearly to me. How does a human like you?" She looked and then said, "Know about that blasphemous mark." He did not rush to answer her. He just smiled secretly, marveling, I just threw out a small worm and caught such a big fish." His hand still on the symbol he had just drawn, he looked at Mercedes and thought, heavenly punishment is the law of this world to automatically punish those who dare to commit taboos. In other words, the moment I complete this symbol, he thought decisively, I will die according to the laws of this world. Zephyr still lay prostrate on the ground, facing her. Then he slowly looked around and thought to himself, I no longer feel Eurydica's presence. The angel must have created a barrier. Luckily, I will take the opportunity to recover a little. At this moment, she said, explain immediately why a human like you knows about this blasphemous symbol. Zephyr looked at her cautiously. Strange, transcendent life forms with supreme souls cannot enter the mortal realm. That is the law of this world. Why are you here? He asked back. High-ranking angel. Mercedes calmly lowered her eyes and replied, have you forgotten that I was the one who brought you back to the past? An angel who has established a relationship with a lower life form is granted the right to enter the mortal realm. I have received orders to respond to you once. There will not be a second time. She emphasized, what exactly do you know about that blasphemous symbol? Suddenly, he softly said, pay me the reward. This immediately surprised her, causing her eyes to widen in confusion. If you want to know, pay the reward? Zephyr slowly repeated. He lifted an eyebrow, looking at her. Are you crazy? She looked at him and asked. Then immediately she activated her skill on him, creating golden lights that gradually moved towards him. It surrounded his finger that was drawing the symbol, holding it tightly. This surprised him. My finger is not moving. Is it because of the angel's skill? He asked himself. He only saw the face of the divine representative, the high-ranking angel, Mercedes, darken. She looked down at him with displeasure. Do not delude yourself. Although you have attracted the attention of the gods, you are not a saint nor an angel. The mere fact that you dared to draw that symbol is enough to anger countless gods, and they are clamoring for me to take your life. You have overstepped your bounds. While she was speaking, he suddenly cut her off. Oh, all right, then kill me. Hearing him say that so lightly, Mercedes also became panicked. Zephyr spoke provocatively. Go ahead and try if you think you can bear the consequences. That is, if you have the right to kill me. He said that then, thought to himself, remembering the privileges he had obtained. After carefully examining the regressor privileges that the gods had granted him, he could know what they wanted from him. The god of debt and the god of the sky seemed to want to say, I will give you a double-edged sword to make you miserable and show me an interesting death. This made him think that these scoundrels would definitely not want a disappointing outcome like suicide. Meanwhile, the god of death and the goddess of light wanted to say, I will grant you great power, so become mine. Besides, he also considered that, for those who wanted to recruit him into their army, if he died, they would lose him to the god of death and would not achieve their goal. Whatever the case, they definitely do not want this to happen. That is why they hurriedly sent the angel down before the symbol was completed. He looked at Mercedes' hesitant face and thought. Then she also said, what exactly do you want? Give me more. Zephyr looked at her, then confidently said, I cannot continue with these ridiculous privileges that the gods grant. If so, I would rather die here. Then he even shouted loudly in the middle of the barrier she created, are you listening, you gods? If I die, some of you will definitely gain, and some will lose. He stood up and continued loudly. For those who suffer losses, do you think this is acceptable? Are you just going to remain silent and do nothing? I assure you. He continued loudly. If you lose me, you will not find another human to control. Play big while you still can. Zephyr urged. At this moment, the god of debt, the god of the sky, the god of death, and even the god of smithing, god of question mark, and the god of healing were all silent at his words. I will give all of you one chance. Then the goddess of luck sat still, clasping her hands quietly, calling his name, Zephyr, in her heart. And the goddess of light, she sat silently, not answering. Suddenly she smiled. Interesting, she said, making the angel panic. At this moment, a light radiated from above her and his head. That is, he reached out to shield himself from the light, still thinking in surprise why. The divine representative, the high-ranking angel Mercedes, asked, "Is this what you wish for?" Before there could be a reply, the light beam powerfully struck the ground, creating a loud sound and a thick cloud of smoke. The scene quickly returned to in front of Eurydica. She looked at him and became surprised. "Hey," he rudely called out, his figure also vaguely appearing. "Have you been waiting long?" he arrogantly asked her. Making Eurydica excited, she let out a wide ear-to-ear smile and hissed. Immediately after, her figure disappeared, leaving behind some strange magical remnants surrounding him. And so, in the form of grotesque hands, she lunged at him. When she reached out her claws to attack, a beam of light shot out, directly hitting half of her face. Eurydica at this moment opened her eyes wide in surprise. Her body was thus cut into two halves by him. After that, Zephyr lightly spun the object in his hand. Then he took a stance with it. What is called a light sword. This is a holy artifact, created from a fragment of primordial light in the form of a sword. More specifically, its usage conditions have been removed upon request. The goddess of light. Arya burst out laughing, ha ha ha. She then comfortably said loudly, "What an interesting human. I apologize for only giving you worthless things before and not realizing your true value. Now that sword is yours, I will grant you even better creations from my vault." Meanwhile, she made the god of death confused, who loudly asked back, "What do you mean by that, goddess of light? How could you easily let a human like that use a holy artifact?" Suddenly, the voice of the god of the sky softly echoed, "What is the problem? What is mine, I like to give it to whoever I want." This surprised the old man. After that, the god of the sky Arcaris leaned back comfortably and said, "I also believe that I have behaved improperly as one of the great gods." After that, Arcaris also secretly thought furthermore, "I am concerned that the god of death shows such interest in that human, while normally he does not care about mortal affairs. As long as I do not know what the god of death is planning, I will absolutely not hand that human over to him." At this moment, Zephyr once again rushed forward with a light sword in his hand. In response to him, Eurydica immediately deployed spatial distortion, but before she could finish, the sword with its dazzling light pierced her right eye, and so the light sword in his hand smoothly carved a line across her face. He took a stance with the sword. In his heart, he thought, even if she is a grand sorceress, mortal, magic cannot stop a holy artifact. Unique light sword technique. Zephyr prepared, then immediately brought down a column of dazzling light, meaning creation, etched onto the ground where Eurydica was. A moment later, her hall was filled with thick smoke. The black skin covering her at this moment cracked, thus revealing the body of an ordinary person. Eurydica, in her new form, lay on the ground crying out, then gently opened her eyes. "You are awake?" Zephyr politely asked. He even held her in his arms. Then he thought to himself about the move just now. Jehai. Or is a move that has the effect of removing the highest curse, accompanied by powerful light attribute attack power. I never thought I would get to use this, but it seems to have completely removed Eurydica's curse. This is Eurydica's true form. He looked at her lying in his arms, dressed in pure white, and thought, "It feels like I had a dream." She half closed her eyes and said a long, terrifying dream. After that, she calmly opened her eyes and asked him, "Who are you? Who are you, that you could drive out the devil within me?" "Zephyr," he replied, "I am your successor, Princess Eurydica, one of the 12 heroes." The scene returns to when Georgius knelt down and presented an item to Eurydica respectfully, saying under the dazzling sun, "This is the heart of the black dragon Kaiseress princess. I offer it to you." "Well done, Georgius, my knight." She placed her hand on the dragon's heart and softly said, however, "Do not call me princess anymore. Just call me Eurydica." Her face flushed slightly and she looked shy as she said, "Did you not say you had something to tell me after defeating Kaiseress Eurydica?" Looked at the knight she secretly admired standing before her and asked. Georgius slowly pulled off his helmet, and thus, he pressed a passionate kiss on her lips, like an unforgettable memory that made him think to himself at that time, "I thought she and I would live happily. I was so foolish." Georgius chided himself. At this moment in the wide hall of the tomb, Eurydica lay in his arms calmly saying, "The final level of this crypt has a magic circle containing the tree of life, an elven treasure. It is a creation that can purify the death curse in the black dragon's heart. Thanks to the power of that magic circle, I have been able to live for thousands of years and purify the dragon's heart. But in return, I suffered a terrible curse and lost all my humanity. You and that friend pulled me out of that darkness." She looked at him gratefully. "I do not know how to repay you." After that, she half closed her eyes tiredly. "I cannot prolong my life any further. My body has reached its limit. I do not have much time left." Then Eurydica seriously looked at him and asked, "Why do you need the dragon's heart?" "It is a long story to explain." He shook his head and said wearily, "Because time is running out. Read my memories." He placed his hand and Eurydica's hand together, smoothly activating the psychic link skill, allowing her to read the emotions and memories of the person she touched. Following that, bloody and gruesome images of Zephyr confronting the demon lord Tartaros appeared before Eurydica's eyes like a slow-motion film. This she stammered as the scene. He faced the divine representative. The high-ranking angel Mercedes appeared before him. "This?" she asked. The scene shifted again to when he danced with Altair. confronting the monster separation. Everything gradually became clear. Meanwhile, Lucius was struggling greatly against Matthias. With continuous loud sounds and powerful tremors created against the pillars, Grimmer unleashed dangerous blows one after another, loudly provoking the one in front of him. Why are you so twisted? Lucius, it is supposed to be fun. Unlike his excitement, Lucius was struggling to parry. He let out a grunt, secretly doubting himself. You are supported by Arno, yet your power is being suppressed by him, like this. That energy. He looked at Matthias's demonic hand and thought, every time it touches me, the supportive power suddenly disappears. Matthias laughed heartily. Haha. Then loudly said, this supreme feeling is like a god. So this is what power is like. Have you been enjoying all of this alone all this time? He asked Lucius. Huh, he growled, then extended his hand, creating blazing flames towards Lucius. At this moment, Lucius had also raised his shield after the attack landed on him. Sparks continuously flew around along with dirt and rocks, making the soldiers below scream in fright. Arno stood there, gritting his teeth in anger, thinking to himself, dodging their attacks is already exhausting enough. How can I even assist? Meanwhile, no one knew that behind them, a man in a hooded cloak, one of Matthias's henchmen, stood there, secretly marveling how wonderful is that the power the Demon King's cult has always longed for. If I take advantage of this situation to take the lives of some priests, especially the two captains, the medical support and the rear guard, I will also receive a revelation stone, like Lord Matthias. He looked at Arno and Leona, and a dirty scheme formed in his mind. He slowly pulled a knife from his sleeve, though fear lingered. He still calculated beforehand. It is your fault for choosing the wrong faith. Do not blame me. But suddenly a cloud of black smoke reached out to him. Immediately after, it created a six-pointed star mark on his abdomen. In the blink of an eye, filthy insects crawled out from his abdomen and those next to him, along with his miserable screams and those of the people around him. This immediately drew Arno's attention, and he thought in shock, what? There are also Demon King's cultists among the priests. The brand beetles were pulled towards him by Grimmer. Ha, thank you, my brothers, for contributing your strength to me, he said generously, while he himself was still performing retrieval, the demon's unique skill that allows him to reclaim power from the centipede marks of his followers. Your lives will be put to good use by me. Matthias smiled, then compressed the swarm of insects into a tablet. This immediately made Lucius panic, thinking that move is very dangerous. Then he loudly shouted, deploy absolute defense. Immediately after, a large flame appeared, engulfing all those who could not defend themselves. Only Lucius managed to raise his shield in time. The people around him were incinerated, and he himself at this moment could only struggle to parry, crying out. Stop, he yelled. Do not sink deeper into sin. Matthias, sink deeper into sin. Matthias, Grimmer, relentless, gritted his teeth and asked again, his eyes wide, looking at Lucius. Do you even have the right to say that he asked? Lucius, from the Giornetti family, was granted the holy mark, impossible. At that time, he was only 7 years old and was not even a candidate for sainthood. According to custom, candidates for sainthood would be trained until they were 15 years old and participate in the selection process. The winner of the Grand Assembly would be ordained and receive the holy mark. Yet the holy mark casually belonged to him. Matthias thought with annoyance, what about me? He asked himself, what about a candidate for sainthood like me? He thought as around him at that time were curses and insults. Damn it. I thought Matthias would become a saint. What a waste of money poured into his family. This is definitely a scam. Did the gods really deceive us? We must quickly get our money back. Shut up. Does that even matter anymore? Matthias Grimmer thought again that according to the Bible, if a person who is not a candidate for sainthood receives the holy mark that is a sign of rebellion, in other words, the glorious era of the Church of Light has returned. Matthias continuously struck Lucius with blows. He struck and growled loudly, asking after being chosen as a saint, what did your father do? He sold blessings at exorbitant prices, boasting to the world that to escape rebellion one must receive blessings from you, then extorted property from those devout people. He stopped at nothing to amass as much as possible. He then spoke with increasing fervor. Do you know how many people have been ruined? Do you know how many people have lost everything and ended their own lives? Your family is nothing but swindlers, murderers. Is that not sin? Then what is it? He spoke and struck, making Lucius struggle to parry. You turned a blind eye, while evil ran rampant. You even cooperated with wicked people to create dungeon bubbles, and after that, none of you took responsibility for that monstrous crime, he said loudly, full of indignation, throwing punches. Finally, he yelled with a fierce expression, you, the Church of Light, are the true devils. At this moment, and Eurydice finally let go of each other's hands. Is this what you have been through? She softly said, sitting opposite him. How could you endure those things? She cried, pitying him. How pitiful. But Zephyr, sitting opposite, did not answer. After a moment of silence, Eurydice spoke again. The invasion of demons that you have been struggling against will recur in a few more years. Hearing this, Zephyr immediately resolutely replied, this time I must win. I will not fail miserably like last time, which is why I must ask you for this favor. Zephyr secretly recalled his previous statement. First, the dragon heart can only be absorbed by a special method. If you absorb it casually, you will die because you cannot control the dragon's magic. Even I cannot do it, but I know someone who can help me absorb the dragon's heart. After that, he secretly thought that he intended to ask someone for help, but now Eurydice has regained consciousness. She is the most experienced person, because she is the Grand Sorceress who implanted the dragon's heart into Georgius, the first dragon-slaying knight. Thinking this, he sat earnestly opposite her and pleaded, "Please implant the dragon heart for me." Hearing this, Eurydica slowly half-closed her eyes. Immediately after, she sadly replied, "I am sorry, I cannot fulfill it." This immediately made him panic, causing his eyes to widen in surprise, thinking, what the hell? The landscape suddenly shifted, replaying the catastrophic history of this world's formation. 1,000 years ago, when the world was on the verge of destruction, the strongest of the 7 great ancient dragons, the Black Dragon Kaiserus, suddenly incinerated the entire world. Even though Kaiserus was one of the 12 heroes who led the war against evil, it lost itself and became berserk due to a curse from the demons. The entire world was plunged into lamentation and death. The horrifying bloody scenes and the damage caused by the Black Dragon Kaiserus's rampage were significant. And also, the Golden Ancient Dragon, the guardian of human lands. The remaining 11 heroes had no choice but to face their former comrade Kaiserus to protect the world. It was truly a disaster descending upon this beautiful world. The heroes were forced to fight a demon who was once a hero to save the world from destruction. Things did not go as smoothly as people wished for a peaceful life, fighting in despair. The war with the Black Dragon lasted a year, depicted as a fierce and arduous battle between the heroes and the Black Dragon Kaiserus. Therefore, Knight Georgius, holding his blade before striking Kaiserus, felt immense remorse. Shame, forgive me, Kaiserus. Immediately after the finishing blow to Kaiserus, from Georgius's sharp blade, finally concluded with a fatal strike from Knight Georgius. Zephyr sat cross-legged and upright after hearing the entire catastrophic historical process, then gave his own assessment. Everything that happened, whether in my era or yours, was due to the demon's ambition to summon the demon lord to this world. The gods, limited by the rules within their own domains, cannot interfere with other worlds. However, there is one individual who is completely an exception. Speaking with increasing fervor, Zephyr adamantly asserted, and that is the demon lord Tartaros. He can directly enter the human realm through summoning magic. He continued to express his deductions. The special classes of demons. Those who tried to summon the demon lord in your era created an organization called the Demon Lord's Gate, and are currently trying to summon him to this world once again. Your goal in the past and my goal in the present are the same. Faint lights shimmered brightly, illuminating the entire sky. Zephyr affirmed firmly, looking at my past life memories. You must know that well. At this point, many images of demons' faces and their despicable, cowardly actions flashed in his mind. Zephyr clearly stated his opinion and poured out his feelings. Nobles, priests, countless unscrupulous individuals always seek to fill their pockets regardless of the fate of the world. They even conspired with the Demon Lord's apostles just to satisfy themselves. Note on the meaning of Demon Lord's apostle. Demon Lord is changed to Demon Lord's Gate. Demon Lord's disciples become Demon Lord's apostles. And then, as everyone tried to escape the Demon Lord's grasp, the only ones who truly tried to stop the world's demise were myself and my comrades. Thinking of this, Zephyr's hand unconsciously clenched into a fist. He gritted his teeth, seething with indignation. I did not return here to enjoy a leisurely life. I am here to fight, and win. It seems this life is too cruel, pushing people to their limits, and Zephyr is no exception. Finally, he gave up all shame and extended his hand forward softly, pleading and begging. Princess Eurydica, the greatest sorceress in history, and the leader of the 12 heroes, the one who gathered them together, I have a request that I hope you will grant for the hero of the epic. Zephyr was more serious than ever at this moment, and he loudly pleaded, please grant me the power to protect this world. Princess Eurydica still looked at him hesitantly, but said nothing. Her eyes drooped sadly, as if a heavy stone weighed on her heart, making her mood inexpressibly heavy. In her heart, she quietly thought, even though you two are completely different, I wonder why this person reminds me of him. Immediately after, the scene reverted to the past. At this moment, Knight Georgius stood in a corner trying to explain. Eurydica, what are you still afraid of? You and the Golden Ancient Dragon spent 3 years purifying the curse on the dragon heart and succeeded in preventing the implantation 100 times. Realizing his slip, Georgius lowered his voice to comfort her. I will be fine. Not to mention, I am proud. He looked distantly out the window and casually explained, the remnants of the demons have been pushed back to the desert, along with the red dragon that constantly yearns to seize human lands. I feel honored that I will receive the power to protect the world from them. After deep contemplation, Georgius's eyes gradually sharpened, showing his determination to fight. He resolutely stated, and them too. Princess Eurydica was truly unwilling to let him go. She softly pleaded with Georgius, but he immediately brushed her off, saying, insert what I want. Georgius stepped forward, gazing at his infant child one last time, then sincerely expressed, it is to leave a world without those dangers for our child. Believe and implant that dragon heart into me. Knowing she could not persuade him, Eurydica had no choice but to fulfill Georgius's wish. Violet rays of light gradually appeared in the air, and then Georgius's entire body reacted violently to them. His whole body convulsed and trembled as he tried to absorb that power deep into his body. Eurydica stood outside, observing her heart aching with unbearable pain. Her heart fluttered with anxiety, like standing on burning coals. Eurydica's heart twisted with sorrow, wanting to rush forward and stop this horrifying scene. Despite her weakened health, she rushed forward, screaming loudly, Georgius! But quickly she was held back by the palace servants. The servant softly urged her, "Princess, please step back. It is very dangerous." At this moment, Georges had transformed beyond recognition. His face was nothing but bone. He cried out in pain, "Ah, ah, ugh," observing the horrifying scene from outside. At this moment, Eurydica, sweating profusely in anxiety, suddenly thought, "I feel the same energy as Kaiserus when he went berserk. Is it a demonic curse?" Suddenly, a voice transmitted to her ear, "The curse on the dragon heart has been purified." "Why then, that must be what you are thinking, right?" Saying this, the person leisurely walked closer to Yuri, and it was none other than the golden ancient dragon. He bluntly admitted his mistake. "I am sorry, but I used some methods to make it seem purified." His sudden appearance attracted Eurydica's attention. She suddenly blurted out in her heart, "Golden ancient dragon." Immediately after, the golden ancient dragon winked and snapped his fingers honestly. "I am very happy to be your comrade. However, I still have responsibilities that I must fulfill." Before Eurydica could react, she was enveloped by the golden ancient dragon's spell. She could only stand frozen like she was hit by a thunderbolt, enduring silently. That was the unique dragon tongue spell, a skill of the dragon race power residing in their very words. The golden ancient dragon's eyes gradually lost their humanity. He wickedly chanted a spell, continuously announcing, "You can never open your mouth," to reveal the world's secrets that she possessed. And then Eurydica suffered that bitter curse from the golden ancient dragon. Her throat tightened from the spell, making it difficult for her to breathe, forcing her to open her mouth to gasp for air. Immediately after, Eurydica's entire body slumped. She struggled to speak, but could not form words, only emitting a few grunts and coughs. The golden ancient dragon, having achieved his wish, turned and walked away, not forgetting to mock her too bad. "If you had not been greedy to obtain the dragon heart, both of you could have lived the rest of your lives happily with your daughter. The golden ancient dragon praised, by the way, your skill is quite marvelous, Eurydica." The dragon heart, after being implanted into Georges's body, has been completely purified along with the hidden curse within it. The process of absorbing the dragon heart in Georges's body continued. It changed faster and faster at a dizzying pace. The golden ancient dragon relentlessly mocked, "Look up at the moment your beloved husband will destroy this world." Georges's face and body were deformed beyond recognition. He had now become a ferocious, brutal demon. The golden ancient dragon satisfyingly and loudly declared, with the boundless power surging from the dragon heart. A horrifying scene unfolded immediately after the dragon heart absorption process had completely permeated Georges's body, transforming him into a monstrous, savage form. He aggressively advanced towards Eurydica's position, making her stand frozen in fear, looking up. With no other option, she reluctantly plunged her sword into the beast's chest, which was actually Georges, to end his life. No one understood Eurydica's pain at this moment. She stood frozen, watching the entire process with immeasurable sorrow. Then Georges, in his demonic form, was eliminated, and the dragon heart, containing a shimmering violet light, remained suspended in the air. The past closed here. Eurydica sadly recounted her plight. "I had no choice but to personally remove the dragon heart from Georges's chest. For 1,000 years after purifying the curse, I have been waiting for a suitable hero to come and receive the dragon heart." Her expression remained sorrowful. Eurydica honestly expressed, "I know that you are the worthy hero for this. However, your body is not truly prepared to receive the dragon heart. If I implant it into you now, its power will tear you into dust, or you will permanently become disabled." Hearing Eurydica's warnings, Zephyr fell into deep thought. "I know, not to mention with the fatal poison from before, I can only strengthen my body to this extent. If I cannot strengthen my power further in the next few months, my meridians will begin to constrict, and the Zogan solution combined with Belial is only effective when my stats are still low. I have currently used every method to grow rapidly." Thinking this, Zephyr was not worried, but confidently asserted, however, the success rate is not 0%. Closing her eyes in contemplation, Eurydica immediately made an assertion, "You must be thinking of using great fortune, right? That if the probability is not 0, you can still turn that into a certainty. It feels like things will not be as easy as Zephyr says." Eurydica retorted, "However, you are mistaken. There is still another time when you must possess great fortune in your hands." Zephyr was so surprised that his eyes widened, and he instinctively blurted out, "What?" Eurydica did not hesitate to answer, that is. Just as she was about to reveal the secret of the past, Eurydica's throat was suddenly constricted by the golden ancient dragon's spell, causing her to writhe in pain and turn away. Immediately after, she calmed down, knowing she had misspoken, so she remained silent, coughing, "Huh, huh, huh." Zephyr, seeing this scene, jumped up in panic, shouting Eurydica. At this moment, Eurydica was in an extremely bad mood. She sat on the ground, thinking resentfully, "Even after 1,000 years, you still bind me with the dragon's tongue. Golden ancient dragon." She gritted her teeth in anger, secretly complaining, "Do not even think I will let you have your way. Even if I cannot say it directly because of the dragon's tongue binding, I just need not to say it directly." Zephyr gently comforted Eurydica, supporting her shoulder, while she spoke, "That time is," she loudly declared, "when you must choose between the one you love most and another person." Zephyr seemed to awaken after Eurydica's guidance. His expression hardened, his eyes more determined than ever. His eyes now burned with the desire to accomplish this difficult task and the resolve to succeed. Eurydica placed her hand on Zephyr's shoulder, as if to comfort and encourage him. She gently advised, "For now use everything in my tomb to become stronger, and then return and receive the dragon heart. That is the safer method. I will also change the dungeon's layout so you can escape the priests." Eurydice made an assertion, however, after knowing the future risks he will face if he still wishes to immediately receive the dragon heart. Her hand trembled as she placed it on Zephyr's shoulder, as if encouraging and reassuring him. Eurydice continued, "Red dragon, blue dragon, ice dragon, green dragon, you must hunt these 4 great ancient dragons within 1 year. There is no other way." After listing a series of tasks Zephyr needed to complete within 1 year, Eurydice stared at him and asked, "Do you think you can do it?" Zephyr pondered silently, not uttering a word. After careful and cautious consideration, Zephyr confidently asserted, "I thought it was something else. But are you not underestimating me too much?" He loudly declared, "1 year is more than enough for me to slay all 4 great ancient dragons." Extending his blood-stained hand towards Eurydice, Zephyr sincerely expressed his desire. "I trust you. I will show you the peaceful world that both you and Georges wished to witness." He did not give up, and continued to persuade Eurydice, "Just half a year. I promise you can put down your burden, and then watch me from the other side." Eurydice listened attentively to his thoughts and wishes, but her eyes still held sorrow, mixed with immeasurable worry. But finally, she decided to once again put her trust in this brave man, before her thinking to herself, I finally realize how my emotions burned out when I took on this responsibility." Then she closed her eyes, letting her tears mix with the happiness and emotion that had been building up in her heart for so long, as Eurydice had found what she had been waiting for. All this time, she felt truly at peace. Thinking this, Eurydice spoke, admitting, "I apologize. I will hand over the task that I could not complete in my era. I will leave it to you." After that, a green light emanated from the top of a tower. The tower slowly opened in disjointed pieces, and inside it contained a strange item. Immediately after Eurydice received that strange item from within the tower, Zephyr's eyes stared intently, and in his mind he secretly wondered, "What is that?" Observing the strange item in Eurydice's hand, Zephyr also knew the answer himself and secretly blurted out Kaiseress's dragon heart. Eurydice lovingly stroked the precious dragon heart in her hand, then softly said, "I respect your decision, the new hero," saying that she manipulated the dragon heart to spin in her hand, then immediately announced, "So I will begin now." Zephyr's mind urged him to silently blurt out Kaiseress's dragon heart. "It really is." He opened his eyes wide, observing. At the same time, the system panel immediately announced, "Extreme luck privilege activated. Extreme luck temporarily imbues an extremely powerful aura of luck. Uses remaining 3. The surrounding landscape suddenly plunged into deep darkness. Only Kaiseress's dragon heart, enchanted by Eurydice, emitted a dazzling aura of light. The dark, desolate night enveloped the space. Continuous questions arose in Zephyr's mind. He was stunned and panicked, asking himself, "Where is this? I cannot see anything." Darkness. But immediately, Zephyr realized something. He refuted his previous thought. "No, I am in my subconscious." Zephyr looked at his hands, which were radiating a miraculous blue light, and vaguely affirmed, "Yes, I felt something familiar before." At this moment, Zephyr was still standing in some virtual world in a hazy state, and immediately after, Zephyr adamantly asserted that something else besides himself was here. Just as he had anticipated, behind Zephyr, a pair of glowing red eyes suddenly appeared, staring intently at him. He had his back to those eyes, but his keen senses still felt it. His face now began to change to a cold state, his eyes terrifyingly sharp. After stabilizing his mood and emotions, Zephyr suddenly turned his head, observing the events unfolding behind him. But before he could do anything, Zephyr was caught tightly by Kaiseress's giant hand, with sharp claws making him unable to move. He stood frozen, his face blank, looking up. Immediately after, Kaiseress bent down, pressing close to Zephyr's face, then angrily threatened, "You bastard, you dare to take my power." Tiny Zephyr struggled in Kaiseress's huge hand, grinding his teeth in rage, deducing this is Kaiseress's evil desire remaining in this dragon heart. His mind gradually sank deep into contemplation. Zephyr, in his subconscious, seriously deduced, "What an overwhelming presence. His pressure feels like it is tearing my soul apart. This is the evil desire of someone who died 1,000 years ago." Zephyr still gasped in Kaiseress's large hand, lost in thought, and Kaiseress, puzzled, observed the strange creature that dared to disturb and disrupt his power as if he could no longer tolerate it. Kaiseress blurted out, "I can smell the gods on you." Staring at Zephyr, Kaiseress disdainfully scoffed, "Those persistent scoundrels sent another puppet." Hearing this, Zephyr could not control his emotions and furiously yelled, "What?" Immediately after, Kaiseress did not hesitate to speak his mind. "You are the last one I grant power to." After that loud declaration, a hazy scene appeared. It seemed that Kaiseress, in his colossal towering form, was leisurely walking, fulfilling his agreement with Zephyr. Suddenly the scene changed once again. Something mysterious was rushing at an incredible speed, emitting countdown numbers 6. Then more and more strange things gradually appeared. It seemed they were in a battle. These things flew back and forth, then echoed with countdown sounds. 5, 4. Then 3, and the heroes who were fighting hard were tightly gripped by Matthias's giant hand and sharp claws, making them cry out in pain and difficulty. At this moment, the countdown had reached 2, and then what was destined to happen, happened. A bloody scene unfolded immediately after. The ruthless massacre of the heroes was carried out by Matthias, but he calmly declared, "Now, all that remains." It seemed everything had fallen into place according to Matthias's plan, so at this moment he arrogantly and conceitedly asserted, "It is you, Lucius," saying that he immediately spewed blazing fire streams towards Lucius, making him struggle to defend himself. But perhaps because they were old comrades, Lucius was too familiar with Matthias's fighting style. He quickly defended against that old attack and confidently stated that attack is useless again. Matthias's rage had truly reached its limit. He, being overly furious, unleashed all his strength, spewing stronger blazing flames that tightly swirled around his target. Lucius continuously counterattacking. It seemed that was just a feint to distract Lucius. Matthias, being wiser and faster, slipped behind Lucius, preparing to deliver the finishing blow as if victory was in his grasp. He laughed gleefully, confidently saying, "Too slow." This statement made Lucius's hands and feet go cold, leaving him stunned and motionless. As if to assert his authority, Matthias immediately swung his exquisite blow, attacking Lucius, making him take the full punch and his head tilt to the side, looking pitiful. Lucius was on the verge of falling to the ground at any moment. He cried out in agony. Matthias seemed extremely complacent after the attack. He thought with satisfaction his reaction speed is significantly slower. He is weakening. Lucius struggled to stand up after that attack. He seriously glanced at Matthias, then secretly deduced this bastard. He is adapting more and more to the demon race's power. And that recovery speed, I am the only one injured when fighting him. Just as he was secretly thinking this, suddenly, due to a moment of distraction, Lucius took another devastating blow from Matthias. Fighting with increasing fervor, Matthias ferociously challenged Lucius, truly enraging him, and he immediately counterattacked. Matthias, still complacent and resting on his laurels, was immediately caught off guard by Lucius's tempestuous attack. Matthias screamed in pain. Seizing the advantage, Lucius immediately plunged his long, sharp sword into Matthias's chest, causing blood to spray from him. The battle grew fiercer and more intense. Neither side would back down, each continuously launching attacks on the other, turning the area into a chaotic battlefield. On one side, Matthias continuously spewed fire, incinerating, while on the other, Lucius struggled to hold up his shield to block and parry the attacks. Matthias, with his cruel and aggressive nature, immediately pulled the sword from his body, poised to thrust it directly at Lucius, attacking him. Meanwhile, Lucius, battered, sat slumped against the rock wall, coughing, then lowered his head and thought, "Both Arno and Leona, who supported me, are dead. I have no choice but to use that power." His eyes gradually became more determined than ever. Lucius resolved to defeat this arrogant, aggressive Matthias. He seriously told himself, "However, I could be in danger if I use it." Matthias held the advantage because his body had a very fast recovery mechanism when suddenly injured. His hand was slowly summoning flickering bright sparks. Matthias lowered his voice, saying so now. The flames in Matthias's hands grew larger and larger, arranging themselves into a giant sphere. He confidently declared, "Let us end this." He chuckled arrogantly, then said crazily goodbye, but there was something strange here. Suddenly, a dazzling golden lightning bolt snaked towards Matthias unnoticed by him. At this moment, Matthias realized something was wrong. His eyes widened as if they would pop out, and a series of questions flooded his mind. Feeling something was amiss, Matthias suddenly looked down at his hand, seeing absolutely no flames that he had just summoned. Matthias fell into a state of extreme confusion, thinking to himself, "My fireball! Something pierced my fireball and destroyed it." At this moment, a pure white feather appeared. Matthias knew the culprit for this incident, too surprised to speak. He secretly blurted out a feather. Immediately after, feathers continuously appeared, flying in droves. Meanwhile, Lucius was wiping the blood from his mouth after Matthias's tempestuous attacks, and a miraculous scene unfolded behind Lucius. An angel appeared with glorious pure white wings, emitting dazzling light. At this moment, the angel spoke, "Oh, my past, how much of your lifespan will you offer this time?" Lucius struggled, his heart aching, and curtly replied, "1 month." The angel seemed displeased with his offer, but gently reminded him, 1 month. That does not seem enough to defeat that thing. Half a year might be. Immediately after, a dazzling light appeared, gathering into a giant sphere. Lucius seemed to be reinvigorated after the angel's help and support. His entire body emitted dazzling electric sparks. Matthias was stunned and bewildered by this strange sight. He stared, his mouth ajar, uttering, "What is that? Why am I a demon afraid?" Matthias's eyes widened to their fullest. He was still in a state of confusion, yelling in disbelief, "No way, this is impossible." The sphere of light gradually approached Matthias, giving him no time to dodge. It seemed he had not yet escaped his previous shock and stood rooted to the spot, thinking, "A person like Lucius is no match for me now." Lucius calmly continued his task. With the power granted by the angel, he was more confident than ever, continuously launching attacks towards Matthias. The destructive power of this eternal light pierced through Matthias's entire body, causing his blood to spray everywhere. Immediately after, all of Matthias's power and arrogance were extinguished by Lucius's skillful hands. On the floor now was only Matthias's scattered bloody mess. He lay flattened amidst the wreckage, defeated by Lucius, yet still clinging to his arrogance. Matthias mocked him. "You pathetic bastard. You were quite secretive, thinking you had hidden such power for 20 years. Lucius did not hesitate, and softly explained, "That is a special skill of the saint called Glory Light. I borrow power from the angel I will become in the future, by exchanging my own lifespan. It is a closely guarded secret, known only to the Pope and a portion of the cardinals." At this point, his expression gradually hardened. Lucius gritted his teeth and continued to explain. This is why the average lifespan of a saint is about 30 years. Even if we want to live a long life without using glory light, we have no choice but to use it against powerful opponents. Furthermore, the temple binds young saints to a place of death for its own benefit. Emotions surging. Lucius did not hesitate to share the position of a saint is a cruel one. We are nothing more than puppets being played by the temple. The flame of indignation in Lucius's heart reached its peak, seemingly uncontrollable. He spewed it out, growling, "Is there something? What made you so greedy that you betrayed your friend and abandoned everything?" Matthias. Hearing these words, Matthias could not help but laugh and blurted out, "You only say that because you are the chosen one. Do you think you are the only puppet being played with?" Immediately after, Matthias did not hesitate to assert there is only one difference between us. Although his body ached from the attack and he lay slumped on the floor, Matthias still strained his neck and loudly declared, "The goddess recognized the value of your life and did not recognize mine. That is all." Having just finished this sentence, Matthias gradually lost consciousness, his eyes about to close, but he still strained his voice. "What exactly is the difference between me and you? I am an extraordinary person in whom everyone placed great hope. But why did everything end like this?" Matthias's entire body gradually floated into the air, but he still tried to leave a message. "You still refuse to answer me, goddess, you are too cruel." The dragon heart continued to flicker, emitting a dazzling light. A blood-stained hand with countless wounds remained motionless on the floor, and its owner let out a cough. Ned slowly opened his eyes. His mind was not yet fully stable. He was still in a semi-conscious state, suddenly thinking, "I passed out. Where is the boss?" Suddenly something appeared before Ned, making him open his eyes wide and jump in surprise, looking up. At this moment, before his eyes was the image of Eurydice, performing a spell for Zephyr to absorb Kaiserys' dragon heart. Ned was so surprised that he blurted out, "That is the boss's dungeon. What the hell is going on now?" The battle between Lucius and Matthias left immeasurable losses and consequences. The bravest and strongest heroes were attacked by the demon named Matthias, lying unconscious on the floor. Lucius struggled to revive them with spells, Arya the Almighty, Arya the Almighty, Arya the Almighty. Finally, with Lucius's continuous efforts, things began to change. Both Leona and Arno suddenly coughed simultaneously. Lucius paced anxiously, shaking them and shouting, "Arno, Leona, are you all right?" To reassure him and ease his anxiety, they struggled to comfort Lucius, but their voices were still weak, Captain. His heart twisted with pain. Seeing his comrades so severely wounded, Lucius was filled with extreme indignation, secretly thinking among all of them, only 3 people are still alive. The scene changed. Lucius softly encouraged the heroes, "The raid ends here. Let us go back." The scene shifted to a completely unfamiliar place. At this moment, a mysterious object continuously emitted a dazzling pink light. The landscape changed rapidly. At this moment, a giant pitch-black dragon still held Zephyr tightly in its hand, growling ferociously, emitting a deafening sound. Suddenly, the dragon sensed something unusual happening around it. It opened its wide blood-red eyes, secretly deducing this energy. The pink aura of light gradually approached Zephyr's position, making him stand frozen, looking up. Everything was clear. Zephyr secretly affirmed firmly, "This light, that is the effect of extreme luck." The pink light continuously approached Zephyr's position, making him misunderstand, as if it was protecting him. Zephyr just sneered, then thought to himself, "I do not need it to intervene. I am already getting used to it." After that, Zephyr sank into deep contemplation, telling himself, "This is my world of consciousness. It is not reality. Therefore, the most important thing is my spirit. If I am afraid of him, even if I successfully transform, I will be devoured by his soul and turned into a hound. I cannot let that happen." After a long thought, Zephyr resolved to defeat this ferocious dragon. His hand suddenly rested on the empty space between the dragon's giant hands, and he urged himself, "Remember." Power surged and unleashed from within Zephyr, splitting the dragon's hands into 2. The aura emanating from him shone brighter than ever. It could be seen that Zephyr was extremely focused seriously, thinking, "Who am I?" And so miraculous blue lights continuously emanated, as Zephyr concentrated intensely in thought. Immediately after, he opened his eyes wide, directing a cold gaze towards that brutal dragon. As if to demonstrate his power and authority, Zephyr launched a fatal blow, attacking the dragon, surprising it and making it fall backward. Immediately after, Zephyr transformed unpredictably. His entire body was fully equipped with battle armor, and in his hand, he wielded a sharp sword, continuing to launch a preemptive strike against the brutal dragon. As fast as lightning, Zephyr instantly leaped into the air, plunging the sharp sword directly into the dragon's body, leaving it no time to react and take the full fatal blow. The dragon painfully fell backward because one of its eyes had been pierced by Zephyr blood, and tears streaming down. Zephyr gently landed after the attack, observing the dragon's condition. Taking advantage of the dragon's state of extreme pain after the previous attack, Zephyr suddenly spoke mockingly, "Do you think this is my first time? You are not the first evil desire of a dragon that I have fought within my consciousness, including those in my previous lives." At this point, Zephyr suddenly stopped, as if thinking about something, but his hand still tightly gripped the sword, ready to attack. After careful consideration, Zephyr firmly asserted, "You are the 5th one." Leisurely walking step by step closer to the dragon's position, Zephyr scoffed, This dragon is really annoying. If you die, I just need to absorb it. You try to test everyone to see if they are worthy of your power. The more he spoke, the more fervent he became, his eyes burning with the fire of battle. Zephyr could not control his words and accidentally uttered some rather harsh remarks. Just get that damn thing out of you. It is time for me to educate you. The dragon, hearing Zephyr's arrogant bluster, was also enraged and growled challengingly. Your mouth is the best, come on. Not letting it wait long, Zephyr swiftly rushed forward, continuously attacking the dragon. Both sides were equally matched, neither willing to yield. The battle thus continued in ferocity and intensity. At this moment, the scene suddenly shifted. Ned lay motionless on the floor. After being unconscious for an unknown period, he opened his eyes wide, observing the events unfolding before him, then hesitantly whispered, "That is." At this moment, Eurydice was in the process of implanting the dragon heart into Zephyr's subconscious. Ned, observing from behind, unclear about what was happening, before his eyes wondered what the hell is going on now. At this moment, Ned observed Zephyr lying motionless and unconscious on the floor. He casually deduced Zephyr seems to be unconscious. Was he defeated? Looking beside Zephyr, Ned saw Eurydice concentrating on chanting a spell. Suspicion arose in Ned's mind. What is the boss doing with Zephyr that she is not paying attention to me? Immediately after, Ned got up in a ready-to-fight stance, secretly thinking this could be an opportunity to attack. But one thing Ned did not know was that Eurydice had already detected and sensed his presence, but she did not speak. But before he could carry out his evil intention, Ned was running forward about to launch a surprise attack, when suddenly his entire body stiffened and he collapsed, no longer having the strength to move. He trembled, supporting himself on the floor, angrily swearing under his breath, "Damn it, energy frozen right now. That is right, all my energy was absorbed by the dark hand before I passed out. No, I cannot miss this opportunity." The system panel now displayed energy-frozen symptoms of pain and inability to use power when the user's mana is depleted. At this moment, Eurydice suddenly spoke, advising you should not act rashly, rest for a bit. Her words startled Ned. Saying that, Eurydice turned her back, chanted some spell, then snapped her fingers, directing the magic towards Ned. His entire body was enveloped by her magic. Ned gritted his teeth, staring at Eurydice. Suddenly, his body transformed. Unusually, Ned's face turned pale, and nausea overwhelmed him, making him cover his mouth and emit strange sounds. Immediately after, Ned had a fit of continuous coughing. After a struggle, Ned finally vomited a fat, wriggling worm that looked truly disgusting. Ned was stunned and horrified at this scene. He stared wide-eyed, suddenly blurting out, "This is not the branded worm I swallowed." Seeing Ned utterly astonished by this, Eurydice explained, "I have expelled the evil fragment from your body from its larval state. It seems you have never used the power of that worm. You gained that level of strength entirely through hard work, right? That is wonderful." Eurydice smiled, then happily said, "Although it is just a worm, it seems you are injured internally. So please rest a little more. Since you have received my mana, you will recover after a good night's sleep." Ned listened, utterly bewildered. He hesitated, thinking, what is she saying? Is the boss helping me? I do not know, but I am so tired. The scene suddenly shifted again. On the wall, circular rotating shapes with sharp thorns protruding closely connected appeared. Someone's voice suddenly echoed, "Please look at this. This is the purification device on the 5th floor. It extends all the way here." Arno continued to express his thoughts. "We have to find a way. The dungeon's layout has completely changed." Leona beside him sighed sadly. "It has been 2 days since the battle. Can we get out of here before we run out of food?" Saying that, Lucius still remained silent, motionless. Arno impatiently urged, "What should we do, Captain?" It seemed Lucius took a long time to think. Then he finally voiced his opinion. "First, we will search for the remaining holy nail." Recognizing that the task ahead was full of risks and dangers, Arno immediately objected. "What? With just the 3 of us, it will be very dangerous. We should prioritize escaping." But Lucius ignored his comrade's advice and flatly refused. "No." He tried to give a strong argument to explain, moreover, that is the only way for us to get out of here. Immediately after, all 3, Lucius, Arno, and Leona, immediately ran towards the gate ahead. Lucius exclaimed in alarm, "You said those 2 slaves stole the holy nail and are acting strangely?" One of them, and Leona explained, "Yes, I am sure they are nobles. They did not accompany us when we fought Matthias, and they did not attack him. Why is that?" In Lucius's mind, he imagined the scene of the nobles and demons clashing. He secretly deduced, what if they are different from the demon cultists? If we assume they are targeting Matthias, their enemy, and the holy ones kill each other, then it makes sense. In Lucius's heart, doubts and worries arose. If all the money invested in this dungeon disappears after my death, the temple will have no choice but to auction the dungeon to pay off their debts. It will be more harmful than beneficial to be trapped in the dungeon with 10 years of effort and no clear results. If those 2 slaves are not from the noble cult faction that supports them, they know very well how to see the bigger picture. Then they must have targeted it from the beginning, purging and fighting in the dungeon containing the dragon heart. Sinking into a stream of rambling thoughts, more and more clues and deductions in Lucius's mind emerged. If their faction could get this dungeon cheaply, then those 2 slaves with the holy nail would join a new raid group as experienced dungeon explorers. If they were given a role, then the noble faction must have prepared an escape route for them to use, or they are capable of finding their own way out. I must find them and find a way out of the dungeon before them. Running headlong, Lucius suddenly turned back to observe what was happening behind him. In his mind, the thought still lingered, or It is a plan.